हेलो फ्रेंड्स, वेलकम बैक टू माय चैनल। तो आज मैं इसका नेक्स्ट पार्ट लेके आ चुका हूँ। तो बिना किसी देरी के चलिए शुरुआत करते हैं।
Chapter 48, Transaction with Dugubo. Dugubo thought for a long time, truly unable to figure out where this little freak had popped out from, as he had no impression of him whatsoever. In the end, he couldn't be bothered to think about it anymore. Anyway, no matter who this little freak was, he had definitely taken a fall today. At this moment, Xiaoyan slowly walked over, looking down condescendingly at Dugubo who was sprawled on the ground, and spoke. Senior Poison, look, I had no malicious intent, but you insisted on being overbearing and making a move. Look at how things turned out now. Hearing this, Dugubo, sprawled on the ground, couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth. Was this reasonable? Was this right? He was overbearing. Clearly, it was this little freak who barged into his territory. As the master, punishing a brat who barged in, wasn't this a matter of course? How did it turn out that he was unreasonable and in the wrong instead? Dugubo wanted to retort, but suppressed by this aura, he couldn't even open his mouth to speak. Xiaoyan naturally noticed this and fully withdrew his aura, while Yao Lao's soul power also returned into the ring. That mountain-like oppressive feeling instantly dissipated, and Dugubo immediately felt his whole body lighten. It was as if a drowning person had finally surfaced. He panted heavily. Rather disheveledly, he scrambled up from the ground and patted the dust and gravel off his body. He looked at Xiaoyan. At this moment, Xiaoyan lacked the terrifying aura around his body, and looked like an ordinary child again. His soul power fluctuation was weak, his body thin and small, as if a gust of wind could blow him over. Yet Dugubo had not the slightest desire to make a move. Having already suffered a loss once, he certainly didn't want to suffer it a second time. Senior. Xiaoyan spoke again, looking into Dugubo's eyes with a half-smile arc hanging on the corner of his mouth. How about we make a trade? Hearing this, Dugubo frowned and looked at him vigilantly. What trade? Xiaoyan smiled, his tone nonchalant. Senior, I see that you are poisoned. How about this, I will help you detoxify, Senior, and you give me this medicine garden of yours. How does that sound? Dugubo's expression changed abruptly, a trace of panic flashing through his eyes before he forcefully suppressed it. He instinctively retorted, his voice rising by 8 degrees. Brat, what nonsense are you talking about? My title is poison, how could I be poisoned? Although this old man was defeated at your hands, you must not wantonly humiliate this old man. Alright, stop. Xiaoyan directly interrupted him, his tone carrying a bit of impatience. Stop pretending, poison is poisoned, yet you're still being stubborn. Speaking up to here, Xiaoyan reached out and pointed at Dugubo's hair, continuing exasperatedly. If you weren't poisoned, what normal person would turn their hair green? Could it be that you like this color? Or is it that you experienced something? You're talking nonsense. Dugubo grew anxious, his old face turning completely red, not knowing whether it was from anger or shame. He grabbed a handful of his grayish-green hair, his voice changing pitch. This old man does not like this color at all. This old man's this is. He couldn't go on. Watching his flustered and embarrassed appearance, Xiaoyan almost couldn't help laughing out loud. Dugubo took a deep breath, suppressing the shame and annoyance in his heart, and after a long silence, finally slumped his shoulders as if deflated, his voice hoarse. This old man admits it, this old man is indeed poisoned. He looked at Xiaoyan, his eyes carrying a hint of struggle and a hint of expectation. This trade. This old man agrees. If you can really help this old man detoxify, let alone gifting you this medicine garden, this old man will promise you 3 things. 3 things. 3 things from a titled Duluo. This was an immensely heavy bargaining chip. Yet when Dugubo said these words, he didn't hesitate in the slightest. Over these years, he had been tortured by the toxins in his body to the point where life was worse than death. Every time his martial soul possessed him, the toxins would sink in by another fraction. Every time he mobilized his soul power, the toxins would spread further by another fraction. He didn't know where his limit was, but he knew the day was not far away. Not to mention there was still Yan Yan. If this little freak before him could really help him detoxify, let alone 3 things, he would agree to 10 things. Xiaoyan nodded decisively. Alright, it's a deal. Seeing Xiaoyan agree so readily, Dugubo's remaining doubts largely dissipated, and he hurriedly asked. I wonder what method you, this little freak, have to help this old man detoxify. Xiaoyan did not answer immediately, but instead walked over to the side of the ice and fire Yin Yang well, standing with his hands behind his back, with his back facing Dugubo. The reason you were poisoned is actually very simple. Every time your martial soul possesses you, your body becomes contaminated with toxins. Those toxins accumulate within your body, day by day and month by month, sinking deeper and deeper. Dugubo nodded, these were all things he knew, but what use was knowing? He had tried countless methods, yet none could eradicate these toxins. The method to resolve this is also very simple. Store all the toxins produced when your martial soul possesses you into your soul bone. Dugubo was stunned. A soul bone. That's right, a soul bone. Xiaoyan nodded. A soul bone is connected to your body, yet independent outside of your body. Storing the toxins in the soul bone will not affect your body. As for the toxins remaining in your body, I will formulate some medicine and help you clear them out. Dugubo stood in place, blankly looking at Xiaoyan, replaying those words just now repeatedly in his mind. Storing the toxins in the soul bone. That's right. How could he have not thought of this? Having researched poison for so many years and tried countless methods, how could he have not thought of this simplest logic? Dugubo took a deep breath, suppressing the excitement in his heart, and looked at Xiaoyan with a gaze that gained a bit more solemnity. Little freak. This method of yours is feasible. Xiaoyan smiled and didn't speak. Dugubo was silent for another moment, then suddenly spoke, his tone carrying a bit of hesitation. Little friend Xiaoyan, this old man has another granddaughter named Duguyan. She inherited my Jade 4 Serpent Emperor martial soul, and also has toxins accumulated in her body. It's just that because she is young and her realm is low, her symptoms are a bit lighter than this old man's, she doesn't even know she's poisoned herself. Saying this, he suddenly raised his head, looking at Xiaoyan, his eyes full of entreaty. Little friend Xiaoyan, one matter shouldn't trouble 2 masters, can you help detoxify her as well? Hearing this, Xiaoyan nodded decisively. No problem, bring your granddaughter over, and we'll resolve it together. Dugubo was stunned. He hadn't expected Xiaoyan to agree so readily. He thought Xiaoyan would raise conditions, bargain, or even refuse. Yet he didn't say any of that and instead agreed straight away. Fearing that Xiaoyan would go back on his word, Du Gubo didn't dare to ask more. He turned directly around and flew toward the outside of the ice and fire yin-yang well. The phantom of the Jade Phosphor Serpent Emperor Martial Soul emerged behind him, and 9 soul rings lit up simultaneously. His speed reached its absolute limit at this moment, resembling a green lightning bolt as he crossed the toxic mist barrier and vanished into the horizon. Chapter 49. Thorough Cure Method of Poison Pill. Xiaoyan stood in place, watching Du Gubo's retreating back, the corners of his mouth lifting slightly. After Du Gubo left, Yao Lao's transparent soul body floated out from the storage ring. He hovered above those immortal herbs, his transparent body shimmering with a faint halo under the sunlight. As he looked over those immortal herbs, he spoke. What you brat said just now about storing toxins with spirit bones is feasible, but after all, it only treats the symptoms and not the root cause. Without waiting for Xiaoyan to speak, Yao Lao continued to explain leisurely. Toxins stored in spirit bones are indeed harmless in a short time. But as time goes on, the toxins that spirit bones can store are ultimately limited. If one day the toxins that spirit bones can store reach saturation, the ending will be destruction of bones and death. Xiaoyan naturally knew this point, but he also knew that with Du Gubo's aptitude, it was probably very hard to cultivate to that day of bone destruction and death. Even if that day came, Du Gubo could still look for other spirit bones to store toxins. The spirit bones that the human body could absorb were not just one piece after all. At this time, Yao Lao spoke again. However, this master here does have a method that can cure the root cause. Hearing this, Xiaoyan became interested and asked, Teacher, what method? Yao Lao did not answer immediately, but instead kept him in suspense, turning around in the air before speaking. My bone-chilling flame and your brat's green lotus core flame, the two heavenly flames cooperating, can refine a special pill. The function of that pill is to store toxins. Sealing the toxins in the pill is inside the human body, yet independent of the human body. The toxins will not seep out, and will not affect the user's body. Moreover, there was a bit of smugness in Yao Lao's voice. That pill can convert toxins into pure energy and feed it back to the user. It can also enhance cultivation. Listening, Xiaoyan frowned slightly and suddenly said, Teacher, why is this method so similar to the poison pill method of controlling the calamity poison body? Yao Lao laughed out loud, stroking his non-existent beard and saying, You brat saw through it. Correct, this method is what this master thought of with the help of the poison pill method. That old fellow named Du Gubo, the poison on his body, controlling it is much simpler than the calamity poison body. The calamity poison body is innate, while his poison is accumulated acquiredly. The two are completely not on the same order of magnitude. Speaking to this point, Yao Lao paused for a moment. The transparent soul body floated above the ice and fire yin-yang well, lowering his head to look at the surging spring water, and continued. Of course, whether to use this method or not depends on you brat yourself. Anyway, our goal has already been achieved. Xiaoyan understood Yao Lao's meaning. Du Gubo had already agreed to the method of curing poison with spirit bones that he mentioned. The transaction had already been reached. As for Du Gubo's future development, it didn't matter to them at all. But Xiaoyan thought about it and still decided to help Du Gubo, this old poison master. Firstly, Du Gubo's character was worth him doing this. Although this old fellow had a weird temper and a hard mouth with a soft heart. But he valued affection and righteousness, and valued promises. Such a person was worth helping a hand. Secondly, he wanted someone's entire medicine garden, so he had to leave some soup for the owner of this medicine garden. Things couldn't be done too absolutely, leave a thread in human relations so it's easy to meet in the future. After all, he couldn't be as ruthless as the Tang God King. Du Gubo gave all the immortal herbs to Tang San, and later because of promises, helped Tang San several times, and even died in the end because of helping Tang San. But what was exchanged in the end? Not even a descendant was left, and the medicine garden also became surnamed Tang. Besides, refining a pill was just a trivial matter that the teacher could do casually. Left and right, it was just spending some effort. Yet it could exchange for a titled Duluo's friendship and promise, this business was not a loss. Thinking of this, Xiaoyan spoke. Teacher. Please still refine one for that old fellow Du Gubo. Right, also his granddaughter, refine one for her too. Compared to this whole medicine garden of herbs, and that special pool, these two pills are nothing. Yao Lao nodded and smiled. Alright, this master will start refining right now. The voice fell. He didn't talk nonsense, his transparent soul body landing beside the ice and fire yin-yang well. The dark demon cauldron, pitch black all over, with lifelike flame totems drawn on the surface, appeared. Yao Lao waved his right hand, and the bone-chilling flame rose in his palm. The ghastly white flame emitted a bizarre light under the sunlight. Yao Lao flipped his left hand, and several herbs floated out from the storage ring, hovering above the bone-chilling flame. Those herbs under the burning of the flame quickly melted and purified. In the end, they turned into a crystal-clear ball of liquid, slowly rotating in the air. Under Yao Lao's control, the bone-chilling flame was sometimes strong and sometimes weak. That crystal-clear ball of liquid constantly rotated in the flame, gradually forming the outline of a rounded pill. But just at the moment when the pill was about to form, Yao Lao suddenly spoke. Xiaoyan, green lotus core flame. Hearing this, Xiaoyan didn't hesitate at all, flipping his right hand, and the green lotus core flame rose in his palm. Go. Xiaoyan's mind moved, controlling the green lotus core flame to leave his hand and float toward Yao Lao's direction. The two heavenly flames intersected in the air. The bone-chilling flame and the green lotus core flame, one was a ghastly white bizarre fire, and the other was a cyan violent fire. Under the control of Yao Lao and Xiaoyan. They did not repel each other, but instead like old friends after a long absence, entangling and merging with each other, forming a strange flame with alternating cyan and white. The temperature of that flame reached a degree where 1 + 1 was greater than 2 in an instant. Xiaoyan could feel that the surrounding air distorted at this moment. Even the pool water in the ice and fire yin-yang well began to surge violently, making gurgling sounds. At this time, under Yao Lao's control, herbs continuously flew out from the storage ring and were thrown into the flame. One herb after another quickly melted under the high temperature of the heavenly flame, turning into wisps of pure medicinal power, blending into the forming pill. That ball of liquid constantly rotated in the flame, its volume getting smaller and smaller, but its color getting deeper and deeper. From the initial transparency, it gradually turned light green. The final color looked like it was carved from the highest grade jadeite. On the surface of the pill, fine lines began to emerge. Those lines looked like human meridians, or like some profound runes. Slowly circulating on the surface of the pill, emitting a faint light. And I don't know how much time had passed. Yao Lao's gaze suddenly congealed, and his left hand gently patted the dark demon cauldron. That rotating pill suddenly split, turning into 2 pills of the same size, hovering in the air. The 2 pills were emerald green all over, crystal clear, emitting a faint fragrance. Fine lines circulated on their surface, and one could vaguely see green halos surging inside the pills, as if life was gestating. Not bad. Seeing this scene, Yao Lao nodded with satisfaction. The great has reached tier 7, and 2 were formed at once, saving this old bone of mine from exerting effort once more. Xiaoyan stood up, leaned forward, looking at those 2 pills, a trace of surprise flashing in his eyes. Tier 7 pill. On the Fighting Chi continent, the birth of a tier 7 pill would inevitably attract pill lightning. But this was the Duluo continent, the rules were completely different from the Fighting Chi continent. Those 2 pills quietly hovered in the air, not attracting any heaven and earth anomalies, and not even a trace of fluctuation. Xiaoyan took out 2 jade boxes from the storage ring, quickly putting the 2 pills that wanted to escape into them. Chapter 50, Dugubo breaks through to level 96. The jade box closed, sealing the medicinal pill's faint fragrance within. Teacher, you've worked hard. Xiaoyan put away the jade box and cupped his hands in a salute toward Yao Lao. Yao Lao waved his hand, transformed into a streak of light, and burrowed back into the ring, leaving only a sentence echoing in the air. Alright, I've merely refined 2 tier 7 medicinal pills, what is there to be tired of? That's right, that old fellow has brought his granddaughter back. Give him the pill, and our transaction will be considered complete. Hearing this, Xiaoyan turned around and cast his gaze toward the direction of the poisonous mist barrier. That patch of grayish-green poisonous mist was violently churning, as if something was passing through it at an extremely fast speed. After a few breaths, 2 figures dashed out from the poisonous mist and landed beside the ice and fire yin-yang well. The young maiden walking in the front looked at Xiaoyan standing beside the ice and fire yin-yang well, sizing him up several times. The more she looked, the more outrageous she felt it was. She turned her head to look at her grandfather, her tone full of doubt. Grandpa, the person you said could detoxify us couldn't possibly be this brat who looks several years younger than me, right? She widened her eyes and looked at Dugubo, her entire face practically spelling out the words, have you gone senile? Dugubo's expression changed, fearing that his granddaughter's words would anger Xiaoyan, he hurriedly rebuked. Yanzi, do not be impolite. After reprimanding Duguyan, he quickly turned to look at Xiaoyan and explained. Little freak, this is my granddaughter, Duguyan. This child has been spoiled by me since she was young, and she speaks without respect. Please don't take it to heart. Xiaoyan smiled and didn't mind. He merely glanced at Duguyan, then withdrew his gaze and cut straight to the point. Old poison, just now after you left, I thought about it. I have 2 methods for detoxification, and you can choose for yourself. Dugubo was stunned. 2 methods. Xiaoyan raised a finger. The first is what I told you before, using a spirit bone to store the poison. However, this method treats the symptoms rather than the root cause. A spirit bone storage ultimately has a limit. Dugubo nodded. He had already heard Xiaoyan mention this method before and had accepted it in his heart. Xiaoyan raised his second finger. The second, consuming a specially crafted medicinal pill. That medicinal pill can store the poison and convert it into pure energy to nourish the body. Not only can it detoxify, but it can also enhance your cultivation. This is the fundamental method. Hearing this, Dugubo's eyes suddenly lit up. He had originally thought that Xiaoyan being able to help him detoxify was already a supreme favor, but he hadn't expected an unexpected pleasant surprise. This old man chooses the second one. Dugubo spoke without hesitation, his voice carrying a hint of eagerness. Xiaoyan nodded, took out a jade box from his storage ring, and held it in his palm. He opened one of the jade boxes, revealing an emerald green medicinal pill quietly lying inside, emanating a faint glow and a rich fragrance. Dugubo subconsciously took a deep breath. The rich medicinal fragrance drilled into his nasal cavity, refreshing his heart and mind, making the poison within his body seem to quiet down a bit. Just as he was about to reach out to take it, that medicinal pill seemed to sense some kind of danger. With a swish, it sprang out from the jade box and flew toward the air. Trying to run. Xiaoyan was quick of eye and deft of hand. Extending his right hand, 2 fingers precisely pinched that escaping medicinal pill. The medicinal pill struggled a few times at his fingertips, emitting a faint buzzing sound. It was like a captured kitten struggling, but in the end, it obediently quieted down. Both Dugubo and Duguyan were dumbfounded. The grandfather and granddaughter widened their eyes and kept their mouths open, their expressions identical. Both were shocked and incredulous. This, what is the situation? Dugubo's voice even trembled slightly. Why would this medicinal pill run away on its own? Xiaoyan put the medicinal pill back into the jade box, closed the lid, and explained. This medicinal pill possesses spiritual intelligence. It sensed that you wanted to consume it. Every living creature has the instinct for survival, so of course it had to run. Dugubo was stunned on the spot, that sentence repeatedly echoing in his mind. This medicinal pill possesses spiritual intelligence. A medicinal pill actually possesses spiritual intelligence. He had lived for so many years and had seen countless medicinal materials. He had also seen medicinal pills, but those medicinal pills were just medicinal materials rolled into a ball. He had never seen any medicinal pill that possessed spiritual intelligence and would run away on its own. This already exceeded the scope of his cognition. But at this moment, he was filled with unprecedented confidence in the poison pill method mentioned by Xiaoyan. Dugubo's voice carried a hint of excitement. Little freak, how should this medicinal pill be used? Xiaoyan handed the jade box to him and said indifferently. Just consume it directly. Dugubo took the jade box, opened the lid, and glanced at the emerald green medicinal pill. Taking a deep breath without the slightest hesitation, he tilted his head back and sent the medicinal pill into his mouth. The medicinal pill melted instantly upon entering his mouth, turning into a warm, gentle energy that slid down his throat into his abdomen. Dugubo only felt a warm current spreading through his body, and wherever it passed. The toxins that had accumulated for decades seemed to encounter their natural enemy, frantically converging toward the direction of the medicinal pill. His body trembled slightly, and a fine layer of sweat seeped from his forehead, but the expression on his face was not one of pain, but rather a sense of relief. Duguyan looked anxiously at Dugubo. Grandpa, how are you feeling? Dugubo did not answer. He closed his eyes and carefully sensed the changes within his body. He could clearly feel that the toxins which had plagued him for decades were being swallowed and stored bit by bit by that medicinal pill. Then, they were transformed into pure energy, blending into his spirit power. Not knowing how much time had passed, Dugubo slowly opened his eyes. A trace of emerald green light flashed across his eyes, which then quickly vanished. He lowered his head to look at his hands, clenched his fists, and felt the surging power within his body. The expression on his face changed from bewilderment to pleasant surprise, and then to wild joy. Ha ha ha. He suddenly looked up and laughed aloud. The laughter carried decades of grievance and the exhilaration of sudden liberation, resounding through the entire valley. A majestic aura erupted from within his body, transforming into a dark green pillar of light that soared straight into the sky. Within that pillar of light, the phantom of the Jade Phosphor Serpent Emperor was faintly visible. Level 96. He had actually broken through to level 96. Dugubo stood on the spot, feeling that unprecedented powerful strength within his body, his eye sockets turning slightly red. He had originally thought that he would never be able to break through to level 95 in this lifetime. His body had been eroded too severely by the toxins. Every time he used his martial soul, he was consuming his life force. He even thought for a time that he wouldn't survive the next decade. Yet now, with merely a single medicinal pill, it had allowed him to step into the heavens in a single bound, reaching level 96. What was even more important was, he could clearly feel that that medicinal pill hadn't just helped him resolve the toxins accumulated in his body, it had also converted those toxins into pristine energy, blending them into his spirit power. His poison had not only not weakened, but instead become even more powerful and pristine. He even had the confidence to make a bid for level 99 within 10 years. Chapter 51, You kid intend to eat it raw like that? Grandpa. Dugu Yan's pleasantly surprised voice suddenly sounded, your hair. Hearing this, Dugubo froze, subconsciously raising a hand to touch his hair. He lowered his head, staring at the strands of hair hanging down over his chest, his pupils shrinking abruptly. His hair was changing back to black from grayish green. The layer of poison that had clung to his hair for decades was receding at a speed visible to the naked eye, revealing its original jet black color. Not only that, but the wrinkles on his face were fading, his skin becoming firm and smooth, he looked more than 10 years younger. Dugubo stared blankly at his hands. After a moment of silence, he suddenly turned toward Xiaoyan, cupped his fists, and bowed solemnly. This time, without any hesitation or reservation, his voice was raspy yet firm. Little freak, a great favor needs no formal thanks. This favor today, this old man will keep etched in his heart and never forget. Dugu Yan looked at her grandfather's excited state, then looked at Xiaoyan, her eyes filled with complex emotions. She finally believed now that this boy, who looked even younger than her, had truly relieved her grandfather of his years of agony. Pursing her lips, she imitated her grandfather and cupped her hands toward Xiaoyan. Thank you, little brother. Xiaoyan waved his hand and said casually, old freak, since this is a transaction, it's a fair deal. Neither of us owes the other. Dugubo straightened up and shook his head, saying no more pleasantries. He knew clearly in his heart, how could this possibly be just a fair deal? Although his garden of medicinal herbs was precious. Compared to a medicinal pill that could detoxify, control poison, boost cultivation, and make him 10 years younger, it was simply not worth mentioning. In this trade, he had gotten a monumental bargain. At this moment, he suddenly thought of his granddaughter, Dugu Yan. He hesitated, a rare embarrassed expression appearing on his face as he rubbed his hands together. Little freak, you see, Yanzi is also. Xiaoyan glanced at him, then looked at Dugu Yan, who was standing beside him with eager eyes. The corner of his mouth curved up slightly. With a flick of his right hand, another jade box flew toward Dugubo. Catch. Dugubo scrambled to catch the jade box, terrified of dropping it, and thanked him repeatedly. Thank you, thank you. Having had the previous experience, he knew this medicinal pill would try to escape. The moment he opened the jade box, he was already prepared. Sure enough, a beam of emerald green light shot out from the jade box, attempting to flee into the air. Swift of hand and sharp of eye, Dugubo grabbed the medicinal pill in his hand. The pill struggled in his palm a few times before finally settling down obediently. Dugubo looked at the medicinal pill in his palm and let out a long sigh of relief. Shortly after, he turned to Xiaoyan and spoke in a solemn tone. Little friend Xiaoyan, if you have any need of me in the future, just send word. This old man will spare no effort and never refuse. No matter who the opponent is, this old man will firmly stand on your side. Hearing this, Xiaoyan knew Dugubo was speaking from the bottom of his heart. But he merely waved his hand and said casually. Old poison, I said it's a transaction, neither of us owes the other. Instead of wasting time thanking me, you'd better hurry up and have your granddaughter take the pill as well. I went through all this trouble for the sake of your medicinal garden, and it's about time I reap the harvest. Dugubo nodded repeatedly and said hastily. Pick whatever you want, pick whatever you want. Every plant and tree in this entire medicinal garden now belongs to you, little freak. You can pick whatever you desire. With that, wasting no more time, he led Dugu Yan toward the small stone hut on one side of the valley. That was where he usually stayed when he was at the Ice and Fire Yin Yang well. Although crude, its virtue lay in being quiet and secluded, suitable for Dugu Yan to take her medicine peacefully. Xiaoyan watched the grandfather and granddaughter enter the stone hut, withdrew his gaze, and began searching for those two immortal herbs beside the Ice and Fire Yin Yang well. Octagonal mysterious ice grass. Blazing apricot delicate. Tang San had directly swallowed these two immortal herbs raw, then soaked in the Ice and Fire Yin Yang well, completing the absorption with the help of the spring water's neutralizing effect. Xiaoyan squatted down, carefully using a jade trowel to dig out the octagonal mysterious ice grass and blazing apricot delicate by their roots. Immediately after, he placed the two immortal herbs together, just about to pop them straight into his mouth. Stop. Yao Lao's figure suddenly floated out from the ring, his translucent soul body suspended in front of Xiaoyan. His old face was filled with an expression of disappointment, frustrated that Xiaoyan hadn't met his expectations. Xiaoyan's movement froze, a look of complete bewilderment on his face. Teacher, what are you doing? Yao Lao glared at him grumpily. You dare ask what I'm doing? To think you're an alchemist, yet you intend to eat them raw like that. Xiaoyan was startled. He looked down at the two immortal herbs in his hands, then looked at Yao Lao's face written all over with disgust. With a buzz in his mind, he suddenly came to his senses. His preconceived notions had truly misled him. Tang San indeed swallowed them raw directly. But that was Tang San, he wasn't Tang San. He, Xiaoyan, was an alchemist and Yao Lao's disciple. He should handle these immortal herbs in an alchemist's way. Refining them into a medicinal pill would bring out their efficacy to the absolute limit. Eating them raw directly, wasn't that a pure waste of medicinal potency? Just now, he had actually thought about swallowing them raw like Tang San. Xiaoyan laughed embarrassed, scratching his head sheepishly. Teacher, I just couldn't wrap my head around it for a second. As for refining the pill, I'll have to entrust it to you, old master. Yao Lao snorted in exasperation and waved his right hand. A gentle surge of soul power enveloped the two immortal herbs, lifting them from Xiao Yan's hand to float before him. He scrutinized them carefully for a moment before speaking. These two herbs, one is extremely frigid, and the other is scorching hot, their attributes completely opposite. If consumed directly, even if you have a heavenly flame protecting your body to withstand it, it would still cause a significant impact on your body. However, if refined using the bone-chilling flame, utilizing its properties to balance the cold and heat, combined with this pool's water as a medicinal primer. As Yao Lao spoke, he flipped his right hand, and the bone-chilling flame surged up in his palm. The eerie white flames enveloped the two immortal herbs, emitting a sizzling sound. Under the scorching of the heavenly flame, the two immortal herbs melted rapidly, turning into two globules of liquid, one red and one blue, slowly rotating within the flames. With a gesture of Yao Lao's left hand, a stream of water automatically welled up from the ice and fire yin-yang well, turning into a thin trickle that poured into the flames. Under the harmonization of the pool water, the two liquid globules gradually merged, transitioning from fierce mutual repulsion to gradual blending. Finally, they transformed into a single liquid mass glowing with swirling red and blue colors, continuously spinning inside the flame. After an unknown amount of time, Yao Lao's gaze suddenly sharpened, and his right hand squeezed gently. The mass of liquid suddenly solidified, turning into a perfectly round medicinal pill suspended in midair. The surface of the pill was lined with swirling red and blue patterns, looking like an intertwining of ice and fire, emitting a faint, warm aura. Around the pill, a fine ring of halo faintly circulated, emitting a subtle glow. Not bad, Yao Lao nodded, a touch of satisfaction in his voice. Although it only produced one pill, its tier reached the high rank tier 7. This pill serves to strengthen the foundation and consolidate your origin, making it perfect for you to consume. Taking it together with the water from this ice and fire yin-yang well will yield even better results. Chapter 52, Ice and Fire Dragon Kings. Xiao Yan looked at the medicinal pill, and his eyes lit up. He took the medicinal pill, felt the interwoven warmth and coolness coming from the palm of his hand, and swallowed it in one gulp without hesitation. The moment the medicinal pill entered his stomach, a gentle yet majestic force exploded from within his body, spreading along his meridians to his limbs and bones. Feeling this strength, Xiao Yan only felt extremely comfortable all over, as if every pore was breathing. He had no time to think further, leapt forward, and jumped into the ice and fire yin-yang well. The pool water of the ice and fire yin-yang well. Half was as scorching as boiling water, and the other half was bone-chillingly cold. Two completely different streams of water converged around him, yet they did not make him feel the slightest bit of discomfort. The power of the medicinal pill and the energy of the pool water echoed each other, forming a marvelous circulation within his body. After about half an hour, Yao Lao's figure suddenly emerged beside Xiao Yan, and his transparent soul body glanced in a certain direction. Then he turned into a streak of light and quickly darted into the ring on Xiao Yan's finger. The next moment, two figures walked out of the small stone house in the corner of the valley. They were none other than Du Gubo and Du Guyan, the grandfather and granddaughter. Du Guyan changed greatly, her originally slightly pale little face now revealed a healthy ruddy glow. Her pair of eyes were bright and spirited, and the aura around her body was much more solid than before. Clearly, that venom pill had successfully transformed the toxins within her body and had already begun to play a preliminary role. Grandpa, where's little brother Xiao Yan? Du Guyan walked out and didn't see Xiao Yan at first glance. Du Gubo's gaze cast toward the direction of the ice and fire yin-yang well, and then his entire body abruptly froze. He saw Xiao Yan sitting cross-legged in the center of the ice and fire yin-yang well, his body half submerged in the pool water, while the surrounding spring water slowly rotated. Little freak. Seeing this, Du Gubo's expression changed drastically in shock, and his voice even went out of tune. Hurry up and come out, even this old man doesn't dare to approach that pool water easily. Saying this, out of anxious concern, he even raised his foot to rush into the pool water. Grandpa, Du Guyan was quick-eyed and fast-handed, grabbing Du Gubo's arm. Don't go, look. Being grabbed by her and just about to shake her off, Du Gubo heard his granddaughter's words, subconsciously stopped his steps, and looked along her gaze. Only to see that. Xiao Yan sat quietly in the center of the pool water without any expression of pain on his face. On the contrary, his breathing was steady, and although the pool water around his body flowed endlessly, it seemed as if it had been tamed by him. Gently circling around him without a trace of violent signs. Du Gubo looked at this scene and was stunned. He had lived beside this ice and fire yin-yang well for decades and knew the terror of this pool water better than anyone else. Either of those spring water with extreme attributes could make people wish they were dead, let alone soaking in both at the same time. Even a titled Duluo like him could at most stay on the shore and didn't dare to approach. Yet the little freak before him actually sat directly in the center of the pool water and even looked like he was enjoying it. Really, Du Gubo couldn't help shaking his head, his mouth twitching slightly. The nickname wasn't wrong at all. He really is a little freak. Hearing her grandfather's exclamation, Du Guyan couldn't help letting out a chuckle. The grandfather and granddaughter stood on the shore, looking at Xiao Yan who was cultivating with his eyes closed in the pool water, and tacitly did not make a sound to disturb him. Du Gubo paced back and forth on the shore a few times, then looked up at the sky, seeing that Xiao Yan showed no signs of waking up anytime soon. Hesitating for a moment, he turned his head and said to Du Guyan. Yanzi, after taking the venom pill, you have now broken through level 30 as well. It's just right to go hunt a soul beast and obtain your third soul ring. Hearing this, Du Guyan's eyes lit up. All right. Let's go. Du Gubo took his granddaughter's hand, took one last look at Xiao Yan sitting peacefully in the ice and fire yin-yang well, and not knowing if Xiao Yan could hear him, he left the sentence. Little freak, this old man is taking Yanzi to hunt a soul beast. Saying that, he brought Du Guyan and flew out of the ice and fire yin-yang well. The figures of the two passed through the poisonous fog barrier and disappeared into the distance. Not long after Du Gubo and Du Guyan, the grandfather and granddaughter, left, Xiao Yan slowly opened his eyes. A flash of sharp light crossed his eyes, which then quickly vanished. He stretched his muscles and bones, preparing to find an excuse to enter the bottom of the pool to take a look at the corpses of those two dragon kings. But right at this moment, Xiao Yan. Yao Lao's voice suddenly sounded in his mind. Don't rush to come out. There seems to be something at the bottom of this pool. Xiao Yan's movement paused. He didn't expect that his teacher had actually discovered it. However, it happened that he hadn't thought of an excuse to enter the bottom of the pool yet. Thinking of this, Xiao Yan feigned puzzlement and frowned. Something, teacher, what have you sensed? Go down and take a look, and you'll know. There was a hint of curiosity in Yao Lao's voice. This teacher can feel that there is an extremely pure energy fluctuation at the bottom of the pool. Although it has been dormant for who knows how many years, it still hasn't completely dissipated. Xiaoyan nodded, took a deep breath, sank his figure, and dived toward the depths of the ice and fire yin-yang well. The pool water flowed past his ears, half scorching and half freezing, with two completely different currents intersecting around him. The further down he went, the greater the pressure of the pool water, and the energy of those two extreme attributes became even more violent. But for Xiaoyan, whose body had been tempered by the heavenly flame, these were nothing at all. Not knowing how long he had been sinking, Xiaoyan's feet finally stepped on the bottom of the pool. Before his eyes, two huge skeletons lay quietly at the bottom of the pool, one on the left and one on the right, distinctly separate. The skeleton on the left was entirely crimson red, and even though it had fallen for many years, it still exuded a scorching aura. The skeleton on the right was entirely ice blue, exuding a bone-chilling coldness. The two skeletons were astonishingly huge, and every single bone was as thick as an adult's waist. Yao Lao's voice came from the ring. It looks like the remains of two dragon-type soul beasts. Their attributes are completely opposite, one fire and one ice. The strange pool water and the medicinal herbs all over the ground above should have been born because of their fall. Their strength during their lifetime was probably close to around 1 star dozun. Xiaoyan nodded, his gaze falling upon those two skeletons, and he calculated inwardly. Right at this moment, two streams of light suddenly drifted out from the two skeletons, transforming into two illusory figures. The figure on the left was entirely crimson red, with a dragon head and a human body, a stalwart figure, and an angry flame burning in a pair of dragon pupils. The figure on the right was entirely ice blue, but instead of a dragon head and human body, it took the image of a cold and aloof woman. The Fire Dragon King's residual soul spoke first, its voice echoing like muffled thunder at the bottom of the pool. Human. I didn't expect that after being here for so many years, the first living creature this king sees would actually be a human. Although I don't know how you came here, since you're here, stay here. Looking at the two residual souls before him, Xiaoyan didn't show the least bit of fear, instead, he smiled. He shook his head and said in a casual tone. Stay here, that won't do. I came here for the soul bones of both of you. How could I return empty-handed? Chapter 53. How strong must you have been in your prime? Hearing this, the Fire Dragon King became completely furious. Human. His voice caused the pool water to tremble. Although this king has been reduced to this state, he is not someone a mere brat like you can provoke. Since you want to die, this king will grant your wish. As he spoke, flames surged around him, and the remaining power within his remnant soul began to gather, as if he was about to make a move. However, Xiaoyan did not even lift an eyelid, simply calling out indifferently, Teacher. The moment his voice fell, Yao Lao's figure drifted out from behind Xiaoyan, his transparent soul body blocking the front of Xiaoyan, emitting an unfathomable pressure all over his body. That pressure was not fierce, but like an invisible mountain, it instantly pressed down upon the remnant souls of the Fire Dragon King and the Ice Dragon King. The Fire Dragon King's body suddenly stiffened, and the expression of the Ice Dragon King also changed drastically. They looked at Yao Lao's figure, their eyes filled with disbelief. You, who are you? The Fire Dragon King's voice was trembling. You are clearly in a soul state just like us, yet you can possess such a powerful sense of oppression. How strong must you have been at your peak? Why have I never heard of an expert like you? Yao Lao did not answer. Instead, he thought for a moment, flipped his right hand, and the bone-chilling flame rose within his palm. The ghostly white flame danced at the bottom of the pool, emitting an eerie glow. This is the bone-chilling flame. It was born in a place of extreme cold and extreme yin, nurtured by heaven and earth, and is known as a heavenly flame. To tell you the truth, my disciple and I are actually not people from your world. The Fire Dragon King and the Ice Dragon King exchanged glances, seeing shock in each other's eyes. Not people of this world. How could this be possible? But it made sense. If the other party were a person of their world and so powerful, his reputation would have spread far and wide long ago. How could they know nothing about it? Yao Lao ignored their shock and continued speaking. Just now, I took a look. I estimate that if the origins of both of you are fused, you might artificially create a heavenly flame similar to my bone-chilling flame. Although I don't know if it can compare to a true heavenly flame, it is worth a try. Hearing this, the expressions of the Fire Dragon King and the Ice Dragon King changed drastically. Impossible. There was absolute finality in the Fire Dragon King's voice. Although we are no match for you, at worst we will perish together. The Ice Dragon King also chimed in. Indeed, you should also know that without our origins, our remnant souls will. This old man hasn't finished speaking yet. What are you two rushing for? Yao Lao interrupted the Ice Dragon King, displeased ly, his tone carrying a trace of impatience. He extended a finger and gently tapped. A faint light flew out from his fingertips, merging into the glabella of the Fire Dragon King and the Ice Dragon King. That was information regarding resurrection from the burning technique. The moment the speck of light merged into their remnant souls, the bodies of the Fire Dragon King and the Ice Dragon King simultaneously shook, a trace of shock flashing through their eyes. Looking at them, Yao Lao continued to explain. This is a method of resurrection. If the two of you can use your own origins to nurture a heavenly flame and let my disciple devour it. In the future, this method can be used to resurrect both of you. Think about it, even if we do not take your origins, how much longer can the two of you drag out your lingering breaths? Yet no matter how long the time is, can you ever wait for a chance at resurrection? The Fire Dragon King and the Ice Dragon King fell silent. Although they had fallen for many years, their remnant souls had always been dormant at the bottom of the pool. They knew their own condition better than anyone else. In not many more years, their remnant souls would completely dissipate, never leaving any trace behind again. And the resurrection method transmitted by Yao Lao had opened a brand new door for them. More importantly, within the information Yao Lao transmitted to them, he deliberately revealed details about the experts of the Fighting Qi continent. Those fragmented pieces of information regarding high-level Dozun and Dosheng allowed the Fire Dragon King and the Ice Dragon King to discover something. Those god kings of the god realm in their understanding were actually nothing compared to the true experts of the Fighting Qi continent. The Fire Dragon King and the Ice Dragon King exchanged a glance. They fell silent for a moment. The Fire Dragon King took a deep breath and spoke first. I agree. The Ice Dragon King also nodded. I agree as well. In fact, the reason they agreed so readily was because they had thought it through, feeling from the bottom of their hearts that rather than lingering on with their last breaths waiting to die here, it would be better to take a gamble. Having made up his mind, the Fire Dragon King took the lead in asking Xiaoyan. Our soul bones can transform into soul bones for any part of your body. Where do you want them? The left arm, the right arm, or the torso? Speak, since we have already agreed, this king will not go back on his word. Hurry up and choose before we change our minds. Xiaoyan hesitated almost not at all, speaking directly, an external soul bone. An external soul bone? The Fire Dragon King was slightly stunned. Human, you better think this through. Although external soul bones possess growth potential, our soul bones are already powerful enough. Just how much further can they grow? Moreover, in terms of amplification effects, external soul bones are far inferior to torso and limb bones. Xiaoyan shook his head. I want an external one on the left and one on the right, to fuse with my purple cloud wings. Having said that, behind his back, the purple cloud wings unfolded. The purple light wings emitted a soft glow at the bottom of the pool, with a wingspan of over a jong, and intricate patterns flowed across the wing bones. The moment the Fire Dragon King and the Ice Dragon King saw the purple cloud wings, a trace of surprise flashed through their eyes. Seeing this, the Fire Dragon King pondered for a moment. Very well. Since you insist, this king will grant your wish. The Ice Dragon King also nodded. So be it. External soul bones, one on the left and one on the right, fusing with this pair of wings of yours. It just so happens that this king and the Ice Dragon King are ice and fire respectively, with completely opposite attributes. They happen to be suitable for making a pair of wings. With that said, the two huge skeletons vibrated simultaneously. The crimson-red skeleton and the ice-blue skeleton simultaneously lit up with dazzling brilliance. Xiaoyan could feel two completely different forces surging out from those two skeletons, gathering towards his purple cloud wings. That power was scorching like fire, yet carried a piercing chill. The two extreme attributes intertwined, yet they did not repel each other. Instead, it was as if they had undergone countless years of tempering, forming a certain wondrous balance. Go! The Fire Dragon King and the Ice Dragon King let out a low shout simultaneously. The two external soul bones flew out at the same time, one on the left and one on the right, precisely adhering to Xiaoyan's purple cloud wings. The purple cloud wings trembled violently, emitting a dazzling purple radiance. Then, that purple light was swallowed by two rays of red and blue light. The purple feathered wings began to undergo changes. The left side turned crimson red, resembling a burning flame. The right side turned ice blue, resembling frozen frost. One red and one blue, one fire and one ice, unfurled behind Xiaoyan's back. The wingspan was a full fold larger than before. Xiaoyan's body shook violently, and a majestic force surged out from the soul bones, spreading along his meridians to his limbs and bones. He could feel that his purple cloud wings were undergoing a qualitative transformation. It was not only a change in color, but a sublimation of essence. Chapter 54, One-Star Doling. Xiaoyan's cultivation had already broken through to a one-star Great Dough Master because he ingested the medicinal pill refined by Yao Lao using the octagonal Xuanbing grass and blazing apricot Dao. And now, after the 2 million-year external spirit bones of the Ice and Fire Dragon Kings merged with his purple cloud wings, his cultivation and aura began to climb once again. In an instant, it reached the peak of a one-star Great Dough Master. However, this upward momentum did not stop. 2-star Great Dough Master. 3-star Great Dough Master. Breaking through all the way to a 3-star Great Dough Master, that upward momentum slowly weakened and finally stabilized completely. Even so, this was the result of him intentionally suppressing it to stabilize his foundation because his cultivation had broken through too quickly. Otherwise, he could have charged towards an even higher realm. Xiaoyan stood up, stretched his body, and flapped the wings behind him, stirring up a red and a blue stream of light. He could feel that the benefits brought by these two external spirit bones were far more than just an increase in cultivation. The base speed of the purple cloud wings had increased several times over. Furthermore, it also added the offensive abilities of the ice and fire attributes. If he encountered an enemy, he only needed to flap his wings to release an energy shockwave intertwining ice and fire. Not bad. Xiaoyan retracted his wings with satisfaction, looked toward the lingering souls of the two Ice and Fire Dragon Kings, and cupped his hands. The two of you, thank you. The Ice and Fire Dragon Kings did not answer Xiaoyan's words. They merely glanced at each other, seeing the same resolve in each other's eyes. Immediately afterward, they moved at the same time. The two lingering souls transformed into a red and a blue stream of light, converging toward the exact center of the pool bottom. The crimson red flames and ice blue cold chi intertwined and coiled in midair, emitting a chi-chi sound. The pool water began to surge violently. The pool water in the ice and fire yin-yang well dropped frantically at a speed visible to the naked eye. Xiaoyan hovered in midair, looking down at the changes at the bottom of the pool without making a sound to disturb them. He did not know how much time had passed. The pool water completely vanished. In its place was only a huge, bottomless deep pit. The walls of the pit were as smooth as a mirror, as if they had been melted from the inside by something. At the bottom of the deep pit, the two huge dragon skeletons that were originally there had completely disappeared without a trace. Replacing them was a burning flame. That flame was not big, only about the size of an adult's fist. It floated at the bottom of the deep pit, emitting a faint, eerie glow. Yet within the flame, there were two small figures chasing and playing. One was a miniature little fire dragon, crimson all over, with scorching flames lingering around its body. The other was a miniature little ice dragon, ice blue all over, emitting a bone-chilling cold chi around its body. The two little dragons chased each other, yet they were never separated. They continuously circled around the center of the flame, as if engaging in an endless game of play. One was yin cold, and the other was yang scorching. Two completely opposite forces merged together perfectly within this cluster of flames. Yao Lao's figure floated out from the ring. His transparent soul body hovered above the deep pit, looking down at that cluster of flames with a flash of pleasant surprise in his eyes. His voice carried a bit of surprise. Not bad. Originally, this teacher thought that after their origins fused, they could at most reach the level of a pseudo-heavenly flame. Unexpectedly, it actually reached the level of a heavenly flame. Xiaoyan looked at that cluster of flames, sensing the intertwined ice and fire aura emanating from within. After pondering for a moment, he spoke. This heavenly flame is one yin cold and one yang scorching. The two attributes are completely opposite yet interdependent. Let's call it the yin-yang dragon flame. As soon as Xiaoyan's voice fell, the lingering souls of the ice and fire dragon kings emerged from the flames. Their figures had become extremely illusory, as if they would dissipate at any moment. They were like a candle flickering in the wind, likely to be blown out at any time. Kid, the fire dragon king's voice was weak and hoarse. We cannot hold on much longer. Hurry up, we will help you devour this flame. The ice dragon king also nodded, saying in a weak tone. Take advantage of while we still have our last bit of strength. Hurry up. Hearing this, Xiaoyan did not hesitate nor act coy with nonsense. He took a deep breath, sat cross-legged on the ground, closed his eyes, and began to circulate the burning technique. The lingering souls of the ice and fire dragon kings moved at the same time. They transformed into a red and a blue light, burrowing into Xiaoyan's body, guiding the cluster of yin-yang dragon flames to slowly approach Xiaoyan's chi vortex. The moment the yin-yang dragon flame entered his body, Xiaoyan's body fiercely shuddered. He could feel that a force intertwining ice and fire was spreading through his meridians. With the help of the lingering souls of the ice and fire dragon kings, the process of devouring was surprisingly smooth. About the time of an incense stick later, the yin-yang dragon flame completely integrated into Xiaoyan's chi vortex, standing side by side with the green lotus core flame, beating quietly. Xiaoyan slowly opened his eyes. He could feel that the burning technique had evolved from the high Zon tier to the low D tier. And his cultivation had also directly broken through from the 3-star Great Dough Master to Douling. He stood up, extended his right hand, and with a thought, the yin-yang dragon flame surged up in his palm. It's done, Xiaoyan said in a low voice, his tone carrying joy. Yao Lao looked even happier than Xiaoyan. Not bad, I didn't expect that by devouring this artificially created heavenly flame, your kid's cultivation not only broke straight through to 1-star Douling, but the burning technique also evolved to the high D tier. Xiaoyan knew why teacher was so happy, because the green lotus core flame, the yin-yang dragon flame, plus teacher's own bone-chilling flame. Now the 3 heavenly flames required for resurrection had all been gathered. The condition that was hardest to fulfill had already been met, so how far could resurrection be? At this moment, Xiaoyan suddenly noticed that the lingering souls of the ice and fire dragon kings had become almost transparent. The fire dragon king's lingering soul had become so blurry that it was almost invisible, leaving only a faint outline. It opened its mouth, seeming to want to say something, but could not even produce a sound. The ice dragon king was the same. Looking at their crumbling appearance, Xiaoyan's heart tightened, and he was about to speak. The fire dragon king finally squeezed out the last few words. Kid, don't forget your promise. Resurrect us. As the words fell, the 2 lingering souls completely lost consciousness, fell into a deep sleep, and drifted down toward the ground. Teacher, Xiaoyan's voice carried a bit of eagerness. Yao Lao's figure floated out from the ring. With a wave of his right hand, a gentle soul power enveloped the 2 lingering souls that were about to dissipate, and with a gentle pull, he collected them into the ring. Yao Lao's voice carried a bit of composure. Rest assured. Although their lingering souls are weak, as long as they are properly nourished, they will recover sooner or later. Xiaoyan let out a sigh of relief, cupped his hands toward Yao Lao, and said, thank you, teacher. Yao Lao waved his hand, didn't say much more, and turned into a ray of light, drilling back into the ring. Xiaoyan leapt forward, stood at the edge of the deep pit, and looked down at the empty giant pit beneath his feet. The ice and fire yin-yang well no longer existed. That pool of water, together with the skeletons and origins of the 2 dragon kings, had all transformed into the yin-yang dragon flame inside Xiaoyan's body. Just after Xiaoyan finished picking all the immortal herbs and storing them into the ring. Chapter 55, Yanzi, what do you think of little freak? Du Gubo and Du Guyan, the grandfather and granddaughter duo, had returned. But when Du Gubo's gaze landed on that massive deep pit, he froze entirely. He stared blankly at the empty giant pit before him, then raised his head to look around. He rubbed his eyes, confirming that he hadn't come to the wrong place. After a moment of silence, he finally turned his head. He looked at Xiaoyan, opened his mouth, closed it again, and then opened it once more, wearing a tangled expression of wanting to speak but hesitating. In the end, he still couldn't help but speak out. Little freak, what on earth did you kid do? It would be one thing if these precious herbs were plucked clean, but how did even this pool of water dry up? His finger pointed at the massive deep pit, and his fingertips were trembling slightly. The ice and fire yin-yang well, this treasured land he had guarded for decades, now only had a dried up giant pit left. The bottom of the pit was smooth as a mirror, without even a single drop of water left behind. Xiaoyan glanced at him and said casually. What, old poison, does your heart ache? Hearing this, Du Gubo was stunned, and then hurriedly waved his hands to say. What would my heart ache for? These things haven't belonged to this old man for a long time. Since this old man gave the medicinal garden to you, every blade of grass and tree here belongs to you. Toss it however you want, this old man has absolutely nothing to say against it. Although he spoke passionately with his mouth, a trace of heartache still couldn't help flashing through those eyes. After all, it was a place he had guarded for decades, and it disappeared just like that. Anyone in his shoes would react to it. Watching his appearance, Xiaoyan didn't expose him either. Du Gubo took a deep breath, suppressed the heartache in his heart, and put on a warm expression. Little freak, what plans do you have next? Would you like to go sit at this old man's residence in the Heaven Dough Empire? My place is also considered quiet and elegant, and it just happens to let Yanzi properly thank you. Du Guyan also stepped forward, looking at Xiaoyan with sparkling eyes. Little brother Xiaoyan, come on, let's go Tilda. My home is huge, and there are lots of delicious things. Xiaoyan had originally planned to return directly to the Fighting Chi continent. But looking at Du Gubo's eager expression and Du Guyan's sparkling eyes, he truly couldn't find a way to decline. Alright, he nodded, then I'll be imposing on you. Seeing Xiaoyan agree, a trace of joy flashed through Du Gubo's eyes, and then, as if remembering something, he turned his head to say to Du Guyan. Yanzi, Grandpa was slightly injured when helping you hunt soul beasts just now, so it's inconvenient to bring anyone along. You should just follow along with little freak. Having said that, he didn't even wait for Du Guyan to respond, directly unleashing his martial soul possession. 9 spirit rings lit up simultaneously, and the phantom of the Japhis 4 Serpent Emperor emerged behind him. His figure shot up into the sky like a green bolt of lightning, flying in the direction of the Heaven Dough Empire with a speed so fast that not even a shadow was left behind. Xiaoyan. Du Guyan. She stood in place, the expression on her face changing from astonishment to bewilderment and then to annoyance. Within a few seconds, it shifted through several colors, ultimately turning into a crimson flush. Grandpa is truly shameless. Du Guyan stamped her foot and cursed bitterly and softly. What injury? As a dignified rank 96 titled Duluo, there are no soul beasts in the entire Sunset Forest that can injure him. He was clearly doing it on purpose. After cursing, she raised her head again, looking at Xiaoyan somewhat awkwardly while her fingers unconsciously twisted the corner of her clothes, her voice becoming much quieter. Little brother Xiaoyan, don't believe Grandpa's words, he wasn't injured at all. Once we get home, I'll pluck out all his beard. Speaking to this point, she paused for a moment and then added. It's fine, if you don't want to carry me, I can also walk back by myself. By the last sentence, her voice became even smaller, carrying a somewhat aggrieved meaning as she looked eagerly at Xiaoyan. Seeing her like this, how could Xiaoyan possibly leave her alone in the Sunset Forest? So he spoke up. It's fine, I'll take you with me. The words fell. The twin wings behind his back unfolded. One red and one blue, one fire and one ice, two streams of light stretched out behind him. Their wingspan was more than double what it was before, exuding an aura where ice and fire intertwined. Wow. Du Guyan's eyes instantly lit up, and she let out an exclamation without hiding it. These wings are so pretty. Xiaoyan didn't give her too much time to be amazed. He stepped forward, gently wrapped his right arm around her waist, and lifted her up. Let's go. Hey. Before Du Guyan could react, her entire person had already been brought up into the sky by Xiaoyan. The wind whistled past her ears, and the sunset forest below rapidly shrank, transforming into a dark green patch. She subconsciously reached out to grab the corner of Xiaoyan's clothes, her heartbeat speeding up by a few beats, though not out of fear. She secretly raised her head to look at Xiaoyan's profile, Du Guyan's thoughts drifting back to a short while ago. That was what was said during a gap in hunting soul beasts, when Grandpa Dugubo brought her to sit on a cliff to rest. Yanzi, what do you think of little freak? Dugubo's tone was casual, but those eyes carried a trace of seriousness. Du Guyan was organizing her newly acquired spirit ring at the time, and hearing this without thinking much, she casually replied. Very good, he's our benefactor and is very strong. Even though he's younger than me, he can. Yan, Dugubo suddenly interrupted her words, his tone a bit more serious than before. Grandpa's meaning is, do you have any thoughts of a man and a woman regarding little freak? Du Guyan's movement suddenly stiffened, and she almost failed to hold onto the spirit ring in her hand. Her face instantly flushed red, as if she had been scalded by something, and her voice raised by an octave. Grandpa, what nonsense are you talking about? Dugubo wasn't frightened by her bristling appearance. Instead, he leisurely stroked those few beard strands that had turned back to black, his tone carrying the composure of someone who had been through it all. Grandpa isn't talking nonsense. Grandpa is serious. If you truly have that intention, Grandpa will risk this old face of mine to help matchmake for you. Little freak is a natural-born genius. Grandpa has lived for so many years and has never seen someone like him. If you miss out on him, I dare guarantee that it will be practically impossible for you to find another natural-born genius like him in the future. Du Guyan lowered her head, her fingers unconsciously twisting the corner of her clothes, and the blush on her face spread all the way to the roots of her ears. She didn't answer, but that bashful appearance already explained everything. Ha ha ha. Seeing this, Dugubo naturally understood his granddaughter and couldn't help bursting into loud laughter. All right, Grandpa knows. Don't be anxious, after we get back, Grandpa will help you keep him here for a few more days. At this moment, Du Guyan's thoughts returned to reality. Her face was still somewhat burning. She secretly raised her head to look at Xiaoyan's profile close at hand. The wind blew his hair up slightly, and his gaze looked straight ahead, focused and calm. She suddenly felt that her heartbeat was a bit fast. We've arrived. Xiaoyan's voice suddenly rang out, pulling Du Guyan back from those messy thoughts. She looked down, and a fairly large-scale mansion had already appeared beneath her feet. Built against the mountain, the mansion had white walls and dark tiles, nestled within a lush green bamboo forest, looking serene and elegant. At the entrance of the mansion, Dugubo was standing there, stroking his beard with a smug expression on his face, clearly having returned ahead of time. Chapter 56. He is still young and hasn't figured things out yet. Xiaoyan brought Du Guyan down slowly and put away his wings. Little freak, how is it? This residence of mine is quite nice, right? Dugubo walked up to them, his tone carrying a hint of boastfulness. Although it's not as miraculous as the medicine garden, it has the advantage of being quiet and suitable for cultivation. Xiaoyan nodded, looked around, and evaluated. It's indeed not bad. Du Guyan walked past Xiaoyan. When she passed in front of Dugubo, she glared fiercely at him. Come, little freak, hurry and go inside the house. Dugubo turned sideways to lead the way, his face full of smiles. I've already had people prepare things. Later on, we'll have a good drink together. Xiaoyan was pulled by Dugubo into the mansion. The interior of the Dugu residence looked even more exquisite than its exterior, with pavilions, towers, small bridges, and flowing water, everywhere exuding a low-key elegance. It was evident that although Dugubo usually didn't care about his image, he had still put in some effort regarding his living environment. Dugubo greeted Xiaoyan to sit down in the living room, then turned his head to instruct a servant nearby. Go, book a table of the best food and wine at the Seven Treasures restaurant. We will go over in half an hour. The servant acknowledged the order and left. Half an hour later, the three of them arrived at the Seven Treasures restaurant. From the name alone, one could tell this was an industry of the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile School. Across the entire Duluo continent, the only one that used the two characters, Seven Treasures, as a restaurant signboard was the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile School. The restaurant had 3 floors, carved beams and painted pillars, and was exceptionally magnificent. The greeters at the entrance were all brightly dressed and respectful in attitude. The greeters at the entrance were stunned for a moment upon seeing Dugubo, but immediately recognized his identity and hurriedly bowed in salute, their attitude even more respectful than toward the guests who had just entered. Your Excellency Dugu, the food and wine are already prepared. Please follow me. Dugubo nodded without saying much, following the greeter up to the 3rd floor. The most luxurious private room was set facing the street, offering an excellent view. Through the window, one could overlook the entire bustling street, and the furnishings inside the private room were even more exquisite. Redwood tables and chairs, silk screens, a few calligraphy and painting scrolls hanging on the walls, and a faint sandalwood burning in the incense burner in the corner. The dishes were quickly served, complete in color, aroma, and taste, filling up a whole table. Dugubo had the attendants bring up a few more bottles of fine wine and waved away all the serving maidens, leaving only the 3 of them in the private room. Come, little freak, I'm happy today, accompany this old man for a few cups. Dugubo poured a cup of wine for Xiaoyan and filled his own cup. Du Guyan sat beside Xiaoyan, quietly pouring wine and picking food for him. From time to time, she secretly glanced at him, then quickly lowered her head, pretending as if nothing had happened. After 3 rounds of drinks, Dugubo's cheeks were slightly flushed, but his eyes were startlingly bright. He put down his wine glass and suddenly asked, Little freak, what do you think of our Yanzi? Xiaoyan was picking up food and was stunned for a moment upon hearing this. Thinking Dugubo was drunk and wanted to hear people praise his granddaughter, he didn't think much and casually replied. Miss Dugu is very good, outstanding in appearance and top tier in talent. No. Before Xiaoyan could finish speaking, Dugubo waved his hand, interrupting him, and deliberately put on a drunken appearance, leaning closer by a few inches. This old man doesn't mean that. This old man means, do you have that kind of intention toward our Yanzi? Xiaoyan. He put down his chopsticks and looked at Dugubo's eyes flashing with shrewd light. How could he not know that this old fellow wasn't drunk at all and was just pretending to be drunk to fish for words? Old poison, Xiaoyan said speechlessly. What kind of random matchmaker are you playing? How old am I, and how old is your granddaughter? Hearing this, Du Gubo was not discouraged at all. Instead, he chuckled and stroked his beard, saying, So what if our Yanzi is a bit older than you? Women who are a bit older know how to cherish people. You're just young right now and don't understand yet. Once you grow up, you'll know. As he spoke, he even blinked at Xiaoyan, and that expression was as wretched as it could possibly get. Just as Xiaoyan was about to open his mouth to refute, the voice of Yao Lao inside the ring suddenly popped out, carrying obvious interest and teasing in his voice. Hee, this kid is right. Besides, you kid have already taken a fancy to Medusa. Just how old is Medusa? Compared to Medusa, what is the age gap between you and this little girl? The corners of Xiaoyan's mouth twitched, and he telepathically retorted in his heart. Teacher, why are you joining in the mess too? Yao Lao chuckled and stopped speaking. Xiaoyan took a deep breath, looked at Du Gubo's expectant eyes, and then glanced at Du Guyan next to him, who had her head lowered and her earlobes completely red. In the end, he still chose to politely decline. Old poison, let's forget about this matter. I'm still young and haven't thought about these things for now. Du Guyan's body stiffened slightly. She didn't raise her head, she only exerted a bit of force with her fingers holding the wine cup, her knuckles turning somewhat white. Du Gubo looked at Xiaoyan's serious expression, sighed, and didn't continue this topic further. Fine, it was this old man who was abrupt. Come, drink. He picked up his wine glass and drank it in one gulp, as if nothing had happened just now. Xiaoyan also picked up his wine glass, took a sip, but felt somewhat helpless in his heart. After eating and drinking to his fill, Xiaoyan was preparing to return to the Dugu residence. But suddenly, he felt the shuttle talisman in his storage ring vibrate slightly. Calmly and composedly, he grasped the shuttle talisman in his hand, and a piece of information transmitted into his mind along his fingertips. The shuttle talisman lacks sufficient energy and will forcibly return to the fighting Qi continent in half an hour. Xiaoyan's heart stirred. Time was running out. Thinking of this, he put down his wine glass, stood up, and cupped his hands in salute toward Du Gubo and Du Guyan. Old poison, Miss Dugu, this junior still has important matters to attend to, so I will take my leave now. Du Gubo was stunned. Leaving so soon? Stay for a few more days. Du Guyan also raised her head, her eyes carrying a hint of reluctance. Little brother Xiaoyan, are you leaving just like this? Xiaoyan shook his head, his tone resolute. I truly have an urgent matter. I will come again another day to disturb you. Having said that, without waiting for the two of them to urge him to stay further, he unfurled the pair of wings on his back, and two streams of light, one red and one blue, spread out behind him. He leapt out of the windowsill and flew toward the direction of the sunset forest. Du Gubo and Du Guyan stood by the window, watching that figure quickly disappear into the air. Du Guyan gazed at the direction where Xiaoyan left. After remaining silent for a long time, she softly said, Grandpa, he really left. Du Gubo sighed, reached out, and rubbed her hair. Yanzi, although the little freak refused. But Grandpa feels that's because he's still young right now and hasn't figured things out in that aspect yet. Once he grows up and figures things out in the future, if you, a girl, are a bit more proactive, are you afraid you won't be able to win him over? Before his voice faded, Du Gubo felt his beard being grabbed. Grandpa, what nonsense are you spouting? Du Guyan blushed, but her hands showed no mercy. Ouch, my beard is coming off, quickly let go. On the other side. After Xiaoyan flew a sufficient distance away and confirmed that there was no one around, he grasped the shuttle talisman in his hand and injected fighting chi into it. Golden light enshrouded him. Chapter 57, Returning to the fighting Qi continent. The next instant, the world spun. Xiaoyan's figure disappeared from where he stood, as if he had never appeared at all. And the very moment he left, in a certain corner of the distant Heaven Do Empire, a pair of eyes suddenly cast toward the direction where he disappeared. That was the figure of a woman standing atop a high tower, her long hair blown by the night wind, revealing an exquisitely beautiful face. There were teardrops hanging on her face, yet her eyes were filled with determination. Brother Xiaoyan. She murmured softly, her voice drifting in the wind. Is it you? You clearly noticed Shui just now, why didn't you come down to see me? I will definitely find you. You also said that we will definitely meet again. Xiaoyan's figure dissipated within the golden light. The next instant, he had already appeared within the familiar courtyard. He opened his eyes. Sunlight was pouring in from outside the window, imbued with a clear morning light and carrying the unique aura of heaven and earth Yuan Qi belonging to the fighting Qi continent. He was slightly stunned. At this moment, he even felt somewhat dazed, as if his experiences of that month in the Duluo continent were just a long dream. Yet the surging Doling aura within his body, and the yin-yang dragon flame burning quietly within his Qi cyclone, were both clearly telling him, it was all real. He had returned. But this time, felt a bit wrong. He muttered uncertainly to himself. I stayed in the Duluo continent for at least a month, how come here, it feels like only a single night has passed. Yao Lao's voice drifted out from the storage ring, carrying a bit of certainty. It should be that the time flow rates of the two worlds are different. The Duluo continent and the fighting Qi continent are not in the same space-time, so it's not strange that there's a difference in time flow rates. Xiaoyan nodded, and just as he was about to carefully sense it, footsteps had already come from outside the door. Thump. The knocking on the door was crisp and urgent. Xiaoyan walked over and pulled the door open. Standing outside the door were three little lasses. Xiao Zuner stood at the very front, still wearing a light and elegant cyan robe, her long hair simply tied behind her head, a pair of beautiful eyes watching him. Xiao Yixian stood behind her on the left, holding a small cloth bag in her arms, her eyes curving into crescent moons as she looked at Xiaoyan. As for Qinglin, she hid behind Xiao Yixian, revealing only half of her small head. Why did the three of you come together? Xiaoyan was somewhat surprised. However, you've come just at the right time, as I happen to have something to give you all. He took out 3 jade boxes from his bosom and handed them respectively into the hands of the 3 little lasses. The jade boxes were warm all over, bringing a trace of warmth upon contact, and a faint medicinal fragrance could vaguely be smelled drifting from the cracks. These are 3 medicinal pills, Xiaoyan explained. They all play the role of consolidating the foundation and nurturing the origin, and even have a bit of effect in enhancing one's aptitude. He looked towards Xiao Zuner and Xiao Yixian. The 2 of you can take them right now, or consume them later, either is fine. Then he looked towards Qinglin, squatting down to look at her at eye level. Qinglin, don't rush to take it yet, wait until you pass through the Doji Chi stage and break through to a Do practitioner before taking it, the effect will be even better. You are still young now, and the medicinal power is too strong, I'm afraid you won't be able to absorb it. Qinglin held the jade box with both hands, nodded heavily, and her voice was crisp. MN, Qinglin will listen to Big Brother. The grades of all 3 medicinal pills reached tier 7. Xiao Zuner originated from the Jiyu clan, what kind of medicinal pills had she not seen? With a single glance, she recognized the extraordinary nature of these medicinal pills. But seeing that Xiao Yan did not actively mention it, she wisely did not ask. In the dark, Ling Ying's aura fluctuated slightly. He was hidden in the shadows outside the courtyard wall, his gaze falling upon the jade box in Xiao Zuner's hands. Silently for a moment, a trace of envy couldn't help welling up in his heart. Tier 7 medicinal pills. Just what did this young master Xiao Yan experience when training outside? Xiao Yan did not know Ling Ying's thoughts. He then took out another thing from his storage ring. That was a medicinal herb that was blood red all over, with its leaves seeming to flow with fresh blood, emitting a bizarre and dense aura. Xiao Yixian, this is for you. He handed the blood red swan's kiss in front of Xiao Yixian. Xiao Yixian blinked her eyes, curiously took that medicinal herb, and lowered her head to examine it closely. This medicinal herb is called blood red swan's kiss. It has only one function, to magnify the toxicity of any poison it comes into contact with by 100 or even 1,000 times. However, given its grade, it should only be able to take effect on poisons of tier 7 or below. But with your current strength, it's enough. Hearing this, Xiao Yixian's movement suddenly stiffened. She raised her head and looked towards Xiao Yan, her pair of eyes instantly brimming with crystalline light. She lowered her head to look at the blood-red medicinal herb in her hands, her fingers trembling slightly, and even her voice became somewhat astringent. Brother Xiao Yan, this. Take it. Xiao Yan smiled and rubbed her head, it suits you best. Xiao Yixian nodded heavily, carefully storing the blood-red swan's kiss into her bosom, holding it tightly as if hugging some rare peerless treasure. She sniffed her nose, striving to make herself sound not so emotional. Thank you, Brother Xiao Yan. Xiao Zuner and Qinglin stood to the side, watching this scene. There was no jealousy in their eyes, nor was there envy. They both knew that what Xiao Yan said was right. This medicinal herb was the most suitable for Xiao Yixian, giving it to them would instead be a waste. Looking at Xiao Yixian's appearance of treating it like an absolute treasure, Xiao Yan still felt somewhat uneasy and couldn't help speaking up to urge. Xiao Yixian, I've given the medicinal herb to you, you must weigh it carefully and use it in moderation. Don't let me find out that you can't control yourself and use it indiscriminately. If I find out, I'm going to take it back. Hearing this, Xiao Yixian clenched her small fists, nodded heavily, and guaranteed with a serious expression. Rest assured, Brother Xiao Yan, I know, I will definitely hold back. After she finished speaking, she lowered her head again, looking at the blood-red medicinal herb in her bosom, the corners of her mouth subconsciously curling up. At this time, Brother Xiao Yan, let's go stroll outside. Xiao Zuner suddenly spoke up, looking at Xiao Yan with sparkling eyes. Xiao Yixian also nodded along, very obviously moved by this proposal. Although Qinglin didn't speak, that pair of emerald green big eyes was also filled with anticipation. Her small hand had already subconsciously grabbed the corner of Xiao Yan's clothes, clearly wanting to go. Before Xiao Yan had time to say whether he was willing or not, he was dragged out of the Xiao family's main gates by the 3 little asses, pulling and tugging. The streets of Wudin City were much livelier than in Xiao Yan's memory. Perhaps because it was currently the peak season for merchant caravans coming and going, both sides of the street were filled with various stalls, and shouts rose and fell one after another. Xiao Zuner walked on his left side, her gaze curiously sweeping over those stalls, yet maintaining her restraint without easily stopping her footsteps. As for Xiao Yixian, she was completely of another style, like a joyful butterfly, flying over to look here for a moment, then flying over to touch there the next, wishing she could browse every single stall. As for Qinglin, she quietly followed by Xiao Yan's side, her small hand holding onto the corner of his clothes, occasionally standing on tiptoes to curiously look at this and gaze at that, so well behaved that it made one's heart ache. 3 girls, 3 personalities, yet walking together they were exceptionally harmonious. Chapter 58, Zhao Liao's Provocation. Wow, Brother Xiao Yan, look at this. Xiao Yixian suddenly stopped in front of a stall, pointing at a string of crystal beads and letting out an exclamation. The bead bracelet was indeed pretty, and the transparent crystal beads refracted a shimmering light under the sunlight. Although it could not be considered anything valuable, its advantage lay in being exquisite and compact, making it very suitable for a young girl to wear. Xiao Yan walked over, took a glance, and then looked to the side. Xiao Xuaner's gaze lingered on a pair of cyan earrings for a split second, although she quickly looked away, it did not escape Xiao Yan's eyes. Qinglin squatted in the corner of the stall, curiously staring at a tiny silver bell. The bell was only the size of a fingernail, and upon the slightest touch, it emitted a crisp and pleasant sound. Boss, this bead bracelet, this pair of earrings, and this bell. Xiao Yan pointed at those 3 items, took out a few gold coins from his bosom, and placed them on the stall. I want all of them. The stall owner was stunned for a moment, then his face filled with smiles as he hurriedly wrapped up the 3 items and handed them over. All right, young master has a good eye. These 3 items are all top quality goods. Xiao Yixian took the bead bracelet, her eyebrows curving with joy, and immediately put it on her wrist. She looked at it from left to right, extremely satisfied. Qinglin took the silver bell, carefully cupped it in her palm, and gently shook it. Listening to the crisp ringing, a sweet smile appeared on her small face. Xiao Yan handed the earrings in front of Xiao Xuaner. For you. Xiao Xuaner was slightly startled. Looking at the pair of cyan earrings, she then raised her head to look at Xiao Yan, the corners of her lips unconsciously curving upwards. She did not decline, took the earrings, and gently put them on. That trace of cyan set off her already gentle and graceful temperament, making it even more outstanding. Thank you, Brother Xiao Yan. Her voice was very soft, yet it carried unmaskable joy. Just as the 3 girls were each admiring their small gifts, a discordant voice came from the side. Xiao Yan, to think you are still the 3rd young master of the Xiao family, isn't this too stingy of you? You are giving Miss Zuner such trashy trinkets. Xiao Yan looked towards the source of the voice. The speaker was a youth of about 10-odd years old with a handsome appearance and a rather pale complexion, looking somewhat overbearing. He wore a brocaded robe of good texture, with a jade pendant hanging at his waist, and was followed by a dozen or so guards behind him, making quite a grand display. As he spoke, his gaze kept roaming over Xiao Xuaner and Xiao Yixian, and the adoration in his eyes was undisguised. Zhao Liao. The young master of the Zhao Li clan, Xiao Yan had some impression of this person. A not too important character in the original work, he relied on his family's influence to run rampant in Wooden City and had always harbored malicious intentions towards Xiao Shuaner. Xiao Yan could not help but inwardly complain in his heart. I didn't expect the timeline to still be so early, and this little villain Zhao Liao has already taken the initiative to jump out and provoke. Is this the protagonist treatment? Although he thought so in his heart, Xiao Yan couldn't be bothered to entertain Zhao Liao verbally, directly spitting out a single word indifferently, scram. Zhao Liao's complexion instantly turned ugly. He did not expect Xiao Yan to give him zero face in front of so many people. Unable to save face, he gritted his teeth and ordered the guards behind him. Surround them for me. The dozen or so guards moved in response, quickly surrounding Xiao Yan and the others in the center, their hands resting on their weapons with hostile glares. The commotion here instantly attracted the attention of the surrounding people. Passers-by stopped in their tracks one after another, whispering and discussing among themselves. Isn't that the young master of the Zhao family? Is he making trouble for the Xiao family's third young master again? Xiao Yan, is it that legendary trash? What is Zhao Liao trying to do? Look quickly, the Xiao family's guard unit is here. Indeed. Not far away, a team of Xiao family guards rushed over upon hearing the news. Seeing their own third young master surrounded, they counter-surrounded Zhao Liao and his party without a second word. The two groups of people were at loggerheads, and the atmosphere instantly became tense. Zhao Liao's complexion became even uglier. He recognized the people from that guard unit. Those were Xiao Zhan's trusted aides, and the strongest among them had already reached the Dough Master level. How could the guards he brought possibly be their opponents? Seeing that Xiao Yan was about to lead the three girls through the crowd and leave, Zhao Liao panicked and shouted loudly towards Xiao Yan's back. Xiao Yan, can you only rely on your family's influence? If you are a man, have a fair duel with me. Do you dare? The surroundings instantly quieted down for a split second, and everyone's gaze fell on Xiao Yan. Xiao Shuaner stopped in her steps, turned around, and looked at Zhao Liao. Her tone was calm yet carried a trace of coldness. Zhao Liao, fair. You are almost 6 years older than brother Xiao Yan, and you still have the face to talk about fairness. Aren't you blushing when you say this? She tilted her head slightly, and those usually gentle eyes currently carried obvious mockery. Within the surrounding crowd, it was unknown who first let out a PFFT chuckle, and then the laughter spread rapidly through the crowd as if it were contagious. Ha ha ha, well said, young Master Zhao Lai, aren't you ashamed at all? Challenging a child 6 years younger than yourself, even if you win, what is there to brag about? If you ask me, the face of the Zhao Lai family has been completely disgraced by him. Zhao Liao's complexion turned alternately green and white, his fingers clenching until they clicked. He had originally wanted to provoke Xiao Yan into making a move, taking the opportunity to perform well in front of Xiao Shuaner, and preferably defeating Xiao Yan publicly so that Xiao Shuaner could clearly see who was more worthy of her. But he did not expect that Xiao Shuaner would actually stand up to speak for him and say things so harsh. You. Zhao Liao pointed at Xiao Shuaner, his lips trembling for a long time, yet he couldn't hold back a complete sentence. Xiao Yan did not have much of an expression, merely watching Zhao Liao's anxious and furious appearance with great interest. Xiao Yan, Zhao Liao finally squeezed out a sentence, his voice cracking. Just tell me straight, do you dare or not? You aren't chickening out, or are you saying you only know how to hide behind a woman? Enough. Xiao Yan suddenly spoke up, his voice not loud. He stepped forward, stood in front of Xiao Shuaner, looked at Zhao Liao, and spoke in a calm tone. Since you insist on courting death, then I will grant your wish. The moment the words fell, Zhao Liao's eyes lit up abruptly, and he had even prepared himself. He wanted to strike first the moment Xiao Yan agreed to the duel, seizing the initiative. But he had no chance. Only to see. Xiao Yan raised his right hand, across a distance of several zhong, and casually waved it. The movement was understated, as if he were shooing away an annoying fly. Yet with just this feather-light wave. Boom. Zhao Liao, along with the dozen or so guards behind him, simultaneously felt as if they had been hit head-on by an ancient vicious beast. Their bodies flew backward out of control like driftwood swept away by giant waves, slamming heavily against the wall behind them. The wall cracked in response, gravel flew everywhere, and dust filled the air. When the dust settled, an unfathomably deep large pit had appeared on that thick wall, with smooth pit walls as if it had been forcefully smashed out by something. Chapter 59 Wooden City is too small, it can only hold one Xiao family. Zhao Liao and his guards were embedded haphazardly in the pit, foaming at the mouth one by one, having completely lost consciousness. Among them were even those guards at the Dough practitioner level. The surrounding air froze at this moment. The members of the Xiao family guard team widened their mouths, looking blankly at the large pit, and then turned to look at Xiao Yan, as if looking at a humanoid fierce beast. A slap, a guard captain muttered to himself, his voice even trembling. Young Master Xiao Yan used just a slap. There are quite a few Dough practitioners among those subordinates. A slap blew away Dough practitioners. What realm is young Master Xiao Yan in now? How old is he? This is 2. Could he have already broken through to the high stage of Dough practitioner? The discussions rose and fell one after another, every word carrying unhidden shock. Xiao Yan ignored these discussions, just patted the non-existent dust on his hands, turned his head to look at Xiao Shuaner, Xiao Yixian, and Qing Lin, his tone returning to its usual casualness. Let's go, continue strolling. Xiao Shuaner nodded, a gentle smile reappearing on her face, as if nothing had happened just now. Xiao Yixian and Qing Lin also followed up. The three of them followed Xiao Yan, nonchalantly passing through the crowd, and continued walking forward along the street. Xiao Yan did not look back. Taking the three little girls, he strolled for a whole afternoon. Until sunset, the few of them leisurely returned to the Xiao family. However, as soon as Xiao Yan stepped into the Xiao family main gate, the housekeeper hurried up to meet him. Third young master, the patriarch asks you to go to the study, saying there is an important matter to discuss. Xiao Yan was slightly startled, roughly guessing what was going on in his heart, and turned to look at the three little girls. You guys go back and rest first, I'll go take a look. Xiao Shuaner nodded. Brother Xiao Yan, then we'll wait for you to eat together. MN. Xiao Yan watched the three girls walk towards the inner academy, turned around, and followed the housekeeper to the study. Inside the study, Xiao Zhan was sitting in the main seat, his brows slightly furrowed. Seeing Xiao Yan enter, he raised his hand to signal, Yuner, sit. Xiao Yan sat down on the nearby chair and got straight to the point. Father, what happened? Xiao Zhan did not beat around the bush and said directly. According to intelligence from secret agents, the Zhao Lai family and the Obus family have joined forces. Gale Bai's son, that Zhao Liao you hit today, died in the afternoon. After all, he was the one who made a move, so Xiao Yan was not surprised by Zhao Liao's death. What does father plan to do? He did not pursue the details, but directly asked the key question. Xiaozan stood up, walked to the window, stood with his hands behind his back, looking at the gradually darkening sky outside the window, his tone calm yet carrying firmness. Galebai has already sent someone to invite the patriarch of the Obus family to discuss joining forces to destroy our Xiao family tonight. Since they don't want to live, then let them die. He turned around, looked at Xiao Yan, a flash of sharp light crossing his eyes. Yuner, this Wudin city is too small, it can only hold one Xiao family. Xiao Yan looked at the long-lost sharpness in his father's eyes and suddenly smiled. He knew that after his father broke through to Douling, his mentality had quietly changed. The patriarch of the Xiao family who used to be crushed breathless by the two families now had sufficient confidence to do some things he didn't dare to do before. Do you need me to do anything? Xiao Yan asked. No need, Xiaozan waved his hand. You just came back, rest well. The strongest individuals of the two families are merely great Dou masters, I alone am enough. Although his father said that he alone was enough, Xiao Yan still instructed Hai Bodong to follow secretly to prevent accidents. Half an hour later, the elite of the Xiao family all came out. Xiaozan personally led the team, the aura of a Douling powerhouse released without reservation, like an unsheathed sharp sword, pressing directly towards the mansion of the Jialai family. Galebai and the patriarch of the Obus family were still drinking and discussing in the mansion, and before they could come up with a complete plan, they were caught off guard by the sudden attack of the Xiao family. Everything happened too fast. Xiaozan did not give them any chance to react, crushing the two great Dou masters with the Douling realm, resolving the battle almost like sweeping away dry leaves. In the dark, Hai Bodong's figure was hidden in the shadows, never having made a move, because he simply had no chance to make a move. Overnight, the pattern of Wudin City was completely rewritten. The mansions of the Jialai family and Obus family were controlled by the Xiao family, their core members either died or fled, and their properties were entirely taken over by the Xiao family. The residents in the city woke up and in astonishment discovered. Wudin City, which once had a tripod stance, now only had the Xiao family left. Have you heard? The Jialai family and Obus family are gone overnight. It seems the Xiao family did it. The patriarch of the Xiao family personally took action, and his strength is unfathomable. From now on, Wudin City will bear the surname Xiao. In the hall of the Xiao family, Xiaozan sat in the main seat, took the hot tea handed over by a servant, took a sip, and let out a long breath. Father, everything went smoothly. Xiao Yan walked in from outside, asking casually. Xiaozan put down the teacup and nodded. Smoothly. Galebai and the patriarch of the Obus family have both been dealt with. As for the rest, those willing to surrender stay, those unwilling are let go. People have already been sent to take over the properties. From now on, the Xiao family is the only family in Wudin City. Time passed quickly. Ever since the Xiao family swallowed up the two major families overnight that night, Wudin City completely entered the Xiao family era. And Xiao Yan was not idle either. Either accompanying the three little girls to play or refining medicine under Yao Lao's guidance. Seeing that the day for Jianan Academy's enrollment was getting closer and closer, Xiao Yan felt it was time to tell them. That night, the Xiao family dining room. Several home-cooked dishes were placed on the table, steaming hot. Xiao Yan put down his chopsticks, deliberated on his words, and said, "There is something I want to tell you." The three little girls simultaneously raised their heads and looked at him. Jianan Academy's enrollment is about to begin, and I plan to go sign up. Xiao Yan's tone was calm. I might leave for a while. Xiao Shuaner hardly hesitated, put down her chopsticks, and said with a firm tone. I will go with brother Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan looked at her and couldn't help smiling. From this girl's words, it could be heard that she had long thrown the mission given to her by the ancient clan to the back of her head. What ancient jade? In her heart, probably nothing was as important as following brother Xiao Yan. All right, he did not refuse and nodded. Qinglin's little face suddenly collapsed, and her eye rims instantly turned red. She opened her mouth, wanting to say, I want to go too, but as if remembering something, she lowered her head, her small fingers restlessly twisting the corner of her clothes, her voice so small it was almost inaudible. Qinglin wants to go too, but... She had heard about it. Jianan Academy's enrollment age limit was under 18, and one needed to reach the 8th stage of Doji Chi before 18 to obtain admission qualifications. She had just started cultivating not long ago, and was still hovering around the 5th stage of Doji Chi. Coupled with her being too small, going to sign up would most likely result in being turned away. Chapter 60, The Letter of Xiao Yixian. Xiao Yan looked at her aggrieved appearance, and feeling a bit uneasy in his heart, he leaned closer and softened his voice to comfort her. Qinglin, stay at home and cultivate properly. When your cultivation is sufficient, I will come back to pick you up, okay? Qinglin did not answer, only lowering her head and softly letting out an, her small shoulders heaving slightly. Xiao Yan looked toward Xiao Yixian again. Xiao Yixian had been sitting quietly there all along, not speaking without hesitation like Xiao Shuaner, nor feeling aggrieved like Qinglin. She only lowered her eyelids, her chopsticks gently poking at the rice in her bowl, as if thinking about some worry. Xiao Yixian, Xiao Yan called out to her. Xiao Yixian raised her head, glanced at him, then quickly lowered her head again, shook it, and softly said. Brother Xiao Yan, I still want to think about it some more. Xiao Yan did not press further, only letting out an, but in his heart he already roughly knew what Xiao Yixian was going to do. Early the next morning, Xiao Yan woke up. He walked over to the courtyard where Xiao Yixian and Qinglin lived and found the courtyard exceptionally quiet. Coming to the doorway of the room where the two little girls lived, he knocked on the door, but there was no response. Pushing open the door, the room was neat and tidy, the bedding folded cleanly, but the people were already gone. On the table, a letter was pinned down. Xiao Yan picked up the letter and unfolded it. Coming into view was the neat handwriting of Xiao Yixian. Brother Xiao Yan. When you see this letter, Qinglin and I have already left Wudin City. Do not blame us, do not be angry, and definitely do not come looking for us. I thought about it for the whole night and thought of a lot. I really wanted to follow you to Jianan Academy, but I knew that my calamity poisoned body is not suitable to stay in a place like that. How would the teachers there view it? What would the classmates think? If I stay in the academy, I would only bring you trouble. I want to become stronger. Not just for myself, I also want to help you, and I also want to be able to stand in front of you one day to protect you. You said that heavenly flames are very hard to find, and subduing them is even more dangerous. I cannot help you with any big matters, but at least, I can make myself a bit more useful. I have thought it through, and I have decided to go to the Azumo Empire. That place is a poison master's paradise, and the people there will not fear me or exclude me because of my physique. I heard there are many ancient books and inheritances regarding poison there, and I want to go take a look. If my luck is good, perhaps I might find a method to control the calamity poison body. Right, also, that girl Qinglin, after you said those words yesterday, she did not sleep well for the whole night. She does not want to stay alone in the Xiao family and wait for you to come back. She feels that her cultivation is too low and she cannot help you. I told her I was going to the Azumo Empire, and she grabbed my sleeve, saying she wanted to go with me. I agreed. Brother Xiaoyan, rest assured, I will take good care of her. Although she is young, she is very smart, and she also has that not-so-weak two-headed fire spirit snake to protect her. She will not drag me down on the road. Do not worry about us. When I become stronger, I will come back to find you. By then, perhaps I will already be able to help you. You are not allowed to send people to look for us. If you dare to come, I will take Qinglin and hide so you will not be able to find us. When we are not around, you must protect and take good care of Sister Zuner. And, thank you, Brother Xiaoyan. Thank you for bringing me out of that small village. Thank you for giving me a home. Wait for me to return. Xiao Yi Xian. Xiaoyan gripped the letter and stood there, silent for a long time. Sunlight poured in from outside the window, falling upon the letter paper and making the neat handwriting gleam brightly. Xiaoyan folded the letter paper, tucked it into his bosom, turned around, and looking at the blue sky outside the window, let out a gentle sigh. This girl. The corners of his mouth hooked up slightly, then slowly flattened again. The Azumo Empire indeed suits her growth and tempering. He softly recited it once, shook his head, and did not say anything more. He trusted Xiao Yi Xian. That girl, seemingly weak, was actually more stubborn than anyone else. She said she wanted to become stronger, so she would definitely become stronger. She said she would return, so she would definitely return. It was just that. What surprised him was that the little fellow Qinglin had actually run off with her as well. Xiaoyan smiled helplessly and turned to close the room door. Today, Wudin City was much livelier than usual. Both sides of the streets were hung with the flags of Jianan Academy, and several spacious tents were set up in the square at the center of the city, with long queues forming outside the tents. Many young people clutched recommendation letters or family certificates in their hands, their faces carrying nervousness and anticipation as they awaited the examination by the admissions teachers of Jianan Academy. This was the annual enrollment day of Jianan Academy, and also an opportunity that the younger generation of the entire Jiama Empire would break their heads trying to squeeze into. Amidst the crowd, 3 figures passed through the crowded square, bypassed the long queues, and walked straight toward a larger tent deep within the square. Walking in front was a young girl of 17 or 18 years old, tall in stature, whose tight cyan outfit outlined her exquisite and graceful figure. She had a pretty face with a hint of heroic spirit between her brows. She was none other than Xiao Yu, an outstanding talent among the younger generation of the Xiao family who had entered Jianan Academy a year ago. At this moment, she was walking uninhibitedly in the front, from time to time turning her head back to greet the 2 little fellows behind her to keep up. Hurry up, hurry up. While Instructor Ruolin is not busy right now, I will take you through the special passage so you do not have to queue. Xiao Yu urged as she walked, turning her head back. Behind her, Xiaoyan and Xiao Shuiner walked side by side. Xiaoyan still maintained that ordinary appearance, his stature slightly taller than his peers but not by much, yet those eyes were much steadier than those of his peers. Xiao Shuiner walked by his side, dressed in a plain white robe, with a tranquil face and a refined, otherworldly temperament. Her height was half a head shorter than Xiaoyan, yet standing in the crowd she was exceptionally eye-catching. Because this time the incident of Xiaoyan peeping at Xiao Yu bathing did not happen, therefore when Xiao Yu returned to the family and heard that Xiaoyan and Xiao Shuiner were going to sign up for Jianan Academy, she very proactively wanted to personally lead the 2 to register. Xiao Yu led the 2 through the crowd and arrived in front of a tent deep within the square. Outside the tent hung a sign reading, Jianan Academy admissions office, and guarding the door was a youth dressed in academy uniform. Seeing Xiao Yu, he nodded, evidently recognizing her. Sister you are back. Yeah, bringing 2 of our own family members to walk through the back door. Without ceremony, Xiao Yu pulled Xiaoyan and Xiao Shuiner and walked straight into the tent. The interior layout of the tent was simple, with a wooden table in the very center, and behind the table sat a young woman dressed in a light cyan long dress. She looked to be only around 27 or 28 years old, with a gentle face and a mild temperament. A head of long black hair was simply tied behind her head, and her whole person exuded an aura of approachability and steadiness. She was none other than Instructor Ruolin, the admissions instructor of Jianan Academy. At this moment, Instructor Ruolin was lowering her head to flip through the roster in her hand. Hearing the commotion, she raised her head, and seeing it was Xiao Yu, a gentle smile appeared on her face. Chapter 61, Instructor Ruolin's shock, heading to Jianan Academy. Why are you back? Didn't you just go back a few days ago? Instructor Ruolin, I'm not just. Xiao Yu scratched her head somewhat embarrassedly, then turned sideways, making way for Xiaoyan and Xiao Shuiner behind her. Instructor Ruolin, these are Xiaoyan and Xiao Shuiner from my family. They also want to go to Jianan Academy, so I brought them straight to find you. Instructor Ruolin's gaze fell upon Xiaoyan and Xiao Shuiner, starting with a slight freeze before she carefully looked them over. These 2 children clearly looked to be under 10 years old, and their heights were more than half a head shorter than the others inside the tent. Standing beside Xiao Yu, they looked like 2 little attendants. Seeing this scene, Instructor Ruolin couldn't help but chuckle, her tone gentle yet earnest. Even though you are now a veteran student of the academy and have the authority to bring people through the special passage. But you are well aware of Jianan Academy's recruitment rules. The age cannot exceed 18, and one must at least reach the 8th stage of Doji-Chi. These 2 little fellows surely meet the age requirement, but as for their strength. Her tone paused, her gaze falling upon the 2 little fellows with a trace of curiosity in her eyes. They are so young, have their realms reached the standard? Xiao Yu was slightly stunned and scratched her head. I really don't know. When I returned to the family and had just finished seeing my relatives, I heard they wanted to register, so I brought them right over. She lowered her head to glance at Xiaoyan and Xiao Shuiner, then raised her head again, her tone carrying a few parts of trust. However, because of me, everyone in the Xiao family is clear about Jianan Academy's admission threshold. Since they dared to come and register, they should have met the standard, right? Instructor Ruolin nodded and did not pursue the question further. Reaching under the table, she took out a fist-sized transparent crystal ball, gently placed it on the table, and looked at the 2 with a gentle gaze. Whether they meet the standard or not, we'll know by testing it. Zuner gently tugged at Xiaoyan's cuff, lifted her small face, her voice crisp. Brother Xiaoyan, let Zuner go first. After Zuner placed her hand upon it. Instructor Ruolin stared at the light within the crystal ball, her gaze tightening slightly. A moment later, she took a deep breath, and with a trace of unmasked astonishment in her voice, slowly announced the result. Xiao Xuan'er, 1-star Do Master. The tent instantly fell quiet for a fleeting moment. Following that, several Jiannan Academy students inside the tent simultaneously widened their eyes, and even the academy youth guarding the entrance couldn't help but stretch his neck to look inside. Xiao Yu was even more directly stunned, her mouth slightly agape, and it took her a long while to snap back to her senses as she muttered. A Do Master, Xuan'er, how old are you this year? Xuan'er withdrew her hand with a calm expression. Although she did not answer Xiao Yu's words, everyone could tell at a single glance that Xiao Xuan'er definitely did not exceed 10 years of age. A 1-star Do Master under 10 years old. This fact was no different from a sudden clap of thunder on flat ground. Even the veteran students of Jiannan Academy, who were accustomed to geniuses, couldn't help exchanging glances at this moment, an unspeakable shock surging within their hearts. Instructor Ruolin was the first to calm her emotions, her eyes filled with unmasked satisfaction and surprise as she looked at Xiao Yu, her tone carrying a few parts of emotion. Yuer, it seems you've brought me an extraordinary sapling this time. A 1-star Do Master under 10 years old, such aptitude is unprecedented throughout the entire history of the academy. Xiao Yu only then recovered her senses, proudly lifting her chin. That's right, just look at whose younger sister she is. Instructor Ruolin smiled and was about to say something more, only to see Xiao Yan already stepping forward and arriving before the table. He didn't say much, simply and naturally extending his hand to press it upon the crystal ball. The gazes inside the tent landed once more on Xiao Yan. Soon, Instructor Ruolin's expression gradually shifted from satisfaction to shock. A moment later, she lowered her head to glance at the result, her voice slightly tight. Xiao Yan, 1-star Do Spirit. At this, the tent completely quieted down. Instructor Ruolin blankly gazed at Xiao Yan, her lips moving as if she wanted to say something, yet for a moment she didn't know where to begin. What else could she say? This cultivation was even higher than hers, an instructor. She was only a great Do Master. Xiao Yu was even more dumbstruck, her entire person freezing in place, her mouth opening and closing twice without managing to emit any sound. A Do Spirit. Xiao Yu finally found her voice, yet it still carried dense disbelief. Several Jiannan Academy students inside the tent exchanged glances, and an indescribable silence permeated the air. A 1-star Do Spirit. This cultivation level was considered top tier even among the graduates of Jiannan Academy's outer academy, yet at this moment it appeared on a youth who had not yet enrolled. Xuan'er also froze slightly, her gaze towards Xiao Yan carrying a trace of surprise. She remembered very clearly that back when Xiao Yan returned to the Xiao family, although his cultivation had progressed with astonishing speed, it was only at the high tier of Do Master. How much time had passed since then? How could he suddenly span across a major realm and break through directly to a 1-star Do Spirit? Instructor Ruolin was silent for a moment, took a deep breath to suppress the shock in her heart, and slowly spoke. A 1-star Do Master under 10 years old, and a 1-star Do Spirit. Yuer, are you certain your Xiao family isn't a branch of some reclusive major sect? Xiao Yu was caught between laughter and tears. Instructor Ruolin, how could that be? Please don't tease me. Instructor Ruolin did not pursue the questioning further, simply earnestly registering both names in the ledger. After carefully reviewing it once more, she nodded, her tone solemn. Xiao Yan, Xiao Xuan'er, I have recorded your quotas. With your aptitudes, you need not participate in any additional tests and are directly admitted. Return and prepare, you may depart with the team in a few days. A few days later, recruitment concluded. Xiao Yan, Xiao Xuan'er, and the other students who passed the assessment all boarded a massive bodied griffin magical beast, heading towards Jiannan Academy. The journey was without words. It was unknown how much time had passed. The griffin beast passed through a continuous mountain range, entering an entirely different realm. The scenery below transformed from lush, verdant forests into a desolate, dilapidated earth. A faint trace of bloody scent filled the air, and the sky also seemed somewhat gloomier than before. Instructor Ruolin stood up, walked to the edge of the griffin beast, pointed at that dim land below, her expression turning serious. Classmates, we have already entered the Black Corner region. Her voice was clear and steady, and the students immediately quieted down, their gazes uniformly turning toward her. The Black Corner region is a gathering place for countless fugitive strong individuals in all kinds of races. Here, there are no constraints of laws or morals, the only rule is, the weaker prey to the strong. As long as you want, even if you despoil women right in the street, no one will stop you. Speaking to this point, she paused slightly, her gaze sweeping across the crowd as a few parts of solemnity added to her tone. Remember this, the reputation of Jiannan Academy might be omnipotent in the Jiama Empire. But in the Black Corner region, the people here won't care which academy you belong to, as long as there is profit to be made, they will strike at you without the slightest hesitation. Chapter 62, Ambushed. As the words fell, the students' faces turned noticeably paler. Those students who were chatting excitedly earlier also fell silent at this moment. Some clenched their fists, while others instinctively leaned closer to their companions. Seeing this, Instructor Ruolin softened her tone a bit more and comforted them. However, everyone shouldn't be too scared. What we are riding now is a flying magical beast, and unless they are Doking class experts, they simply cannot catch up to us. In fact, even in the Black Corner region, forces that dare to defend our Jiannan Academy don't. Before she could finish her sentence, the slap in the face came exceptionally fast. Swish. Several sounds of piercing wind suddenly rang out. Several black crossbow bolts shot out from the dim mountain forest below, carrying a piercing screech and accurately aiming at the griffin's abdomen. Watch out. Instructor Ruolin's expression changed drastically, Dochi instantly condensing in her palm as she struck out with a palm print, swatting away 2 of those crossbow bolts. However, the third crossbow bolt brushed past her palm wind and fiercely pierced into the griffin's abdomen. Screech. The griffin let out a painful neigh, its huge body suddenly twisting and tilting to one side. The students cried out in alarm and grabbed the ropes or cushions beside them, barely avoiding being thrown off. There's an attack. Instructor Ruolin's voice suddenly turned cold and stern, her gaze sweeping across the mountain forest below like lightning. Everyone sit tight. The griffin staggered a few times in the air and barely managed to steady its body, but its speed noticeably slowed down. Evidently, that arrow caused it considerable damage. Immediately after, it beat its wings with all its might, trying to take everyone away from this area. But right at this moment, several more crossbow bolts tore through the air. This time, the already injured griffin no longer had the strength to dodge, and several crossbow bolts steadily struck its abdomen and the base of its wings. The griffin let out a shrill, long cry, and its huge body began to fall out of control. Seeing this, Instructor Ruolin's expression changed drastically, and she was about to act to stabilize the griffin's falling posture. However, she discovered that the griffin forcefully held on with its last breath, violently flapping its wings a few times to slow down the falling speed somewhat, and ultimately landed heavily in a relatively flat clearing among the woods. The impact upon landing was quite substantial. The students tumbled about in disarray. Some fell and sat on the ground, while others tightly gripped the ropes to avoid being thrown out. The griffin let out a low, mournful cry, slowly closed its eyes, and never opened them again. Quick, everyone get off the griffin and gather together. Instructor Ruolin's voice was urgent yet calm. She pulled up a fallen student beside her and quickly swept her gaze around. However, almost at the same time her words fell, a rustling sound of footsteps came from the woods. Following that, dozens of figures surged out from the surrounding bushes, surrounding this group of shaken students and Ruolin in the middle. The opponents wore uniform dark gray tight-fitting martial outfits and looked well-trained. They were clearly not ordinary mountain bandits or rogue outlaws. The leader was a tall middle-aged man with a rugged face, gloomy eyes, and an ill-intentioned smile hanging at the corners of his mouth. His aura was steady and profound, with doji faintly flowing around his body. He was impressively an expert at the Do King level. Instructor Ruolin's heart sank abruptly. A Do King. Among her and the students, the strongest was Xiaoyan, but Xiaoyan was only at the Do Ling level. Facing a Do King, there was no chance of winning at all. But she quickly steadied her mind, stepped forward, and tried to keep her tone as calm as possible, attempting to use Jianan Academy's reputation to suppress the other party. Who are you people? You dare to attack a flying magical beast transporting new students for our Jianan Academy. Withdraw immediately right now, and the academy might still let bygones be bygones. Without waiting for Ruolin to finish speaking, that Do King burst out laughing, his laughter rough and arrogant, as if he had heard an extremely ridiculous joke. Ha ha ha. So what if it's Jianan Academy? We are hitting Jianan Academy specifically. He put away his smile, swept an amused gaze across Ruolin and the trembling group of students, with undisguised banter in his tone. When has our Demon Flame Valley ever feared your Jianan Academy? Hearing the three words, Demon Flame Valley, Ruolin's heart sank completely to the bottom. Among the numerous forces in the Black Corner region, Demon Flame Valley was the only force that did not fear Jianan Academy, and it even had records of direct conflicts with the academy multiple times. Its founder, the Earth Demon Old Ghost, was rumored to be of the same generation as Headmaster Meng Tianqi, and had always been at loggerheads with Jianan Academy. Encountering people from Demon Flame Valley today, I'm afraid it won't be possible to get away with just a few threats. Thinking of this, Ruolin did not hesitate. She secretly crushed a transmission jade talisman in her sleeve, and a special distress signal quietly shot toward the direction of the academy. She silently prayed in her heart that the academy's reinforcements could come a little faster. Otherwise, they might be completely wiped out today. At this moment, that Do King named Luoda let his gaze fall on Ruolin, sizing her up from top to bottom. A wretched smile flashed in his eyes, and he said in a frivolous tone. You are the teacher of Jianan Academy. You actually look quite pretty. Saying this, he grinned widely and took 2 steps forward, his voice carrying a bit of banter. How about this? Follow by my side as a maid, warm my bed and pour my foot washing water, and I might consider sparing your life. A look of shame and anger appeared on Ruolin's face, and she said through clenched teeth. In your dreams, at worst, it's just death. Hearing this, Luoda not only did not get angry, but instead became even more interested, reaching out to touch his chin. Quite stubborn with your temper, I like it. Saying this, he stopped talking nonsense, waved his big hand, and shouted coldly to his subordinates from Demon Flame Valley behind him. Do it, except for this woman, leave not a single one of the rest. The subordinates of Demon Flame Valley responded in unison, pulled out their weapons one after another, and closed in on the group of students. The students were so frightened that their faces turned completely pale. Some had already collapsed sitting on the ground, while some cried out, help. Others tightly hugged the companions beside them, trembling all over. Seeing this scene, Ruolin hardened her heart, knowing that as an instructor she could not back down. She stepped forward, blocking between the group of students and the people of Demon Flame Valley. Her Cyan longsword was unsheathed, doji infused into the blade, and the tip of the sword pointed straight at Luoda. At the same time, she shouted a sentence toward Xiaoyan without looking back. Xiaoyan, I'll hold him off. The rest of them cannot stop you. If you can escape, run immediately. She was already prepared to die. As long as these students could survive, even if there was only one, her sacrifice would be considered worth it. Among these students, the one with the highest hope of escaping was undoubtedly Xiaoyan, who was already a 1-star Doling. Escape, not a single one of you can even think about it. Luoda sneered, stepping forward as the pressure of the Do King level spread out like substance, locking onto Ruolin tightly. Ruolin gritted her teeth, violently shaking the Cyan longsword in her hand. Doji was poured into the blade, and a water blue light emerged on the edge of the sword. She let out a low cry. Water datura. The sword light spread out like flowing water, transforming into a huge water blue datura flower in the air. The petals were stacked layer upon layer, carrying sharp doji fluctuations as it enveloped downward toward Luoda. Chapter 63, Vice Headmaster Hugen. Instructor Ruolin's Do technique looked quite extraordinary, its aqua blue light exceptionally eye-catching in the dim forest. However, Luoda merely sneered and casually struck out with a palm strike. Doji at the level of a Do King surged out like a tidal wave, casually crashing against that water datura. Bang! The water datura shattered like paper, turning into a shower of water droplets falling from the sky. Ruolin was forced back several steps by the force of the backlash, the webbing of her thumbs numb, and her face turning slightly pale. She was only a great Do master. Facing a strike from a powerful Do King, even though she had used a middle Zon class Do technique, it failed to deal any substantial damage at all. Luoda didn't move his feet even half a step, merely watching her with great interest. Is this all you've got? It seems the teachers of Jianan Academy aren't up to much after all. Ruolin did not answer. She tightened her grip on her longsword and assumed a combat stance once more. Her eyes were filled with determination. Clearly, she was prepared to fight to the death. At the same time, the battle on the other side was also spreading. Luoda's subordinates charged toward the group of new students with fierce grins, the cold gleam of swords and sabers flashing in their hands as they slashed mercilessly at the young students. Although fear filled the students' hearts, stimulated by the life and death crisis, a surge of bloody courage erupted within them. Some used low-tier Do techniques they had learned to resist desperately, while a few bolder students even charged forward on their own initiative, trying to block those from Demon Flame Valley. Unfortunately, their resistance was simply too weak. Most of these new students had not even reached the Do practitioner realm. Facing these desperate outlaws from Demon Flame Valley, who were experienced and possessed higher doji ranks, they had almost no power to fight back. Screams rang out one after another. A young boy was struck on the shoulder by a blade, blood spraying everywhere as his body split in two, falling to the ground dead. A girl was hit on the head by a palm strike, her head flew off her body and slammed into a tree trunk, splattering blood all over the ground. In the blink of an eye, several students had already fallen, their fates unknown. The only relatively safe place was the small area where Xiaoyan was standing. Although he did not openly make a grand effort to save everyone, he did not stand idly by either. Whenever a student came within 20 feet of him, he would casually strike dead any pursuing Demon Flame Valley member with a palm or a fist. His movements were neat and decisive, without any unnecessary flair, precise and efficient. Although those Demon Flame Valley members were veterans used to living on the edge of a blade, what they faced was an absolute crush in strength. Xiao Xuan'er stood at his side, likewise stepping in to protect several students near her. Although she was still only a do master and her doji was not as dense as Xiaoyan's, she moved effortlessly through the crowd, protecting several panicked new students. Xiao Yu also gritted her teeth and brandished a short sword to protect a few younger students in front of her. Though her face was full of tension, she did not back down. By now, 7 or 8 students had unconsciously gathered around Xiaoyan. They were all quick-witted ones who had realized this area was relatively safe and ran over desperately. At this moment, a well-matched young couple among the students also sprinted madly toward Xiaoyan's side. The boy was tall and upright, while the girl had delicate features. Similar in age, they held hands, clearly a couple with a special bond. Right behind them, a do master from Demon Flame Valley pursued with a short knife, grinning wickedly as he caught up. The boy ran a step faster than the girl and reached Xiaoyan's side, collapsing onto the ground on his rear and gasping heavily for air. The girl, however, was half a step slower and was overtaken by the Demon Flame Valley do master, who raised his short knife high and slashed down at her back. Xiaoyan's eyes narrowed, his figure flashed, and with a palm strike, he killed the Demon Flame Valley do master. But at the exact instant he killed that man, from another side, a shadow-like attack arrived silently from a tricky angle, passing precisely through the opening created when Xiaoyan struck. It was another person from Demon Flame Valley, a crossbowman hidden in the shadows who pulled the trigger right as Xiaoyan moved to save her. The crossbow bolt plunged straight into the back of the girl's heart. The girl's footsteps suddenly halted. She looked down at the arrowhead protruding from her chest, opened her mouth, but couldn't utter a sound. Her body slowly fell backward, her eyes still holding a hint of confused shock as her pupils gradually dilated. Xiao Yu. The boy let out a heart-wrenching wail and threw himself forward, cradling the girl's rapidly cooling body. He shook her shoulders forcefully, his voice hoarse and desperate. Xiao Yu, look at me, don't close your eyes, Xiao Yu. The girl did not respond. Her eyes had completely lost their luster. She lay quietly in the boy's arms, looking like someone who had simply fallen asleep. The boy lowered his head, burying his face in her hair, his shoulders trembling violently as suppressed sobs escaped him. The surrounding students looked on, some turned their heads away, while others' eyes grew red. A moment later, the boy raised his head, his gaze falling onto Xiaoyan. That look was filled with complex emotions. There was grief, fear, but also a deeply hidden trace of resentment that he himself had not even realized. He felt that if Xiaoyan had acted a step earlier, or if Xiaoyan had been more decisive, Xiao Yu wouldn't have died. If Xiaoyan had saved Xiao Yu first before dealing with the enemy, perhaps she might have survived. However, he didn't dare say it out loud. He merely held the rapidly cooling body tightly in his arms, lowering his head to suppress all his emotions deep inside. Then, dragging heavy steps, he shuffled step by step to a spot not far from Xiaoyan, as if being closer would make him safer. Xiaoyan noticed his gaze, but had no time to overthink it. Because the situation on the other side of the battle had grown even more critical. Instructor Ruolin was kneeling on one knee, supporting herself with her long sword against the ground. A trickle of blood seeped from the corner of her mouth, and her face was pale as paper. Most of her doji was exhausted, her aura chaotic, and several wounds of varying depth marked her body. She raised her head and stared fixedly at Luoda. Though determination still burned in her eyes, she was struggling to even stand up. Still able to stand, Luoda looked at her with amusement, his tone laced with cat and mouse banter. Not bad, you can endure a bit more than I thought. However, he raised his hand, doji condensing in his palm with explicit killing intent. It's time to end this. Ruolin closed her eyes and sighed inwardly. It was too late. The academy's reinforcements likely wouldn't make it in time. Just as she prepared to commit suicide, a figure landed in front of her. The figure was not tall, appearing almost slender. Yet the young man's back and spine were held straight as a ramrod. Ruolin opened her eyes and froze upon recognizing the person standing in front of her. Xiaoyan did not turn around, merely tilting his head slightly. His tone was calm, yet filled with a composure that mysteriously brought peace of mind. Instructor Ruolin, can you still move? I can, Ruolin replied subconsciously, before adding anxiously. Xiaoyan, run, even if you are a do spirit, it's useless, he's a do king. You're no. Before she could finish, Xiaoyan interrupted her, staring directly at Luoda opposite him, his voice remained tranquil. Instructor Ruolin, I know he is a do king. But so what if he's a do king? Xiaoyan naturally knew the man before him was a do king, a full major realm higher than himself. However, ever since breaking through to a do spirit, he had not fought anyone with all his strength. This do king before him was just the right warm-up to test his true power. Chapter 64, Leave him here. Across from him, the moment Luoda saw the newcomer clearly, his pupils violently constricted. The smugness and mockery on his face vanished completely, replaced by thick, heavy fear. Who? Vice Headmaster Hugin. He practically gritted his teeth as he uttered that name, his voice trembling as his feet instinctively took half a step back. Vice Headmaster Hugin turned around and looked at Luoda, his gaze as calm as if he were looking at an ant. People from Demon Flame Valley. You certainly have a lot of nerve, daring to touch the new students of Jianan Academy. Luoda didn't waste any breath, the doji wings on his back suddenly unfurled, and his figure violently retreated, leaving behind only a single word. Flee. Before his voice had even faded, his entire body shot straight up into the sky, flying desperately toward the direction outside the forest. However, he was fast, but Vice Headmaster Hugin was even faster. Vice Headmaster Hugin didn't even make a move, merely releasing his own aura. A pressure vast and heavy like a mountain suddenly descended, acting like an invisible giant palm slamming down to forcefully press Luoda out of the air. Bang. Luoda's body heavily smashed into the ground, creating a shallow pit, blood overflowing from the corners of his mouth. The bones throughout his body emitted cracking sounds, making even the slightest movement difficult. As for those ordinary members of Demon Flame Valley, they couldn't even withstand the aftermath of Vice Headmaster Hugin's pressure, their bodies directly exploding into balls of blood mist without even having time to let out a scream. Luoda lay flat on the ground, lacking even the strength to crawl up, and could only desperately beg for mercy. Vice Headmaster Hugin, spare my life. Spare my life. I wouldn't dare do it again. Hearing these pleas for mercy, Vice Headmaster Hugin didn't even glance at him, waving his hand casually. A flash of doji swept past, and Luoda's voice abruptly cut off. It became quiet. Vice Headmaster Hugin withdrew his hand and glanced at the messy scene all around. His brows furrowed slightly, then he took a small whistle from his sleeve and blew it. A moment later, a slightly smaller flying magical beast flew over from the distance, steadily landing on the open ground. All of you, come up, Vice Headmaster Hugin waved at the crowd. I'll send you back to the academy. As if granted amnesty, the students successively walked toward the back of the flying magical beast, their faces still carrying expressions of having survived a catastrophe. However, just as everyone was preparing to set off, an abrupt voice rang out. It's all your fault. If you had come a little earlier, Xiao Yu wouldn't have had to die. Everyone froze at the same time. Following the voice, the speaker was the boy holding the corpse of the girl in his arms. At this moment, he raised his head, tear stains still wet on his face, his eyes bloodshot as his gaze stared straight at Vice Headmaster Hugin, his eyes filled with grief and anger. Vice Headmaster Hugin frowned. Ruo Lin hurriedly stepped forward, attempting to explain. This classmate, this is our Jianan Academy's Vice Dean, Vice Headmaster Hugin. No one wished for this kind of thing to happen. Over all these years, the teams escorting new students to our Jianan Academy have never encountered an attack. We didn't anticipate it either. I don't care, the boy interrupted her, his voice carrying a crying tone. He simply came too late. Coming late is his fault. He's clearly so strong, why couldn't he arrive earlier? Why? Vice Headmaster Hugin's expression sank slightly, but he still suppressed his temper, trying his best to make his tone sound peaceful. After returning to the academy will provide compensation to the families and relatives of the fallen students. Who wants compensation? The boy's emotions became even more agitated. What kind of compensation can trade back a living life? How can you all be so cruel? Is a life only worth a bit of compensation from you? Hearing this, Vice Headmaster Hugin's brows furrowed tighter and tighter, but in the end, he still didn't flare up. After all, he was the vice dean, in front of so many students, it wouldn't be good to lose his temper at a child who had just lost his fiancée. Seeing that Vice Headmaster Hugin didn't speak, the boy seemed to gain some sort of confidence as his gaze shifted, falling once again onto Xiaoyan. And you, he pointed his finger at Xiaoyan, his voice sharp. If you could have been a bit faster and more careful when saving us just now, Xiao Yu wouldn't have died at all. You're the one who killed her, you murderer. At this, even the students on the side couldn't stand it anymore. Xiao Shuan'er's face suddenly sank, and she stepped forward, blocking in front of Xiaoyan as she said in a cold voice. How can you be like this? Just now, brother Xiaoyan was the one who saved your life. Not only do you not thank him, but you also blame him. Xiao Yu also couldn't help speaking out. Hey, can you be a bit reasonable? That arrow just now was shot from a blind spot, what does it have to do with Xiaoyan? Moreover, even your own life was saved by Xiaoyan. Several other students who had been protected by Xiaoyan also nodded and chimed in. That's right, what you're saying is far too unreasonable. You can't just randomly blame people because you're sad. With everyone speaking in unison, the boy was left speechless, his face turning flesh red as his lips trembled a few times, yet he failed to say any more words of refutation. But the resentment in his eyes did not disappear, he only lowered his head, not daring to make eye contact with everyone anymore. Xiaoyan had originally just been standing to the side, watching this Xuanwan version of moral kidnapping with great interest. He just didn't expect the fire to suddenly burn onto himself, and for a moment he was also somewhat speechless. He fell silent for 2 seconds, then walked over to the boy in 2 or 3 steps, squatted down to look at him eye-to-eye, his tone calm yet carrying a hint of chill. That girl who died just now, what relation is she to you? The boy froze for a split second, instinctively answering. She's my fiancé, we are already engaged. Xiaoyan nodded, then smiled. Ha ha ha. Since you know she's your fiancé, she's not my fiancé. Why should I save her? What obligation do I have to save her? His voice wasn't loud, yet every word was clear. You blame me, you blame the vice dean, why don't you blame yourself for being too weak to even protect your own fiancé? The boy opened his mouth, wanting to refute, but found that he couldn't say a single word. Xiaoyan didn't look at him anymore, instead turning his head to look at Vice Headmaster Hugin, changing his tone and saying earnestly. Vice Dean, I feel that this classmate's mind must have been injured by the evil arts of Demon Flame Valley, making his intellect somewhat unclear. Judging by the looks of it, there's no saving him. Otherwise, how could he utter such incoherent and muddled nonsense? Vice Headmaster Hugin was stunned at first. He looked at the boy, although his emotions were agitated, his consciousness was clearly sober, where was there any sign of mind injury from evil arts? But immediately after, he understood Xiaoyan's intent. A trace of approval flashed through Vice Headmaster Hugin's eyes, but on the surface, he cooperatively put on an expression of sudden realization. What you said is correct. This old man almost failed to notice it just now. His intellect has indeed been severely disordered, and I'm afraid he is no longer suited to enter our Jianan Academy. Since that's the case, let's leave him right here. Having said that, Vice Headmaster Hugin didn't say any more, his doji condensing to gently lift everyone except that boy and send them onto the saddle of the flying magical beast. The boy froze in place, watching helplessly as the flying magical beast slowly ascended into the air, only reacting a moment later to emit an incredulous scream. Chapter 65 Soul Fusion Pill. You can't do this. I'm also an admitted student, you can't just leave me here. No one replied to him. The flying magical beast flew higher and higher, further and further away. The boy's figure became smaller and smaller below, eventually disappearing into the dim forest. Ruo Lin sat on the flying magical beast, remained silent for a moment, and said softly. Dean, isn't this a bit too much? After all, he just lost his fiancée. Vice Headmaster Hugin snorted, his tone indifferent. Too much. When he pointed at this old man's nose and cursed, why didn't he think about whether it was too much? This old man saved his life, and instead of being grateful, he even cursed his savior. Such a person would only be a disaster even if he entered the academy. Jianan Academy cannot teach such a student. So it's better not to teach him at all. Ruo Lin opened her mouth, but ultimately didn't continue speaking. The flying magical beast pierced through layers of clouds and mist, finally arriving at the outer academy of Jiannan Academy at dusk. Looking from afar, a towering mountain gate stood in the twilight, with a huge plaque hanging above it. Inscribed with the 4 large characters, Jiannan Academy, the brushwork was vigorous and powerful, exuding a hint of simplicity and majesty. Passing through the mountain gate, the view suddenly opened up. The buildings of the outer academy of Jiannan Academy were built against the mountain, overlapping layer upon layer in an orderly arrangement. On both sides of the main road, groups of 2 or 3 students could be seen everywhere, and occasionally a few people could be seen sitting around under the trees discussing something. The atmosphere was countless times more relaxed than the grim and tense environment of the Black Corner region. The new students jumped down from the flying magical beast and stepped on the solid ground. Many of them let out a long sigh of relief, finally showing a trace of a smile of surviving a disaster on their faces. Instructor Ruolin counted the number of people while greeting the new students to follow, preparing to take them to be assigned accommodations. Vice Headmaster Hugen stood to the side with his hands behind his back. His gaze swept across the crowd and finally landed on Xiaoyan and Xiao Xuan'er. He walked over. You two must be the 2 little monsters Ruolin mentioned. Vice Headmaster Hugen looked the 2 up and down with a hint of satisfaction in his eyes, and his tone was quite gentle. Do Master 1 star, Do Ling 1 star. Not bad, not bad. He looked at Xiaoyan, his gaze carrying a bit of prudent consideration. Xiaoyan, with your aptitude, this old man can apply for a special channel for you to be directly recruited into the Inner Academy, without having to wait for the Inner Academy selection tournament a year later. How about it? With your current strength, staying in the Outer Academy is somewhat a waste. Hearing this, Xiaoyan instinctively glanced at Xiao Xuan'er beside him. Although Xiao Xuan'er did not speak, her bright eyes lowered slightly, and her fingers unconsciously tightened around her cuffs. Xiaoyan withdrew his gaze, shook his head, and said in a calm tone. No need, Vice Dean. I want to stay in the Outer Academy for a period of time first. Vice Headmaster Hugen was stunned for a moment, then followed his gaze to look at Xiao Xuan'er, instantly coming to a realization, and couldn't help patting his forehead in self-deprecation. This old man is truly getting old and muddled, not even able to see through something like this. He smiled and waved his hand. That's fine too. Anyway, you 2 are still young, so tempering yourselves in the Outer Academy first and waiting another year to go to the Inner Academy is fine. Although the resources of the Outer Academy are not as good as the Inner Academy, its advantage lies in its relaxed atmosphere, making it more suitable for building a foundation. Having said that, Vice Headmaster Hugen did not stay any longer and turned to leave. Ruolin walked over at this time, leading Xiaoyan and Xiao Xuan'er towards the dormitory area. She arranged 2 adjacent residences for them. Pushing open the window, one could see the canopy of the old banyan tree in the center of the courtyard. The environment was secluded and quiet, making it very suitable for quiet cultivation. If you have any needs, you can come find me. Ruolin gave a few instructions and then turned and left. A period of time passed. On this day, inside Xiaoyan's room, the candlelight flickered, and a few insect chirps came from outside the window, making the room exceptionally quiet. Xiaoyan sat cross-legged on the bed and took out the fishing rod from his storage ring. He skillfully cast the fishing line into the void, the fish hook swaying gently in the air, as if it had truly dropped into an invisible body of water. Time passed minute by minute, and the insect chirps outside the window were intermittent. Suddenly, the fishing rod suddenly sank heavily. Xiaoyan's eyes lit up, his wrist flicked, and he pulled upward forcefully. The fishing line tightened, as if something heavy was being dragged on the other end, but that resistance only lasted for a split second before it was easily pulled up. Immediately after, the system prompt in his mind sounded as expected. Congratulations to the host for catching a peak TIER6 medicinal pill, Soul Fusion Pill. Xiaoyan's eyes lit up as he looked down at the medicinal pill in his palm, which was entirely jade white and emitted a soft luster. A faint layer of pale golden patterns flowed on the surface of the pill. Just holding it in his hand, he could feel the pure medicinal power contained within. Soul Fusion Pill. He recited the name once, his gaze shifting slightly. Soul Fusion Pill. Its main function is to fuse souls, helping the user complete the fusion with the residual soul or exotic beast soul within their body. Resolving soul conflict issues, thereby completely mastering one's own body. He immediately thought of another person, no, to be precise, another snake. Xiaoyan lowered his head and looked at the coiled little snake on his left wrist. The 7-colored sky-swallowing python was quietly coiled there, its scales shimmering with shimmering 7-colored luster under the candlelight, seeming to be fast asleep. He reached out and gently poked it. Wake up, stop sleeping. The little snake lazily moved its head, seeming quite dissatisfied with his disturbance but still slowly opened its eyes. Those pair of golden vertical pupils first looked at him blankly, then flashed with a trace of helplessness, as if saying, Why are you disturbing me again? The next moment, a bewitching figure appeared by the bedside. Queen Medusa sat on the edge of the bed with her legs crossed, a head of pitch black long hair casually draped behind her shoulders. That stunningly beautiful face carried a hint of impatience from having her sleep disturbed, her red lips slightly pursed, her gaze sweeping sideways toward Xiaoyan, and her tone lazy. Xiaoyan, why are you shouting again? This king was sleeping so soundly. Xiaoyan was long used to her temper and didn't mind, simply turning sideways. He handed the soul fusion pill in his palm before her, his tone as casual as if handing over a piece of candy. Take a look at this. Medusa's gaze fell on that medicinal pill, and her originally lazy expression froze slightly. Her gaze lingered for a moment on the pale golden pattern on the surface of the pill, then a strange look flashed in her eyes, and her tone became rarely a bit serious. Soul fusion pill. Peak TIER6, Xiaoyan added. You should know its function, soul fusion, resolving soul conflicts. Medusa fell silent for a moment, her fingertips gently brushing across her glabella. The newborn soul belonging to the infant 7-colored sky-swallowing python inside her body had always been a lingering heartache for her. Although that little fellow was harmless for the time being and even quiet most of the time, it was ultimately a hidden danger. If one day that soul grew to a certain degree, or caused trouble at the critical moment of her breakthrough, the consequences would be unimaginable. She raised her eyes and looked at Xiaoyan. What are the conditions? Chapter 66, Fusing Souls, Kai Lin's Change. Hearing this, Xiaoyan froze for a moment, then smiled and said. What do you mean, what conditions? Your Majesty, given our friendship from spending day and night together, inseparable every moment, this medicinal pill is a gift to you. With that said, he flipped his wrist and tossed the soul fusion pill straight over to her. Medusa raised her hand to catch it. When her fingertips touched the warm pill, her movements paused slightly. She didn't speak, but a clear ripple of emotion flickered across her narrow phoenix eyes. It was subtle, yet genuine. She lowered her eyelids, offering no thanks. However, Xiaoyan noticed that her fingers gripping the pill tightened slightly. A moment later, Medusa brought the pill to her lips and was about to swallow it when she suddenly paused. She raised her head, looked at Xiaoyan, and spoke with a rare trace of hesitation in her voice. What about that little fellow? Xiaoyan knew she was referring to the newborn soul of the young seven-colored sky-swallowing python. I see you usually like that little fellow quite a bit, Medusa said indifferently. If you can't bear to let it vanish completely, this king can try to force it out during the fusion and leave it solely for you. Hearing this, Xiaoyan remained silent for a moment, then shook his head. There's no need. Medusa raised an eyebrow. Xiaoyan's tone grew a bit more serious as he explained. Although that little fellow seems like a newly born soul, it was originally one with you in the first place. Fusing with you is its ultimate destination. If you forcibly purge it, you'll lose a portion of your origin source. It might not seem harmful in the short term, but once your cultivation reaches a higher realm, the drawbacks will manifest. Saying this, he paused before adding. On the path of cultivation, there must be no flaws or deficiencies in one's foundation, no matter how small they may seem. So, fuse with it. It's for your own good. Medusa did not answer immediately. She looked at Xiaoyan quietly for a few seconds. A moment later, she drew back her gaze. Understood. With that, she hesitated no longer. Sitting cross-legged, she popped the soul fusion pill into her mouth, closed her eyes, and began channeling her energy to refine it. Silence fell upon the room. The candlelight flickered gently, casting shifting shadows across her profile. The aura around her body began to fluctuate gently as a mild yet pure medicinal energy spread outward from within her, gradually intertwining and fusing with the source power of the seven-colored sky-swallowing python. Xiaoyan did not disturb her, merely sitting quietly to the side to guard her. As time passed, the aura in the room gradually stabilized. That mild, pure medicinal energy seeped into the depths of Medusa's soul bit by bit, like a thawing stream. There was no violent conflict, nor any struggle. The effects of the soul fusion pill perfectly smoothed over the divide between the two, allowing them to naturally coalesce into one. Finally, Medusa's long eyelashes fluttered lightly before she slowly opened her eyes. Her eyes were deeper and clearer than before, as though something had settled in their depths. She gently exhaled a breath of turbid air, feeling the soul fluctuations within her that had returned to complete tranquility, as well as her cultivation level that had stabilized along with it. 2-star dozong. A perfect fusion. The corners of her lips imperceptibly curled upward for a brief moment. However, she quickly reverted to her usual cold, indifferent expression. Except that when those eyes looked at Xiaoyan now, there was clearly something more in them than before. In the next instant, she suddenly reached out and pulled Xiaoyan into her embrace. Before Xiaoyan could even react, he was enfolded in a warm softness. His face pressed directly against soft fabric, a delicate fragrance wafting around his nose. Unlike the crisp, clear scent of the seven-colored sky-swallowing python, this harbored a sense of warmth and maturity. In an instant, he froze completely. Little fellow, thank you. Medusa's voice came from above his head, carrying a gentle warmth she had never shown before. Muffled, Xiaoyan couldn't speak, feeling only Medusa's arms wrapped around the back of his head. Her fingers softly threaded through his hair, a sensation that sent all the blood in his body rushing straight to his face. Struggling to raise his head to catch a breath of fresh air, he realized his face had flushed deep red all the way to his ears. Medusa looked down at his embarrassed state, a playful, mischievous glint flashing in her eyes. She extended a fingertip and gently trailed it across his cheek, her voice carrying a lazy teasing note. What's wrong? You haven't even grown all your feathers yet, so what's there to be shy about? Hearing this, Xiaoyan immediately grew flustered and defensive. Who says I haven't grown all my feathers? Last month I already. He trailed off mid-sentence, suddenly getting tongue-tied. Medusa tilted her head, pressing him with a half-smile. Already what? Let me see. How could Xiaoyan possibly say such a thing aloud? He held it in for a long time, ultimately only squeezing out a huff of faint annoyance. He simply buried his face downward, burying it straight into the bosom before him, refusing to say another word. Medusa looked down at his mortified yet angry appearance and let out a soft chuckle. She didn't push him away, instead, she wrapped both arms around his neck and gently pressed down, pulling him even deeper into her embrace. After a long moment, Xiaoyan could finally hold it in no longer, letting out muffled whimpers. Quick, let go, I'm suffocating, I can't breathe. Hearing this, only then did Medusa release her grip, looking at him with a mischievous smirk as he gasped for air, the amused smile in her eyes deepening further. Having caught his breath, Xiaoyan looked up at her face, which seemed somewhat softer now after integrating the emotions of the seven-colored sky-swallowing python. On a sudden whim, he blurted out. Medusa, do you have a name? Medusa was stunned. Calling you Medusa all the time feels awkward, Xiaoyan scratched his head. How about I give you a name? Medusa raised an eyebrow, neither agreeing nor objecting, simply looking at him, waiting for him to continue. Xiaoyan pondered for a moment before saying seriously. How about Kailin? Kailin, Medusa repeated the two characters, as if savoring them. The scales of the seven-colored sky-swallowing python. It is quite fitting. She didn't say whether it was good or bad, merely turning her gaze away and letting out a quiet, Xiaoyan smiled, knowing that this counted as tacit agreement. Then it's settled, Kailin. ... Ever since the soul fusion, Kailin's attitude toward Xiaoyan became noticeably closer. Although she still occasionally called him, little fellow, and her tone retained that lazy, tsuneri flair. The sense of distance and vigilance had vanished completely. In its place was an indescribable intimacy, a trust that seemed to stem from her very core. Especially when no one else was around, Kailin would always appear without warning. She would either suddenly throw her arms around Xiaoyan's neck from behind or reach out of nowhere to mess up his hair. Or she would sit on the edge of the bed with her legs crossed, brazenly showing off her long, snowy white thighs, staring straight at him until he felt completely uncomfortable before finally letting him off the hook. Chapter 67. Kailin, are you jealous? From Xiaoyan's initial blushing to his current accustomed state, it had only taken a few short days. On this day, while strolling around the outer academy, Xiaoyan inadvertently heard several students discussing a large-scale auction soon to be held in the Black Corner region. It was said to be hosted in Black Seal City, and there would be quite a few rare cultivation methods, dough techniques, and pills appearing. Xiaoyan's steps paused slightly, and his heart stirred. He remembered. In the original work, quite a few good things had indeed appeared at the auction in the Black Corner region. Among them was one of the remnant maps of the Purification Lotus Demon Flame. Although it was still a few years away from the timeline of the original work, who knew if that remnant map would appear early? Even without the remnant map, it would be good to go try his luck. He returned to his residence, closed the door, and patted the small snake coiled around his wrist. Kylan, wake up. The seven-colored sky-swallowing python lazily raised its head, its golden vertical pupils carrying a trace of impatience at being disturbed. But it still obediently transformed into a streak of seven-colored light, recondensing into the enchanting figure of Queen Medusa. She leaned lazily against the edge of the table, her arms crossed over her chest, raising an eyebrow as she looked at him. What is it again? There's an auction in Black Seal City, I want to go take a look. Xiaoyan did not beat around the bush. At that time, my safety will be entrusted to you. Kylan raised an eyebrow, not agreeing immediately, but instead asking slowly. You are going alone. Taking Zuner with me, Xiaoyan replied casually. As soon as his words fell, he felt a slight stinging sensation at his wrist. Hissed Tilda. Xiaoyan lowered his head to look. He saw that Kylan had somehow transformed back into her snake form, currently biting down on his wrist, her golden vertical pupils carrying a hint of obvious dissatisfaction. Kylan, why are you biting me? The seven-colored sky-swallowing python released its bite and transformed back into human form. Kylan sidled a glance at him, her tone calm, yet carrying an indescribable sourness. This king does not allow you to take that lass with you. Xiaoyan was stunned for a moment, then couldn't help laughing out loud. Kylan, are you jealous? As soon as the words left his mouth, he was bitten once more. Kylan released her bite, turning her gaze away. Her tone remained calm, but the tips of her ears were slightly red. This king is not jealous at all. You are this king's person, so naturally this king will protect your safety. As for that little lass's safety, this king will not care about it. Xiaoyan looked at her insincere appearance, finding it amusing in his heart, but he did not continue teasing her. He thought about it, and ultimately decided not to go call Zuner. It wasn't that he was worried about Zuner's safety. Xiao Shuaner had Ling Ying secretly protecting her by her side, so even without Kylan making a move, there was no need to worry about her safety. The more major reason was that going to the auction this time, Kylan definitely couldn't always show herself in the form of the seven-colored sky-swallowing python, she would inevitably appear in human form. Zuner and Kylan had not yet met. Given Kylan's temperament, if she were to run into Zuner, she probably wouldn't give her a pleasant expression. As for Zuner that lass, although she was gentle on the surface, she was actually a delicate-minded, sensitive, and suspicious person. If she sensed Kylan's hostility towards her, she would probably overthink things. It was better to wait for a suitable opportunity to let the two get familiar with each other first. Then the two of us will go. Xiaoyan changed his words. Only then did Kylan let out a satisfied "Amen," her figure transforming back into a streak of seven-colored light, shrinking back onto his wrist, coiling into a small circle, and quieting down. Xiaoyan pushed open the door and walked out of the room. He didn't go knock on Xiao Shuaner's door, but instead walked directly towards the direction of the Outer Academy's main gate. Black Seal City was located in the middle of the Black Corner region, a few days' journey away from Jianan Academy. Xiaoyan did not plan to delay for too long, preparing to go and return quickly. He stepped out of the academy gate and proceeded all the way along the main road of the Black Corner region leading to Black Seal City. The deeper he went into the Black Corner region, the more chaotic the aura in the air became. All sorts of people encountered along the way became increasingly numerous. There were mysterious individuals wrapped in black robes, desperados with sinister gazes. Several days later, he arrived at Black Seal City. People came and went at the city gate. Aside from ordinary people, there were also many practitioners whose auras were not weak entering and exiting. The guards at the city gate glanced at Xiaoyan's youthful appearance and didn't pay it much mind, waving their hands to let him in. Inside the city, it was even livelier than outside. Xiaoyan walked a stretch along the main street and soon saw the dome-shaped building. Black Seal City Auction House. The exterior of the auction house wasn't particularly flashy, but it covered an extremely vast area, and quite a few people had already gathered at the main entrance, clearly indicating that the auction hadn't officially started yet. Xiaoyan and Medusa, who had already transformed into her human form at this time, lifted their steps and walked inside together. The interior of the auction house was much more spacious than it looked from the outside. Beneath the dome were cascading tiers of seats, with a wide auction stage in the center. Lights converged upon it, illuminating the entire platform brightly. At this moment, quite a few people were already seated below the stage, dressed in various attires with uneven auras. As soon as Xiaoyan and Kylan walked through the main gate, a figure greeted them. That was a maid dressed quite daringly. A tight short skirt made her fair skin exceptionally striking, and her slender legs were faintly visible beneath the hem of her skirt. A professional smile hung on her face as she briskly walked in front of the two. Her gaze lingered on Xiaoyan for a split second, then fell upon Kylan, a flash of astonishment crossing her eyes, but she quickly recovered a proper smile. Sir, may I ask if the two of you are here to attend the auction? Xiaoyan nodded. The maid's smile did not diminish as she continued. May I ask if sir wishes to sit in the hall or in a private box? If you want a private box, asset verification is required. The minimum requirement is assets above 1 million gold coins to enter a private box. Xiaoyan thought about it. Sitting in a private box was definitely the way to go. After all, it was much more convenient. However, 1 million gold coins was something he truly didn't have at the moment. The remaining gold coins in his hands added up to no more than 200 to 300,000, which was far from the threshold of a private box. Thinking of this, Xiaoyan did not hesitate. He took out a jade bottle from his storage ring and handed it over. Help me auction this. It should be enough for a private box, right? The maid took the jade bottle and pulled out the cork, whereupon a rich medicinal fragrance drifted out. She carefully poured out a pill. The pill was entirely jade green, with fine patterns flowing across its surface and a warm, lustrous sheen. At a glance, one could tell it was no ordinary item. Although the maid only had the cultivation of a one-star doe practitioner, she still had some discernment. She recognized it at a glance. A tier 5 rejuvenation pill. The starting bid is around 1,200,000 gold coins. Finished speaking. She raised her head, and the gaze she directed at Xiaoyan gained a few more parts of respect and eagerness. It's enough, it's more than enough. Sir, please follow me, I will arrange a private box for the two of you right away. The maid carefully put away the pill, turned around to lead the way, and brought Xiaoyan and Kylan through the crowd, walking up a staircase paved with a red carpet to arrive at the door of a private box on the second floor. The private box wasn't large, but it was arranged quite elegantly. A soft couch, 2 chairs, and a small tea table, upon which tea and refreshments were placed. Directly ahead was a huge floor-to-ceiling window, upon which hung a thin layer of gauze curtain. From the outside, one couldn't see the inside, but from the inside, the entire auction stage and the commotion of the first floor hall could be taken in at a glance. Sir, the two of you please wait here for a moment. I will arrange for your rejuvenation pill to be put up for auction as soon as possible. After the auction ends, the proceeds will be given directly to you. The maid bowed and backed out, gently closing the door. Chapter 68. I am Fan Ling, the young sect leader of the Blood Sect. A moment later. The lights inside the auction house dimmed slightly, and a beam of light gathered on the auction stage. An elderly man in a long robe stepped onto the stage, holding a small wooden mallet in his hand. With a gentle smile, he spoke unhurriedly. Welcome everyone to the Black Seal City Auction House. This old man knows that you are all here for good things, so I won't waste words. Next, the auction officially begins. The first auction item was brought up. It was a Zon rank intermediate Do technique scroll, with a starting bid of 80,000 gold coins. People in the hall began to bid, and the atmosphere gradually warmed up. The auction continued. Soon the second, third, and fourth auction items were successively brought onto the auction stage. Most of them were Zon rank middle and low rank Do techniques and cultivation methods, with low starting prices and not very fierce competition. Xiaoyan leaned against the back of his chair, his gaze casually sweeping over those auction items, showing no intention of raising a placard all along. It wasn't until the fifth auction item was brought up that he slightly moved his brows. It was precisely the rejuvenation pill he had sent for auction. Tier 5 medicinal pill, rejuvenation pill. The auctioneer's voice was a few notches higher than before. This pill is specially used to treat severe internal injuries. Its medicinal properties are gentle, and it will not cause secondary damage to the already injured body. The starting bid is 1,200,000 gold coins. A burst of discussion sounded in the hall, and many people showed expressions of interest. A Tier 5 medicinal pill might be considered a rare item in the Jama Empire. However, in a place like the Black Corner region, although it was not so rare as to make people crazy, it was definitely a good thing worth getting. Bidding started quickly. 1,250,000. 1,300,000. 1,350,000. The price climbed all the way, and the atmosphere gradually warmed up. Xiaoyan leaned against the back of his chair with a calm expression, and until the price rose to 1,500,000, he unhurriedly raised his placard and added a bid. 1,550,000. A few bidders hesitated, some continued to follow with a bid, while others gave up. In the end, this rejuvenation pill was won by a buyer sitting in a private box at the price of 2 million. Xiaoyan was quite satisfied with this price and did not continue to raise the price. After all, a Tier 5 medicinal pill had limited value, and raising the price too high would instead easily end up stuck in his own hands. The next few auction items still failed to arouse much interest in Xiaoyan. Until the auction was nearing its end and the last auction item was brought onto the stage, did he finally perk up a bit. That was a yellowed scroll that looked somewhat old. The surface of the scroll had fine lines, faintly emitting an archaic aura. Next is the grand finale auction item of this auction. The auctioneer's voice raised by an octave, carrying a bit of inflammatory enthusiasm. D-rank low-tier Do technique, Shuangdong fist. Cultivated to great success, the fist wind is like fierce qi, and the power is quite extraordinary. Starting bid, 1,800,000 gold coins. As soon as his voice trailed off, bidding sounds rose one after another in the hall. 1,850,000. 1,900,000. 2 million. The price skyrocketed all the way, breaking the 2 million mark in the blink of an eye. Xiaoyan looked at that scroll and indeed had some interest. A D-rank low-tier fist Do technique was not a necessity for him, but if the price was right, getting one was not out of the question. Unfortunately, the price rose too fast. In just a few breaths, the bidding price had already broken 2 million, and it was still climbing upwards. Xiaoyan hesitated for a moment, and ultimately put down the bidding placard in his hand. With this money, it would be better to turn back and ask Yao Lao for one. Yao Lao had nothing else in his hands, but his stock of Do techniques and cultivation methods was definitely not small. He shook his head and was just about to retract his gaze when a voice suddenly came from below. Everyone, I am Fan Ling, the young sect leader of the Blood Sect. I have taken a fancy to this Do technique. The voice was not loud, but it carried a bit of undisguised threat and overbearingness. The bidding sounds in the hall came to an abrupt stop. The expressions of several bidders who were still raising placards changed slightly, and the placards in their hands were put down in unison. Someone cursed in a low voice, and someone shook their head helplessly, but not a single person dared to continue bidding. The reputation of the young sect leader of the Blood Sect indeed carried some weight in the Black Corner region. The auctioneer stood on the stage, the smile on his face stiffening for a split second, but he quickly recovered his professional smile. He glanced at the silenced bidders off the stage, then looked at the young figure in the direction of the private box, sighed in his heart, but still followed the procedure and asked a question. Are there any other guests bidding? Silence. No one spoke. Fan Ling's voice drifted over from the private box again, carrying a bit of impatience. Hurry up, since no one is bidding, why don't you announce it quickly? The auctioneer gritted his teeth, forced out a smile, raised the small wooden mallet in his hand, and knocked it gently. D-rank low-tier Do technique, Shuangdong fist, won by Fan Ling, the young master of the Blood Sect. Congratulations, young master Fan. The reason why he gave in so quickly was very simple, because although their auction house backed the 8 gates. City Lord Yuan Yi, City Lord was a 1 or 2 star Do Huang in cultivation, ranked 10th on the blacklist. Yet the strength of this Fan Ling's father was at the 4 or 5 star Do Huang level, and his ranking was even ahead of City Lord Yuan Yi, City Lord. Not to mention a small auctioneer like him, even if the City Lord came in person, he might also yield. Scattered discussion sounded off the stage, but no one dared to speak too loudly, for fear that Fan Ling would hear. At this time, Fan Ling poked half his body out of the private box, with a smug smile on his face. He waved at the crowd below, as if he had accomplished a remarkable feat. Xiaoyan sat in the second-floor private box, watching this scene through the gauze curtain, sighing inwardly. Before coming, he still had some expectations, wondering if he would encounter the remnant map of the Purification Lotus Demon Flame. Or movement Do techniques like 3000 lightning movement. But now it seemed that these fortunes were obviously not yet timed to appear. Thinking of this, Xiaoyan stood up and stretched. Let's go, Kai Lin, to collect the money. He naturally took Kai Lin's hand and walked out of the private box. The backstage of the auction house had a special settlement window. Xiaoyan presented his voucher and successfully collected the gold coins fetched by the rejuvenation pill. And just as they were standing in front of the window counting the gold coins, several people were also standing in front of the counter next to them. Leading them was a young man in his early 20s, dressed in brocade robes with fair skin, but his eyes carried a bit of sinister and frivolousness. He was precisely Fan Ling, the young sect leader of the blood sect who had high-profile 1 that D-rank Go technique just now. He was lowering his head and flipping through the Shuangdong Fist scroll, listening absent-mindedly to something whispered by a skinny old man beside him. Suddenly, his peripheral vision swept past the nearby window and landed on a figure. Kailin was standing beside Xiaoyan, slightly turning her head to look at the accounts inside the window. That peerlessly beautiful face appeared exceptionally dazzling under the dim light of the auction house. Fan Ling's gaze froze instantly. He even forgot to flip the scroll in his hand, staring straight at Kailin, the desire in his eyes almost overflowing. Chapter 69, Fan Ling follows. A moment later, he suppressed his impatience slightly, turned his head a fraction, and lowered his voice to ask the thin-faced elder beside him. Did you figure out the backgrounds of those 2 people next to us? That elder was the blood sect master, the very Dowang powerhouse sent by his father to protect him. He narrowed his eyes and sized up Xiaoyan and Kailin for a moment, then quietly probed them with his soul perception. A moment later, he shook his head slightly and said in a low voice. Young sect leader, that youth should have some secret technique that conceals his aura. This old man cannot see through his specific strength. Judging by his age and bone age, he is at most 12 or 13 years old. Even if his talent defies the heavens, at most he wouldn't exceed a great Dough master. As for that woman. He frowned, sensed carefully for another instant, and then muttered to himself. There isn't the slightest bit of Dough Chi fluctuation on her, she should be an ordinary person without any cultivation. The arc at the corner of Fan Ling's mouth slowly curved upward. No cultivation, he gently rubbed his fingers, his gaze falling back onto Kailin, his tone carrying a hint of playfulness. Won't she be a bit too fragile to play with? Ellipsis ellipsis. The lights inside the auction house were still bright, and the crowd had not completely dispersed, but Xiaoyan and Kailin had already passed through the backstage corridor and walked out of the auction house's doors. The sky outside had already darkened, and sparse lamplights had been lit on the streets of Black Seal City, the air permeated with a complex smell mixed with dust and lamp smoke. Xiaoyan's pace was neither fast nor slow, with Kailin walking by his side, their shadows drawn very long under the streetlights. After walking about several dozen steps out of the auction house's gates, Kailin tilted her head slightly, her gaze glancing back nonchalantly. Her voice was lowered very low, carrying a trace of lazy amusement. Little fellow, those 2 blind fools have followed us. Xiaoyan did not turn his head, but his pace remained unchanged. I can see it, it seems they regard us as fat sheep. Speaking of this, he thought for a moment and added another sentence, his tone carrying a few traces of teasing. Sister Kailin, you must protect me well, okay? Hearing this, Kailin's lips curved up slightly, her arm naturally hooking around his arm. Her tone carried a bit of banter, yet a trace of seriousness could also be heard. Of course. She did not ask how Xiaoyan planned to deal with those 2 tails behind them, nor did she proactively suggest shaking the other party off. She simply matched his pace, walking forward unhurriedly, as if she truly were just an ordinary woman led along by a youth. Xiaoyan also did not deliberately speed up or take a detour, still maintaining an unhurried speed. Those 2 oars behind remained following at a neither far nor near distance, clearly relying on their high cultivation and not taking the 2 people ahead seriously at all. After walking a distance, the surrounding houses gradually thinned out, replaced by uneven trees and cluttered bushes. The road grew narrower and narrower, the trees on both sides grew denser, and the night grew deeper. Xiaoyan and Kailin's footsteps finally stopped. This was a small grove far from the main road, with dense branches and leaves. The 2 stopped in a relatively open clearing and turned around. Come out, you've followed us all the way, aren't you tired? Xiaoyan's voice was not loud, yet it clearly echoed in the night. Silence hung for a moment. 2 figures walked out from behind a large tree. At the head was precisely that blood sect young sect leader with a fair face carrying a hint of sinister gloom, Fan Ling. Half a step behind him, that thin elder followed closely step by step. Fan Ling wore a smile on his face, his gaze bypassing Xiaoyan to land directly on Kailin, his tone carrying a bit of flippancy. I didn't expect to be discovered after all. However, since you've already found out, I won't beat around the bush anymore. Fan Ling's gaze was glued to Kailin from beginning to end. As if Xiaoyan standing beside her was merely an eyesore of a decoration. He wore a smile, effectively straightening his lapels. His gaze carrying undisguised fervor, he spoke with a deliberately gentle tone. Young lady, earlier in the auction house it was noisy with voices, and we didn't get to converse properly. I am Fan Ling, the blood sect young sect leader. I wonder how the young lady is addressed. Would you be willing to accompany me back to the blood sect for a chat? Although the blood sect cannot be considered some prestigious major faction, in this 1U3 fen plot of the Black Corner region, it still has some thin face. If the young lady is willing to grace us with her presence, I will definitely treat you with courtesy and will never let the young lady suffer even half a grievance. What he said sounded pleasant, but his gaze locked onto Kailin without blinking. That look was not just appreciation, it was more like a hunter sizing up prey that had already fallen into the net. Kailin did not answer, nor did she even give him a proper look. She merely tilted her head slightly to look at Xiaoyan, her tone carrying a trace of impatience. Little fellow. Don't dawdle with trash like this. Before Xiaoyan had time to speak, Fan Ling's expression had already changed. He had run rampant in the Black Corner region for many years, relying on the blood sect's influence, which women did not treat him respectfully upon seeing him. Even if they were unwilling in their hearts, on the surface they wouldn't dare ignore him like this. Now, being slighted like this in public by a woman, the smile on his face could finally no longer be maintained. Young lady, refusing to appreciate kindness is not a wise move at all. Fan Ling's voice turned cold, and Dough Chi had already begun to condense in his hands. A blood-red light circulated at his fingertips, leaking a chilling and bizarre aura. In the Black Corner region, those who offend my blood sect have very few good endings. As his voice fell, he stopped talking nonsense. Stepping out in one stride, the blood-red Dough Chi in his palm condensed into a sharp blood-colored claw print, grabbing toward Xiaoyan's direction with a bloody wind. His original intention was to first get rid of this eyesore of a youth, and then properly entertain the woman he had set his eyes on. However, before that blood-colored claw print could touch Xiaoyan, it was intercepted by a cyan flame. Xiaoyan had already stood before Fan Ling at some unknown time, his right palm spread open. A cluster of flames danced in his palm, exuding a scorching and dangerous aura. That blood-colored claw print crashed into the flame, melting away instantly like snow and ice meeting fire. Fan Ling's pupils constricted. Heavenly flame. Xiaoyan did not reply. With a backhand grip, that cluster of flames transformed into a fire whip, sweeping horizontally toward Fan Ling. Fan Ling hurriedly retreated, blood-red Do Chi condensing into a blood shield in front of him, attempting to block the fire whip's offensive. However, the moment that blood shield came into contact with the flame, it emitted a chi sound. Like thin ice poured over by boiling hot water, it rapidly melted. His blood attribute chi method, under the natural suppression of the heavenly flame, had almost no place to be used. After a few moves, the more Fan Ling fought, the more alarmed he became. He had originally thought that dealing with the youth before him would be as easy as taking something from his pocket. Yet the opponent's Do Chi thickness, as well as his application of Do techniques, far exceeded his expectations. What terrified him even more was that every time he condensed blood Do Chi, upon contacting that cluster of flame, it would rapidly dissipate like ignited cotton wool, completely failing to form an effective attack. After 2 more moves, Fan Ling finally realized he was no match. His expression changed completely, violently pulling back a distance, his voice carrying a raspy, exasperated tone. Uncle Wong, why aren't you making a move yet? Chapter 70, a dozong is truly terrifying. Hearing these words, the skinny old man who had been standing in the shadows all along had already prepared himself before Fan Ling made his move. Hearing his young master's call at this moment, he hesitated no longer. With a flash of his figure, his Do Wong level aura suddenly burst forth, turning into a sharp gust of wind that assaulted Xiaoyan. However, just as his figure had dashed halfway across, he abruptly stopped. Because Kai Lin, whom he originally thought was merely an ordinary person, had somehow blocked the space between him and Xiaoyan. She stood there so casually, not even striking any defensive or offensive posture, simply looking at him calmly. The old man's pupils violently constricted. When he perceived her outside the auction house just now, there was clearly no Do Chi fluctuation whatsoever on this woman. Yet at this moment, when he stood right in front of her, the oppressive feeling originating from the depths of his soul made all the hairs on his body stand on end. This was definitely not an ordinary person. This aura was at least at the Do Huang expert level. Moreover, facing such a seemingly young Do Huang expert, he absolutely had no chance of winning. Thinking of this, the old man did not hesitate, making a decisive choice. He intended to abandon Fan Ling and flee for his life. His Do Chi wings instantly unfolded, his figure retreating violently as he soared straight up into the high sky. However, just as he had flown into the air, he discovered that a figure had somehow appeared directly above him. Kai Lin stepped on the empty air, her arms crossed over her chest, looking down at him with an aloof and detached gaze from on high. It was like looking at a mosquito trying to fly away from her palm. The old man's entire body stiffened. He instinctively glanced down at Kai Lin's feet. There was nothing to leverage in that patch of empty space, nor were there any Do Chi wings behind this woman. Yet she stood there steadily, as if standing on flat ground. Walking on air. That was the hallmark of a dozong. Dozong, terrifying to this extent. The old man's voice was practically trembling out. Kai Lin did not answer. She merely slowly raised her right hand and gently waved it downward. A giant palm condensed from Do Chi descended from the sky, carrying an irresistible might as it fiercely slammed into the old man's body. Bang! With a muffled explosion, the old man's body was like a slapped-down fly. Plummeting straight down from the air, he smashed heavily onto the ground, creating a shallow pit as dust flew everywhere. He struggled for a moment, wanting to get up, only to find that all the bones in his body seemed to have fallen apart. He didn't even have the strength to lift a single finger. Fan Ling watched this scene, freezing in place, his gaze shifting from the old man deeply embedded in the earth pit, slowly moving up to that enchanting and alluring figure in the air. All the color completely drained from his face, and cold sweat continuously slid down his temples. At this moment, he finally realized that he had kicked an iron plate. The woman he had set his sights on was simply not an existence he could provoke. At this time, Kai Lin slowly drifted down from the air, landing by Xiaoyan's side. Seeing that this terrifying woman did not seem to have any intention of exterminating them completely, Fan Ling's heart abruptly relaxed, like a drowning person finally surfacing. He opened his mouth, preparing to say a few words to beg for mercy. But he saw Kai Lin's gaze sweep across the ground casually, aiming at a fist-sized stone near her foot, and giving it a gentle kick with her toe. Whoosh! That stone flew out at a speed almost imperceptible to the naked eye. It flew precisely toward the old man lying prone in the deep pit, whose bones were completely shattered and only a pair of eyes could still move. The stone pierced through the old man's body, emitting a muffled, puff, sound. Shortly after, an invisible shockwave spread out from the position where the stone pierced through. In that instant, the old man's body was as if torn apart from the inside, violently shattering into pieces as fresh blood splattered everywhere, splattering onto the surrounding sandy ground, staining it a dark red. Xiaoyan took a look, frowned, reached out, and gently pinched Kai Lin's small hand. Kai Lin, be cleaner when killing people in the future, don't make it so disgusting. Kai Lin turned her head to look at him, unexpectedly not refuting, and merely nodded. Got it, little fellow, you even have to manage this king killing someone. On the other side, Fan Ling, who saw this scene, currently had legs so weak he could barely stand, and cold sweat had already soaked his back. He had witnessed with his own eyes his strongest guard being blasted apart by a kickstone. This kind of visual impact came much more directly than any words. At this moment, his desire for survival overwhelmed all his pride and unwillingness, his knees went soft, and he almost knelt onto the ground, his voice trembling. Don't kill me, I have good things. I can give you anything. The D-rank Do technique auctioned off at the auction just now. I can give all of it to you. He hurriedly fumbled through his storage ring, wanting to pull something out to prove his value. Yet Xiaoyan merely looked at him indifferently, his tone as calm as if stating a trivial matter. Don't waste the effort. Once you die, these things will all be mine. As his voice fell, Xiaoyan casually raised his right hand, and the green lotus core flame in his palm left his hand. It turned into a wisp of cyan fire line, landing precisely on Fan Ling. Fan Ling didn't even have time to let out a miserable scream before his entire person was engulfed by the cyan flames. His body rapidly carbonized under the high temperature of the heavenly flame. In just a few breaths of time, along with the clothes on his body, he turned into nothingness, not even leaving behind ashes. Only a few storage rings were left on the ground, glowing faintly in the lingering warmth after the firelight extinguished. Xiaoyan waved his hand, and those storage rings flew into his palm as if guided by an invisible thread. He lowered his head to investigate them one by one, his soul power seeping into them to sweep through the contents inside. First was the Dowang old man's storage ring. Xiaoyan investigated for a moment, his brows slightly raised, his face filled with extreme disgust. How could he be so poor? Inside there were only some scattered gold coins, a few bottles of ordinary quality medicinal pills, and some miscellaneous magical beast materials which together weren't worth much big money. Xiaoyan casually threw that storage ring into his own storage ring, turning instead to investigate the ring left behind by Fan Ling. At this look, a trace of satisfaction finally flashed in his eyes. There were still quite a few good things in Fan Ling's ring. A D-rank Go technique, a few bottles of high-grade medicinal pills, and various precious medicinal herbs. There was also a small pile of glittering gold coins and several gold tickets, roughly estimated, they were worth at least several million gold coins. Xiaoyan put all the items in the ring one by one into his own storage ring. Then he casually threw the empty storage ring onto the ground, stood up, and patted the dust off his hands. Let's go. After Xiaoyan and Kai Lin returned to Jianan Academy, time flew by in a flash, and half a year passed in the blink of an eye. During these past 6 months, Xiaoyan had hardly left the academy. He had basically been cultivating Do techniques and polishing his doji in the academy all this time. In half a year's time, he practiced the D-rank Do technique, Zongang Fist, which he obtained from Fan Ling, to perfection. This Do technique followed a fierce and domineering path, with a single punch thrown, fierce winds howled with astonishing power. Coordinated with his current Do Ling cultivation, ordinary 1 or 2-star Do Ling experts couldn't even take a single punch from him. Chapter 71, Accidental Encounter with Qian Runshui. Of course. In terms of alchemy, he had not fallen behind either. At present, he was already able to steadily refine peak 5th rank medicinal pills. Waiting only to break through to Do Wang, he could smoothly become a 6th rank alchemist, or even a 7th rank. His cultivation base, however, did not have much progress, currently only breaking through to 3-star Do Ling. On this day, Xiaoyan sat inside the room, flipping through the medicinal formula in his hand, but his gaze was somewhat drifting. There was still some time away from the inner academy selection match, and this period of time could neither be considered long nor short. Cultivation could not be rushed, and alchemy could not be done blindly all the time, he always had to find something else to do. He put down the medicinal formula, suddenly recalling that shuttle talisman inside his storage ring. Duluo continent. Xiaoyan thought about it and decided to go take another stroll. He originally wanted to bring Xiao Shuaner along, but upon second thought. That old man Ling Ying had always been hiding in the dark staring at Zuner, if she suddenly disappeared. That old fellow would probably be so anxious as to directly summon experts of the Jiyu clan to come and investigate. It would be troublesome by then, so forget it. If not bringing Zuner, then he would bring Kai Lin. Kai Lin had actually also been to Duluo continent. The last time Xiaoyan went to Duluo continent, she was in a slumber most of the time, only vaguely having some blurry perception of the outside world. But that kind of perception was not complete, and her understanding of that world was limited to some fragmented impressions. Kai Lin, want to go to a fun place? Xiaoyan reached out and gently patted the buttocks of Kai Lin, who was resting her eyes to preserve her energy on the side bed, and asked a question. Kai Lin opened her eyes and cast a sideways glance at him. What place? Another world. Xiaoyan smiled and waved the shuttle talisman in his hand. You were sleeping the whole time when we went last time, this time I will bring you to see it with your own eyes. Hearing this, Kai Lin gave a faint "Amen," which counted as agreement. Xiaoyan no longer hesitated, grasped the shuttle talisman in his hand, and poured fighting chi into it. The golden radiance instantly enveloped him and Kai Lin, the light growing increasingly intense and brighter, completely swallowing the figures of the two in the end. The next instant, when the light dissipated, Xiaoyan and Kai Lin were already standing within a completely different world. Around them were towering ancient trees that blocked out the sky, their tree crowns overlapping layer upon layer, cutting the sunlight into fine, fragmented light spots sprinkled on the ground. The air was permeated with the scent of earth and vegetation, mixed with a faint, elusive fishy stench. In the distance, low beast roars faintly came, echoing in the depths of the dense forest. Stardo Great Forest. Xiaoyan looked around, identified the direction, and the corners of his mouth lifted slightly. It seems the location of every visit is a bit different, he muttered softly. Last time it was at the entrance of Notting Junior Soul Master Academy, and this time it is the Stardo Great Forest. Kai Lin stood by his side, her gaze calmly sweeping across the surrounding dense forest. She could sense that this forest was permeated with a type of energy fluctuation completely different from the fighting chi continent. The magical beasts here, Kai Lin opened her mouth, her tone carrying a hint of curiosity, are a bit different from the magical beasts of the fighting chi continent. Xiaoyan nodded. The soul beasts of this world do indeed have differences from the magical beasts on our side. Their cultivation system is called soul power. The grades range from 10 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years to 100,000 years, but compared to the magical beasts on our side, the so-called soul beasts here are much weaker. Xiaoyan walked while introducing the basic situation of Duluo continent to Kai Lin. Kai Lin listened quietly, occasionally asking a word or two, and the occasional micro-light flashing in her eyes proved that she indeed had developed some interest in this world. The two walked in the Stardo Great Forest, the fallen leaves under their feet rustling. Walking for a distance, Xiaoyan suddenly noticed the movement ahead. On a relatively open forest clearing, there was precisely a figure sitting cross-legged, with rich soul power fluctuations lingering around the body. A circle of black soul ring was slowly taking shape, solidifying from the void, and slowly falling toward the feet of that figure. That was a woman. Looking to be around 20 years of age, her appearance was peerlessly beautiful, her temperament cold and untainted by the mortal world, and her facial features exquisite as if carved from top-grade jade. She was dressed in a golden long dress, her long hair draped over her shoulders, gently fluttering in the breeze. At this moment, her eyes were tightly closed, her expression peaceful, and the aura around her continuously climbed under the traction of the 8th black soul ring. The 8th soul ring. A soul master absorbing the 8th soul ring. Xiaoyan's gaze lingered on that figure for an instant, then looked at the two people standing by her side. One on the left and one on the right, guarding by her side like guards. The person on the left was tall, with a stern face, holding a long spear in his hand. The tip of the spear emitted a faint cold light, and his whole body exuded an undisguised sense of oppression. The person on the right was slightly short and plump, with a round face, but a pair of eyes as sharp as an eagle's, his entire body emanating a chilly aura. Both of them faintly had soul power fluctuations flowing on their bodies, and that level was clearly titled Duluo. Xiaoyan recognized at a glance that woman who was absorbing the 8th soul ring. It was precisely Qian Runshui. And the two guarding by her side were naturally Snakeland's Duluo and Porcupinefish Duluo. Xiaoyan's heart stirred slightly, feeling somewhat surprised. When he came to Duluo continent last time, Tang San had just awakened his martial soul not long ago. Counting the time, at Qian Runshui's age, how could she possibly be at rank 80? But upon second thought, the time flow rates of the two worlds were inherently different. Last time he stayed in Duluo continent for a month, and fighting Chi continent only passed a single night. This time half a year had passed, and the time passed in Duluo continent was probably even longer. Just as Xiao Yan was pondering, Snake Lance Duluo had already noticed them. His gaze sternly swept past Xiao Yan and Kai Lin, like sweeping past two insignificant specks of dust. In his view, these two people did not have much soul power fluctuations on them. At most they were just an ordinary soul master and attendant, completely insufficient to attract his attention. Kid, get lost far away, do not approach this place. Snake Lance Duluo spoke indifferently. After he finished speaking, without even wasting words, he directly released his own aura. 9 soul rings rose from under his feet, 2 yellows, 2 purples, 5 blacks, the optimal soul ring configuration. In his view, this was enough to scare these two blind fellows out of their wits. Kai Lin's footsteps came to a halt. She tilted her head and glanced at Snake Lance Duluo, her gaze calm, as if looking at an ignorant ant brandishing its claws in front of her. An ant, yet you dare speak to this king's little man like this. Her voice was not loud, yet it carried an iciness and majesty leaking straight from her bones. The instant her voice fell, the aura around her burst forth without any warning. Snake Lance Duluo only felt a blur before his eyes, that feeling extremely eerie. This enchanting and moving woman before him seemed to transform in an instant into a giant python even larger than the entire Duluo continent, coiling between heaven and earth. Looking down at him, that oppressive feeling coming from the depths of his soul made all the hairs on his body stand on end. His heart felt as though it was fiercely clenched by an invisible hand, making even breathing become difficult. His martial soul trembled violently inside his body, as if wanting to collapse on its own, completely not daring to face the existence before him. His legs began to tremble uncontrollably, and cold sweat continuously slid down his temples. Chapter 72 Xiao Yan, do you know me? Porcupinefish Duluo was no better off. Although he wasn't directly targeted like Snake Lance Duluo, that lingering oppressive aura still made it hard for him to breathe. Just at that moment, a crisp, excited voice broke the stalemate. Brother Xiao Yan, you are Brother Xiao Yan. Qian Runshui, who had just finished absorbing her 8th spirit ring, opened her eyes. The moment her gaze landed on Xiao Yan, it was as if she had been struck by something, and her entire body stiffened abruptly. Immediately afterward, crystalline tears welled up in those golden eyes. She didn't even pay attention to the 8th spirit ring she had just finished absorbing, nor did she care about the abnormal state of the two-titled Duluo beside her. With a flash, she lunged directly in front of Xiao Yan, opened her arms, and tightly pulled him into her embrace. Xiao Yan only felt a wave of fragrant wind wash over him, and the next instant, he was tightly restrained by a soft figure. Brother Xiao Yan, I finally found you. Qian Runshui's voice carried a crying tone along with a sense of grievance, resembling someone who had suffered monumental grievances and finally saw her family. She buried her face in Xiao Yan's shoulder, her tears falling uncontrollably and dampening the fabric on his shoulder. Did you know, the last time I saw you, I looked for you for a very, very long time, but you disappeared. I searched all over Heaven-Do City, searched all over the Stardo Great Forest, and searched every place you might have gone to. Her voice grew lower and lower, eventually turning into a muffled sob. Standing to the side, Kai Lin originally saw this woman she had never met before actually dare to hug her little man right in front of her, and jealousy surged up in her heart instantly. Her gaze turned slightly cold, and she immediately wanted to slap Qian Runshui to death. But right at the moment she was about to make a move, she heard Qian Runshui's words. Only then did Kai Lin forcefully suppress the impulse to slap Qian Runshui to death. Xiao Yan was also stunned. He was held tightly by Qian Runshui as a wave of fragrant wind washed over him, carrying a faint, cool floral scent. He could feel her shoulders trembling slightly, and her tears wetting the fabric on his shoulder. The grievance and urgency in her voice didn't look like they were fake at all. Yet he truly didn't remember when he had ever met Qian Runshui. You, know me. Xiao Yan's voice carried obvious doubt. He stepped back slightly by half a step, attempting to break free from Qian Runshui's embrace. But Qian Runshui's hands were locked tightly, as if she was afraid that once she let go, he would disappear again. Compared to Xiao Yan's shock, Snake Lance Duluo and Porcupinefish Duluo were completely dumbfounded. They blankly watched their young master hurl herself into the arms of a strange youth, crying like a little girl, leaving their minds completely blank. That decisive, majestic, and aloof spirit hall young master was crying right now. And she was hugging a little boy who looked to be no more than 10 years old, calling him older brother. Snake Lance Duluo opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but found that he couldn't utter a single word. His entire person fell into an indescribable state of chaos. Hearing Xiao Yan say he didn't know her, Qian Runshui felt somewhat heartbroken for a moment, tears swirling in her eye sockets, yet she forcefully held them back from falling. She bit her lip, as if remembering something, and suddenly raised her hand to wipe away the tear stains at the corner of her eyes, speaking to Xiao Yan with a somewhat urgent tone. Brother Xiao Yan, you once told me that even if you don't remember everything that happened between us, as long as I still know you, then you will definitely know me. Xiao Yan was slightly startled. This sentence indeed sounded like something he would say. Yet he truly had no memories concerning Qian Runshui at the moment. This feeling was too bizarre. She knew him, understood him, and even knew the way he spoke. Yet he knew nothing at all about her. Seeing that Xiao Yan was still somewhat hesitant and seemed a bit disbelieving, Qian Runshui suddenly turned around, looked at Snake Lance Duluo and Porcupinefish Duluo, and her tone recovered. 2 elders, go wait for me at the outer perimeter of the Stardo Great Forest first. Snake Lance Duluo and Porcupinefish Duluo were stunned at the same time, hesitation appearing on their faces. Young master, this, Snake Lance Duluo glanced at Xiao Yan, then glanced at Kai Lin. Especially when recalling the terrifying oppressive aura Kai Lin had exuded just moments ago, cold sweat began to break out on his back again. These two people have unknown origins, if they are disadvantageous to the young master. Hearing this, Qian Runshui's expression sank slightly, and her voice grew a bit colder. This is an order. Speaking to this point, she paused, her tone softening slightly, yet remaining firm. Rest assured, Brother Xiao Yan and Sister Kai Lin will not harm me. Furthermore, if Sister Kai Lin really wants to make a move against me, let alone you two, even if grandfather were here, there would be no way. Snake Lance Duluo opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but ultimately swallowed the words back down. He exchanged a glance with Porcupinefish Duluo, and both of them saw helplessness in each other's eyes. In the end, they could only bow in salute, their figures flashing as they sprinted toward the direction of the outer perimeter of the Stardo Great Forest, quickly disappearing into the depths of the dense forest. After the two left, the scene grew quiet. Xiaoyan looked at Qian Runshui with curiosity in his eyes. You even know Kai Lin? Qian Runshui turned her head, glanced at Kai Lin, and a faint smile appeared at the corners of her lips. This is also my first time seeing Sister Kai Lin. However, I've heard Brother Xiaoyan mention her before. Brother Xiaoyan, you told me before that although Sister Kai Lin looks cold on the outside, she is actually very soft-hearted. Toward the people she cares about, she will protect them more than anyone else. Hearing this, Kai Lin's gaze shifted slightly, she glanced at Qian Runshui and said nothing. To further prove herself, Qian Runshui suddenly raised her right hand, a wisp of golden light condensing at her fingertips. It carved a sharp arc through the air. It was obviously a sword do technique, with fierce moves, a condensed aura, and clear traces of do chi circulation. Xiaoyan's gaze narrowed slightly. He recognized it. This was a high Zon tier sword do technique. Although it couldn't be considered very profound, the circulation method and force exerting techniques indeed bore the shadow of what he had taught. Immediately following that, Qian Runshui showcased another cultivation method. Her aura was steady and her control was effortless, surprisingly being a mid-DN tier cultivation method. Xiaoyan was silent for a moment, gradually forming a general guess in his heart. It should be something he fished up through the fishing system at some point in the future. Then, through some method, he got to know Qian Runshui and imparted these do techniques and cultivation methods to her. As for him at the current point in time, because he hadn't experienced those things yet, he had completely no related memories. Although this kind of matter sounded bizarre, it wasn't entirely impossible either. Thinking of this, Xiaoyan looked at Qian Runshui, his tone turning a bit more serious. Can you tell me how we met? Hearing this, Qian Runshui fell silent for a fraction of a second, then shook her head. I'm sorry, not right now. She raised her head, looking into Xiaoyan's eyes, her tone carrying a sense of solemn seriousness. Brother Xiaoyan, you told me before that if when you and I meet again, you do not remember Shui, when I see you, it's best not to tell you how we met. You said that would affect your judgment and cause unpredictable things to happen. Chapter 73 Qian Runshui, Sister Kai Lin, why are you like this? Xiaoyan looked into her clear and resolute golden eyes, remained silent for a moment and did not continue to press. He nodded, alright, then I won't ask. Qian Runshui visibly breathed a sigh of relief, a smile returning to her face. She walked over to Xiaoyan's side, naturally walking shoulder to shoulder. Brother Xiaoyan, let's walk and talk. The three of them walked side by side toward the outer periphery of the Stardo Great Forest. Sunlight filtered through the gaps in the leaves of the forest, casting mottled light and shadows on the ground. Qian Runshui walked by Xiaoyan's side with brisk steps, as if the majestic and cold young master of Spirit Hall from before was a completely different person. Xiao Shui, how old are you now? Xiaoyan asked as they walked. Although Qian Runshui was puzzled as to why Xiaoyan asked about her age, she still replied. I'm 22 years old. Xiaoyan nodded, silently estimating the timeline in his heart. Qian Runshui was 22 years old. Tang San should be 10 years younger than Qian Runshui, making him 12 years old this year. 12 years old, at this age, it was precisely when Tang San had just entered Shrek Academy. Thinking of this, he suddenly remembered something and looked at Qian Runshui in some surprise. Then how did you reach level 80 so quickly now? Qian Runshui smiled, her tone carrying a hint of smugness. This is all thanks to Brother Xiaoyan. She paused for a moment, as if recalling something, and continued to explain. When I was young, I originally planned to go undercover in the Heaven Do Empire to win that woman's approval. It was you, Brother Xiaoyan, who stopped me. You told me not to go undercover, saying it was a waste of my talent. You said that as long as I became a god, what meaning was there in controlling or not controlling the Heaven Do Empire? So I didn't go. You also told me that I didn't need to pursue obtaining that woman's approval. You said she was an ungrateful wretch who wasn't worth me currying favor with. That's why I've always stayed in Spirit Hall, cultivating with peace of mind, which is how I could cultivate so quickly. Hearing these words, Xiaoyan once again confirmed his inner thoughts, because Qian Runshui's statement that the woman she mentioned, meaning Bibi Dong, was an ungrateful wretch, was indeed something he would say and also his inner thought. Why say this? Although on the surface it looked like the closed room Duluo had done that kind of thing to Bibi Dong, it was understandable for Bibi Dong to kill Qian Zunji and hate Spirit Hall. But why did Qian Zunji treat Bibi Dong like that? Wasn't it because Bibi Dong, a genius whom they of Spirit Hall had nurtured and raised since childhood, was actually going to run off with that good-for-nothing in the hostile faction? It was just like adopting a girl, raising her from childhood, and finally managing to have her grow up and become talented and an adult. Yet this girl wanted to marry your enemy's child, and the crucial point was that your enemy's child was also a good-for-nothing. If it were you, what would you do? Looking at it from another angle. For instance, if Qian Zunji truly harbored malicious intentions toward Bibi Dong from the bottom of his heart. And Bibi Dong didn't plan to run away with Yu Xiaogin either. Yet Qian Zunji still committed the closed room act against Bibi Dong. But even so, what of it? You, Bibi Dong, had been a penniless orphan since childhood. It was Spirit Hall that awakened your spirit for you, nurtured you, and even gave you the position of Holy Maiden. Spirit Hall gave you everything. Without Spirit Hall, let alone your twin spirits, Bibi Dong, you might not have even had the chance to awaken a spirit. And what return did Spirit Hall get from her? It seemed to be only that Qian Zunji forcefully took your body and made you give birth to a child. Was that going too far? Xiaoyan pulled back his thoughts and did not continue to think deeply about it. The three of them walked together toward the outer periphery of the Stardo Great Forest, passing through layers of dense forest. The sunlight gradually grew brighter, and the air became a bit drier. Soon, their field of vision suddenly opened up, and an open area at the edge of the forest appeared before them. Snakelance Duluo and Porcupinefish Duluo were standing there waiting. Seeing Qian Runshui walk out safe and sound, the two visibly breathed a sigh of relief. Snakelance Duluo quickly stepped forward, his gaze vigilantly sweeping over Xiaoyan and Kai Lin. Seeing that the two had no intention of making a move, he finally set his mind at ease and bowed to Qian Runshui, saying, Young master, we should return to Spirit Hall. When we set out on this trip, the first priest said that after you obtain your 8th spirit ring, you must immediately return to Spirit Hall to find him, as there is a very important matter. Qian Runshui obviously knew about this matter and nodded. I know. Finished speaking, she turned around and looked at Xiaoyan and Kai Lin, her face carrying obvious anticipation and reluctance to part. Brother Xiaoyan, Sister Kai Lin, do you want to come with me to Spirit Hall for a visit? Xiaoyan thought about it and had no intention of going to Spirit Hall, so he shook his head. No need, we have our own matters to attend to. We can talk about it if there's a chance in the future. Hearing this, the anticipation on Qian Runshui's face instantly turned into disappointment, but she also knew that things decided by Xiaoyan were hard to change. She had no choice but to nod, her voice dropping a few degrees. Alright, then I'll go find Grandpa first. After I finish dealing with things, I'll come find you. After saying that, she couldn't help but take another look at Xiaoyan, as if wanting to carve his appearance a bit deeper into her mind. Then, she turned around and walked in the direction of Snakelands Duluo and Porcupinefish Duluo. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. She walked a few steps, then stopped and glanced back. Then she continued walking forward. After walking a few more steps, she stopped again and glanced back. With that reluctant to part appearance, where was there any trace of the majestic and cold young master of Spirit Hall? She clearly looked just like a little girl who couldn't bear to part with her brother. Snakelands Duluo and Porcupinefish Duluo stood to the side. Seeing their young master like this, they both felt it rather unfamiliar, yet none of them dared to open their mouths to say anything more. Just as Qian Runshui was about to reach Snakelands Duluo's side, she suddenly seemed to have made up her mind, turned sharply, and rushed back in Xiaoyan's direction. With her eyes closed, her cheeks slightly flushed, she mustered all her courage and kissed toward Xiaoyan. Xiaoyan naturally saw it. With his current power, he could naturally dodge. But he had no intention of dodging, and even secretly harbored a trace of anticipation in his heart. However, the next second, Qian Runshui's lips touched something. It was soft and cool, carrying a hint of faint fragrance, but it didn't have the tactile feel of lips. She was stunned for a moment. Without opening her eyes, she only felt her heartbeat going so fast it seemed as if it were about to jump out of her chest. Her face flushed even redder. After waiting for a moment, she found that there was completely no response or movement from Xiaoyan's side. Qian Runshui opened her eyes with some curiosity. Then she saw. Kailan's hand was steadily blocking the space between her and Xiaoyan. That hand was slender and fair, with fingertips slightly curved, blocking right in front of Qian Runshui's lips. The back of her hand pressed against Xiaoyan's lips, while her palm was where Qian Runshui had kissed. Kailan was looking down at Qian Runshui from above, her gaze calm, her eyebrows slightly raised, as if saying, "Do you take this lady for non-existent?" Qian Runshui's face instantly turned from slightly red to completely crimson, as if scorched by fire. With a sudden whoosh, she retreated several steps, covering her mouth with both hands, staring wide-eyed at Kailan, her voice filled with embarrassment and anxiety. "Sister Kailan Tilda, why are you like this?" Kailan withdrew her hand, leisurely patted the non-existent dust on the back of her hand, let out a calm, HMPH, and ignored her. Qian Runshui stood in place, the roots of her ears burning with embarrassment. She opened her mouth wanting to say something, but found she couldn't utter a single word. She could only stamp her foot, turn around, and sprint toward the direction of Snakelands Duluo and Porcupinefish Duluo. Chapter 74, Ning Rongrong's shock. She ran to the two of them and dropped a sentence without even turning her head. Let's go, let's go. Then she took the lead and flew in the direction of Wuhan City. Snakelands Duluo and Porcupinefish Duluo exchanged a glance, both seeing confusion in each other's eyes. Yet they didn't dare to ask too much, and hurriedly mobilized their soul power to follow. After Qian Runshui left, seeing that Xiaoyan was still in a daze with his gaze still lingering on the direction where Qian Runshui had disappeared, she suddenly spoke, her tone carrying a hint of elusive jealousy. What, didn't kiss her, feeling a bit regretful? Xiaoyan came back to his senses and hurriedly shook his head. No way, that was just, I didn't react in time. Kailan snorted coldly. No way, I think you clearly did, your eyes were almost glued to her. Xiaoyan opened his mouth, just about to refute, when he suddenly felt his mouth blocked. Unaware of when, Kailan had already moved close, raised her hand to cup his face, and kissed him directly. Her movements carried a hint of dominance and the implication of declaring sovereignty, leaving no room for resistance. Between their touching lips and teeth, there was a hint of faint, aloof fragrance and an elusive sweetness. Xiaoyan was stunned for a moment, then immediately responded. Not knowing how much time had passed, Xiaoyan really couldn't compare lung capacity with Kailan, this seven-colored sky-swallowing python. He finally couldn't help but gently pat her shoulder, signaling that he couldn't take it anymore. Only then did Kailan release him, stepping back half a step, looking at his slightly flushed cheeks, a trace of a satisfied curve at the corner of her mouth. With an incomparably domineering tone, she said, "Be good from now on, don't let other women touch you." Xiaoyan caught his breath and shook his head with a bitter smile. Got it, let's go. The two left the edge of the Stardew Great Forest and walked towards the direction of a nearby city. After passing through a wide plain, they saw from afar the silhouette of a city with towering walls appearing in their field of vision. Swotuo City. Xiaoyan and Kailan walked for a while, passing by an exquisitely decorated restaurant. The restaurant facade was magnificent, the windows bright and clean, and wafts of enticing food aromas drifted out from inside. Xiaoyan stopped, glanced at the sign in front of the door, turned his head and said to Kailan, "Kailan, let's go, I'll take you to taste the food of this world." Kailan did not refuse, and the two walked into the restaurant one after the other. The restaurant lobby was spacious and bright, tables and chairs were neatly arranged, and there were not too many guests. Xiaoyan took Kailan to find a table by the window and sat down, ordering a table full of dishes. Just as the two were eating with relish, a young girl wearing a white long dress pushed open the door and walked in. She had neat chin-length short hair, skin as tender as a freshly peeled lychee, exquisite facial features, and her brows carried the unique elegance and reserve of a noble girl. She was about 1.65 meters tall with a well-proportioned figure, giving an overall feeling of cleanliness, purity, and a bit of liveliness and agility. She was alone, yet she ordered a table full of dishes, and as soon as she sat down, she started eating in large mouthfuls, forming a sharp contrast with her appearance. Xiaoyan glanced at her and recognized her. Ning Rongrong, the little princess of the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile School. However, he didn't care much and continued to lower his head to deal with the food in front of him. Over on Ning Rongrong's side, after eating a few bites, seemingly in a bad mood, she muttered in a low voice while picking up food. What kind of lousy academy is this? To actually make this young lady run, and run 10 laps, is that useful? I am an auxiliary type soul master, without relying on teammates for protection, no matter how fast I run, can I outrun agile attack soul masters. Fortunately, this young lady is smart, and slipped out directly to fill my stomach. Her voice wasn't loud, but Xiaoyan had good hearing and heard it clearly, couldn't help but slightly curl the corners of his mouth, and didn't reply. After a while, Xiaoyan and Kailan finished eating. Xiaoyan put down his chopsticks and waved to a waiter not far away. The waiter hurried over, holding an account book in hand, with a standard professional smile on his face. Sir, your table totals 10 gold soul coins. Gold soul coins. Hearing these 3 words, Xiaoyan was stunned for a moment. He suddenly remembered that he didn't have the currency of this world on him. His storage ring was full of gold coins from the Fighting Chi continent, and although they looked somewhat similar to gold soul coins, they were fundamentally not the same thing. He touched his storage ring, pulled out 10 gold coins from it, and placed them on the table. The waiter picked up one of the gold coins, looked at it, weighed it in his hand, frowned, and his tone became somewhat subtle. Sir, although these gold coins of yours look like gold soul coins, they are not gold soul coins. We only accept gold soul coins here. Xiaoyan. Damn it, it really didn't work. He cursed inwardly, just wondering where to get some gold soul coins. Ning Rongrong over there suddenly spoke. The meal money for that table, this young lady will treat. She reached into her bosom and pulled out 10 gold soul coins, flicking them casually so they landed precisely on the table in front of the waiter. The waiter was stunned for a moment, quickly took the gold soul coins, bowed and thanked Ning Rongrong, nodded at Xiaoyan, and retreated. Xiaoyan didn't expect Ning Rongrong to help him check out, so he stood up, walked to Ning Rongrong's table, and cupped his hands. Many thanks. Ning Rongrong raised her head to look at him, glanced at Kailin, waved her hand, her tone very casual. It's nothing, anyway, this young lady doesn't have much else, except that I have a lot of gold soul coins. I see you and this older sister are also soul masters, right? You shouldn't be short of these 10 gold soul coins, you just forgot to bring them, right? Xiaoyan didn't explain and nodded, consider it so. He didn't want to owe a favor, thought about it, took out a scroll from his storage ring, and placed it on the table in front of Ning Rongrong. I'll give this to you, consider it my exchange for your meal money just now. Ning Rongrong originally wanted to wave her hand and say it was unnecessary, but the moment her finger touched the scroll, a piece of information flowed through her fingertips into her mind. Wind Shadow Step, Zontier Intermediate Do Technique. Can condense wind attribute fighting chi at the feet, making the figure like a lingering shadow in the wind, bursting out with astonishing speed in a short time. Ning Rongrong was completely stunned. She opened her eyes wide, looking at the seemingly ordinary scroll in front of her, the information from just now echoing repeatedly in her mind. This is. Her voice carried a trace of incredulous trembling, self-created soul skill. And it was a movement speed soul skill so suitable for an auxiliary type soul master like her. Ning Rongrong raised her head, and her gaze towards Xiaoyan completely changed. She never expected that this little brother, who looked a few years younger than her, would casually pull out an incomparably precious self-created soul skill and give it to her, while what she paid was merely a meal's worth. This is too precious. Ning Rongrong hurriedly took out a golden card from her bosom and handed it to Xiaoyan. There are 100,000 gold soul coins in this card, although it is far from comparable to the value of this scroll of self-created soul skill you gave me. But Xiaoyan was just wondering where to get gold soul coins, and seeing Ning Rongrong actively hand it over, he wasn't polite either. He reached out to take the gold card and interrupted her words. There is no such thing as worth it or not, I think it's worth it, so it's worth it. He paused, put the gold card into his bosom, and nodded to Ning Rongrong. Farewell. Chapter 75, Kailin, the more you talk, the more I lose my appetite. With those words, Xiaoyan turned and led Kailin toward the restaurant exit. Ning Rongrong wanted to say something more, but in the blink of an eye, Xiaoyan and Kailin had already vanished from the doorway, as if they had never been there at all. She lowered her head to look at the scroll in her hands, then looked up toward the doorway, muttering to herself. Just who are they? Elsewhere. After leaving the restaurant, Xiaoyan and Kailin continued walking along the streets of Suoduo City. As dusk fell, the lights on both sides of the street lit up one after another. Kailin's gaze swept across both sides of the street. It finally landed on a luxuriously decorated building, Rose Hotel. The hotel's outer walls were covered in dark red vines adorned with blooming roses, looking exceptionally romantic and exquisite under the warm yellow lights. Kailin stopped in her tracks, her gaze resting on the building for a moment. She turned to look at Xiaoyan and said firmly, "Little guy, this king wants to stay here tonight." Xiaoyan followed her gaze and took a look at the hotel. Looking at Kailin's, "I call the shots," expression, he quietly sighed. "All right, we'll stay here." That night, Xiaoyan and Kailin stayed in a street-facing room on the 3rd floor of Rose Hotel. The room was exquisitely and romantically decorated, with dark red curtains half drawn, showing the night lights of Suoduo City outside the window. Pedestrians bustled about on the street, and the shop lights on both sides bathed the whole street in a warm glow. Xiaoyan stood by the window, looking down at the crowd below, while Kailin stood by his side, casually taking in the street view. The two watched quietly for a while without speaking, enjoying this rare moment of leisure. Just then, 2 figures appeared on the street. One was an ordinary-looking boy wearing plain cloth clothes, walking with steady steps. Beside him was a girl with a scorpion tail braid, skipping along in front and turning back from time to time to talk and laugh with him. Tang San and Xiao Wu. Xiaoyan recognized them at a glance. The two had just returned from the soul fighting arena. Xiao Wu was walking ahead with light steps when she suddenly seemed to sense something and slowed down. She turned back to Tang San, reaching out to touch his chest gently. Tang San was startled by her sudden action and instinctively took half a step back. "Xiao Wu, what are you doing?" Xiao Wu didn't answer right away. She looked down at his chest, her eyes slightly red, her voice carrying self-blame and heartache. "Does it still hurt? It's all because of Xiao Wu that you got hurt, third brother." Only then did Tang San realize she was worried about his injury. He smiled and shook his head, speaking easily. "I'm fine, Xiao Wu. I'm not that fragile. What does a minor injury like this matter?" Xiao Wu wanted to say more, but Tang San pulled her along as they continued forward. Just then, the blue-silver grass on Xiaoyan's clothes, which had been resting quietly like an ornament, suddenly quivered slightly. Yin's voice sounded, filled with clear hatred and suppressed anger. "That vile creature. And the little girl beside him is clearly a 100,000-year spirit beast. How could she be so close to that wretch? Tang Hao must be able to tell what she is, so why would he let her stay by that wretch's side?" Xiaoyan responded. "What else could it be for? Tang Hao's spirit rings are already full. Tang San can't absorb a 100,000-year spirit ring yet, so he can only keep her nearby for now, waiting for the right opportunity, just like with you back then." Yin's voice went silent for a moment. When she spoke again, her tone held a bone-chilling coldness. "Tang Hao, scheming against me wasn't enough. You even want to scheme against another 100,000-year spirit beast. You truly are worse than a beast." Xiaoyan did not answer. Kailin had been quietly listening to the conversation between Xiaoyan and Yin. Her gaze had originally been casually scanning the street, but when she heard the words, 100,000-year spirit beast, her eyes suddenly locked onto the figure with the scorpion tail braid. She narrowed her eyes slightly and stared at Xiao Wu for a long moment. A strange gleam flashed in her eyes. Then she turned to look at Xiao Yan, speaking with a rare seriousness. Xiao Yan, can I eat her? Xiao Yan asked in confusion, eat her? Why? Kai Lin replied as if it were natural. I'm a snake, and she's a rabbit. When a rabbit walks past a snake, is it strange for the snake to want to eat the rabbit? Xiao Yan. He looked at Kai Lin's serious expression, then looked down at the figure with the scorpion tail braid on the street, who was tugging on Tang San's clothes and acting coquettishly. A scene involuntarily surfaced in his mind. A scene of Kai Lin transforming into her true form and swallowing Xiao Wu into her stomach in one bite. Just thinking about it made him feel a bit disgusted. Better not eat her, Xiao Yan persuaded. She's 100,000 years old, the meat must be tough. What's good about eating that? Hearing this, Kai Lin thought about it and felt it made sense, preparing to dismiss the idea. Master, 100,000-year spirit beast doesn't mean it has actually lived for 100,000 years, but that its cultivation is 100,000 years. Yan's voice added hauntingly. Kai Lin's eyes instantly lit up. She looked at Xiao Yan with a look of certainty that said, now you have nothing to say. She was even starting to think about whether to transform into her true form and swallow her whole. Or go down and greet the rabbit before eating her. Xiao Yan hurriedly grabbed her arm, pulled her back to the window, and lowered his voice to keep persuading her. Kai Lin, listen to me. I advise you really shouldn't eat her. Kai Lin raised an eyebrow. Why? Xiao Yan took a deep breath and spoke rapidly. You probably know that female rabbits don't have a fixed breeding season, they can go into heat all year round. Their estrus cycle is very short, going into heat every 8 to 15 days, lasting 3 to 5 days each time. In theory, a female rabbit can give birth to 40 to 60 bunnies a year. Just think about it, even if that rabbit below hasn't lived for 100,000 years, it must have lived for tens of thousands of years. How many male rabbits must she have mated with, and how many litters of bunnies must she have birthed? Before Xiao Yan could finish, images uncontrollably began to float in Kai Lin's mind. A rabbit, tens of thousands of years, dozens of litters of bunnies every year. Her face visibly soured, and she frowned, interrupting him, stop talking. I won't eat her then. She turned around, no longer looking out the window, her tone carrying a bit of disgust. The more you talk, the more I lose my appetite, the more I hear, the grosser it gets. Xiao Yan breathed a sigh of relief, secretly glad that his trick had worked. Just as he was about to say something to lighten the atmosphere, down on the street outside the window, Xiao Wu's steps suddenly stopped. Her body stiffened slightly, and her face instantly turned pale, as if she had suddenly been locked onto by something. That feeling was extremely brief, yet extremely intense. It felt like a natural predator hidden in the dark was scrutinizing her with a cold gaze. Chapter 76, Daimubai makes a move. Tang San noticed her abnormality and hurriedly asked, Xiao Wu, what's wrong with you? Hearing this, Xiao Wu came back to her senses, shook her head in a panic, and tugged at Tang San's sleeve, her voice carrying a hint of urgency. Nothing. Third brother, let's hurry back. Tang San glanced at her. Although he found it a bit strange, he didn't press further and nodded. The two quickened their pace and soon disappeared at the end of the street. Seeing Tang San and Xiao Wu leave, Xiao Yan turned his head and said to Kai Lin. Let's go, Kai Lin, let's follow them and take a look. Kai Lin didn't refuse, their figures flashed, and they silently followed behind Tang San and Xiao Wu, maintaining a moderate distance. In the night, the figures of Tang San and Xiao Wu flickered in and out of view on the street ahead. The two of them chatted and laughed, completely unaware that someone was following them behind. After crossing several streets, a rather dilapidated academy gate appeared ahead. Hanging on the lintel was a crooked wooden plaque. Written on it were 5 characters, Shrek Academy. Tang San and Xiao Wu walked to the entrance and saw 2 people standing at the academy gate. One of them was Oscar, who was leaning against the doorframe with a slight frown, occasionally glancing secretly at the person next to him, his eyes carrying a hint of unwillingness and complexity. The other was Ning Rongrong, who was sitting on a large rock at the entrance of the academy, gently swinging her legs with a thoughtful smile on her face, obviously in a good mood. Ning Rongrong's gaze suddenly crossed over Tang San and Xiao Wu, landing not far behind them, and her eyes suddenly lit up. She leapt down from the large rock, making her way to Xiao Yan in a few quick steps, her tone carrying a hint of surprise and curiosity. It's you. Why are you guys here? Do you want to join Shrek Academy? Her voice attracted Tang San's attention. Tang San turned around, looking vigilantly at Xiao Yan and Kai Lin with a slight frown. There was only one road leading to the academy, and this man and woman must have been following not far behind them just now. Yet his acute perception hadn't detected it at all, which raised a trace of alertness in his heart. Xiao Wu sensed an indescribable dangerous aura from Kai Lin. Instantly taking half a step back, she hid behind Tang San and nervously grabbed his hem. Xiao Yan glanced at the curious Ning Rongrong in front of him and explained. No, I just heard that there's an academy here and came to take a look on the way. His gaze swept over the dilapidated gate and the crooked plaque, and he added in a calm tone. I didn't expect it to be so run down. Hearing this, Ning Rongrong nodded vigorously with a deep sense of empathy, wearing a, you're right, expression. However, Tang San and Oscar not far away furrowed their brows in unison upon hearing these words, and their gazes toward Xiao Yan gained a trace of dissatisfaction. Right at this moment, a figure walked out from the darkness, walking straight through the crowd toward the direction of the academy dormitories, as if the people around didn't exist at all. Zhu Zuqing was back. Her pace was brisk, her eyes looked straight ahead, and she didn't even glance at anyone. Following closely behind, the figure of Daimubai walked over from the other side, his expression also looking rather unpleasant. His gaze swept over Ning Rongrong, Xiao Yan, and Kai Lin, finally landing on Ning Rongrong with a hint of coldness in his tone. Who are they? What are you all doing here? Ning Rongrong raised her chin and replied without any evasion, they are my friends. Daimubai ignored these words. His gaze lingered on Kai Lin for a split second before looking away, turning to Ning Rongrong with a tone carrying a hint of mockery and questioning. Friends, what, are they here to pick you up and take you away from Shrek Academy? Ning Rongrong answered without hesitation. Of course not, such a fun place, I haven't played enough yet, and I don't want to leave right now. Speaking up to this point, she paused, her gaze shifting across Daimubai's face and then looking toward the direction where Zhu Zuqing had disappeared behind him. Suddenly seeming to understand something, the corners of her mouth curled up into a teasing smile, her tone carrying undisguised mockery. What is that expression on your face? Why do you look like a zombie? Did you get snubbed over at Zuqing's place? Ha ha ha, and to think Oscar said that you, Dai Mubai, are a master-level romantic saint, yet you can't even handle a little girl. Did your boasting blow up in your face? Dai Mubai's expression instantly sank, a cold flash of light crossing his eyes. His voice dropped very low, carrying obvious anger. Ning Rong Rong, do not challenge my patience. This is Shrek Academy, not your home. Others might fear your 7 treasure glazed tile school, but I, Dai Mubai, certainly do not. If you anger me, watch out or I'll you first, then kill you, then and kill you again. Hearing this, instead of being scared, Ning Rong Rong giggled, tilted her head, and deliberately drew out her long tone. I'm so scared. Her tone was clearly a provocation of, what can you possibly do to me? You. Dai Mubai was infuriated and could no longer suppress his anger. The soul power all over his body instantly erupted, and a powerful wave of air blasted toward Ning Rong Rong. Even Xiao Yan, who was standing behind Ning Rong Rong, received his special care. That wave of soul power did not weaken because Xiao Yan was standing behind Ning Rong Rong. Instead, carrying an obvious provocative intent, it deliberately pressed toward Xiao Yan's direction. Ning Rong Rong only felt a great force striking her, and her body flew backward out of control. Xiao Yan reached out and caught the flying Ning Rong Rong, steadily supporting her. Immediately, he casually waved his right hand, and an even stronger aura surged from his palm, like an invisible giant wave, rushing toward Dai Mubai. Dai Mubai didn't even have time to react before his body was sent flying backward uncontrollably, as if he had been rammed by a wild bull. He rolled across the ground for I don't know how many turns, looking disheveled as he crashed into the fence at the academy entrance before finally stopping. Tang San and Oscar hurriedly stepped forward and helped Dai Mubai up. Dai Mubai struggled to stand firm, his face ashen, the anger in his eyes almost bursting out as he wanted to charge at Xiao Yan again. Tang San and Oscar blocked him from left and right. Boss Dai, forget it, everyone is a classmate. Blocked, Dai Mubai's chest heaved violently a few times, his gaze locked tightly onto Xiao Yan, but he didn't make another move. In his heart, he didn't feel that he wasn't Xiao Yan's match, but rather felt that he had just been careless. Ning Rong Rong had never had anyone dare to lay a hand on her since she was little, yet Dai Mubai actually dared to attack her. Although Xiao Yan had stepped in to help her block the subsequent impact, the pain from the soul power shock earlier was still there. First turning to Xiao Yan, she said, "Thank you." Immediately after, her pair of eyes stared fixedly at Dai Mubai without speaking, but the anger and grievance in those eyes were almost overflowing. Dai Mubai looked at Tang San blocking in front of him and slowly let out a breath. Chapter 77 Xiao Yan, Tang San, stop acting like a saint. He reined in the soul power around his body and looked coldly at Ning Rong Rong. Fine, little San, I'll save you some face. Ning Rong Rong, remember this is not your home. Don't provoke me again. Otherwise, I don't care what your status is. If there's a next time, what I just said is no joke. Ning Rong Rong did not reply. She fell silent for a moment, then suddenly turned her head to look at Tang San. Tang San, help me kill Dai Mubai. Use those special weapons of yours. As long as you do it, you will be an honored guest of our 7 treasure glazed tile school in the future. I'll give you money, 10,000 soul gold coins, and the unconditional support of the 7 treasure glazed tile school. Hearing this, Dai Mubai did not speak and also looked at Tang San. He wanted to see how Tang San would choose. Tang San was silent for a moment, looking at Ning Rong Rong with a serious tone. Ning Rong Rong, remember this. In this world, not everything can be bought with money and power. This is an academy, and nothing more than an academy. We are all classmates. If you continue to hold this mindset and carry that superior attitude of the 7 treasure glazed tile school, then you might as well leave this place. Hearing this, the gloom on Dai Mubai's face vanished completely, and he smilingly put his arm around Tang San's neck. Well done, little San. You truly are my brother. Seeing that Tang San stood on Dai Mubai's side without hesitation and even scolded her, Ning Rong Rong was filled with unwillingness. She bit her lip and turned to look at Oscar. She knew Oscar had always liked her, so she asked him. Oscar, are you willing to help me? Oscar was silent for a long time. He looked at Ning Rong Rong, then at Dai Mubai, and finally seemed to have made up his mind as he spoke. The first time I saw you, I thought you were a heavenly being, and I fell in love with you. I decided to pursue you. Even though I am just a commoner while you are a disciple of the 7 treasure glazed tile school, I didn't care. But I found out that I was wrong, and terribly so. You are not the type one like, nor are you the person who can make me give up the entire forest. I am hardly worthy of the little princess of the 7 treasure glazed tile school. Even if I am willing to help you, what would you treat me as? Nothing more than your servant. Actually, what Tang San said just now was right. If you keep this mindset, you might as well leave this place. Also, with you being like this, having friends will forever be an extravagant hope. Ning Rong Rong stood on the spot, watching as all the students in the academy stood in opposition to her, all criticizing her. Loneliness, helplessness, and unprecedented emotion surged into her heart. She couldn't help turning to look at Xiao Yan, her voice carrying a trace of trembling. Although this is our second time meeting, I still don't know your name. But I want to ask you, was I really wrong? If I asked you to help me, would you help me? Xiao Yan had originally planned only to watch the show, wondering how to torment Tang San later. He didn't expect Ning Rong Rong to suddenly ask him this. He looked into Ning Rong Rong's eyes, which carried confusion and anticipation, and said, putting aside whether I will help you or not, perhaps for the sake of today's meal money, I would. But regarding the scene that just happened, I think you weren't wrong at all. Xiao Yan said in a calm tone. It's just that these people are isolating you and gaslighting you. Ning Rong Rong, whose emotions were fluctuating violently at the moment, instantly lit up upon hearing Xiao Yan's words. I wasn't wrong. And, what does that pua mean? Xiao Yan explained, it means mental manipulation and emotional suppression. Tang San and Dai Mubai didn't have much favorable impression of Ning Rong Rong to begin with. Hearing Xiao Yan's words, they only frowned and didn't reply. Oscar liked Ning Rong Rong after all, so he couldn't help speaking up. Ning Rong Rong, don't be fooled by this person. What happened just now was clearly your fault. If you keep going like this, you will never have Fryan. Before Oscar could finish speaking, Ning Rong Rong directly interrupted him. Shut up. Just now you scolded me with such a superior attitude, what qualifications do you have to speak now? With that said, she turned to look at Xiao Yan, her eyes sparkling, signaling him with an expectant look to continue. Xiao Yan didn't stand on ceremony either. As for the scene that just happened, that deformed-eyed fellow was the one who first said things like, FK first, kill later, FK again, kill again, to you. And he even made a move on you. That's why you said those words telling that plain-looking kid to kill that deformed-eyed bastard for you. If it were any other woman facing such words and behavior, they would act just like you, or even more intensely. Hearing himself described as that deformed-eyed guy, Daimubai flew into a rage. What the hell, deformed eyes? Lousy was born with double pupils. Tang-san also frowned, feeling somewhat uncomfortable with this person describing him as plain-looking. He couldn't help speaking up. Your Excellency, what Daimubai said just now was indeed somewhat inappropriate. But the premise was also that Mubai had taken anger out on Zhu Zuqing just now, and was set off by Ning Rongrong, which is why he acted like that. Xiaoyan ignored Daimubai and instead looked at Tang-san, his tone carrying a trace of mockery. Hey, your name is Tang-san, right? You certainly talk lightly. Although I don't know whether that little rabbit by your side has ever said similar things to that deformed-eyed fellow. Before Xiaoyan could finish speaking, Ning Rongrong excitedly interrupted. Xiao Wu has said it. Xiaoyan glanced at her and continued. Then that settles it. If it had been that little rabbit saying it just now. And that deformed-eyed fellow said things like FK first and kill later to this little rabbit, and even made a move on this little rabbit. I'm afraid you would have wanted to kill this deformed-eyed bastard long ago. Hearing this, Ning Rongrong thought about it and realized it was indeed true. As for Tang-san, he was speechless. In his heart, he even thought that if Xiao Wu had said that just now, even if Xiao Wu were in the wrong. If Daimubai dared to say such words to Xiao Wu, he would definitely kill Daimubai. Xiaoyan continued. But Tang-san, what did you say just now? You just said forget it, everyone is a classmate, and then stood on the moral high ground to scold this little girl. Therefore, since it didn't happen to you, stop acting like a saint. He looked at Daimubai again. And as for that deformed-eyed fellow, I believe that if that little rabbit had said even more excessive things just now, you wouldn't dare say anything to her, let alone make a move. In short, you just think that Ning Rongrong is merely a support spirit master with no combat power, and you are just bullying the weak. Speaking to this point, Xiaoyan shifted his gaze to Oscar again. His tone carried a trace of unmasked mockery. And this wretched fellow, saying with his mouth that he likes you, saying things like you were a heavenly being at first sight. Yet he didn't dare stand on your side even when he clearly knew it wasn't your fault. And he even bragged about how you aren't worthy of him giving up the entire forest. Does he even have a forest? Where's the entire forest? Why don't I see it? Chapter 78. What, are you scared? Ha ha ha. Hearing this, Ning Rongrong couldn't help but let out a snicker. Hearing Ning Rongrong's laughter, Oscar's face turned bead red, and he opened his mouth wanting to retort. But he found that he couldn't think of anything to refute her with at all. He constantly claimed to like Ning Rongrong, but just now, when Ning Rongrong was targeted by Daimubai and criticized by Tang-san, not only did he not step forward, but instead he joined Tang-san in criticizing Ning Rongrong. When these words came out of his mouth, even he himself felt they were indefensible. Xiaoyan didn't continue paying attention to Oscar. Acting as if he had suddenly remembered something, he looked at Ning Rongrong and continued. Right, didn't that cross-eyed guy just say that others might be afraid of your 7 treasure glazed tile school, but he wasn't afraid at all? Ning Rongrong was stunned for a moment, then nodded. He did say that. And his martial soul is the evil eye white tiger, and his surname is Dai. I reckon he should be a prince of the Star Luo Empire. Xiaoyan nodded and said purposely. A prince of the Star Luo Empire running all the way to the Heaven Do Empire, and coming to such a lousy academy. I guess he's most likely an abandoned, trash prince. Didn't he say he wasn't afraid of the 7 treasure glazed tile school? Why don't you call some people over from the 7 treasure glazed tile school and see if this guy is really not afraid? And by the way, see if the Star Luo Empire will stand up for him. Hearing this, Ning Rongrong's eyes instantly lit up. She looked at Xiaoyan, the corners of her mouth curling into a smile, and her tone carried a hint of eager excitement. You're right, I'll call people right now. Halfway through her words, Ning Rongrong suddenly seemed to remember something, her face falling as her voice carried a trace of helplessness. But if I want to call people now, I have to go back to the 7 treasure glazed tile school first. I'm just an auxiliary system spirit master, and my speed isn't fast. It'll take a long time to go back. Xiaoyan glanced at her and casually raised his chin toward the direction of the woods by the roadside. Those few people hiding over there, I reckon, should be the ones sent by your 7 treasure glazed tile school to protect you in secret. Ning Rongrong was slightly stunned, following Xiaoyan's gaze to look at those woods. In the night, the woods were quiet, branches and leaves swaying gently in the breeze, looking no different from ordinary woods. There are people. Ning Rongrong looked carefully and saw nothing. How come I didn't notice? Isn't it normal that you couldn't find them? Xiaoyan said in a calm tone. Just think about it yourself. With your status in the 7 treasure glazed tile school, someone must be secretly following and protecting you when you go out. It's just that you didn't know it yourself. Ning Rongrong was stunned for a moment, blinked, and then a look of surprise appeared on her face. So Dad has always been sending people to protect me. I thought they didn't know I was here. Saying this, Ning Rongrong was about to run towards the direction Xiaoyan pointed. At this moment, Daimubai, who had been watching this scene from the side, changed expression drastically. The corners of his mouth twitched slightly, and the anger in his eyes was like being doused by a basin of cold water, instantly extinguishing more than half of it. He certainly knew the power of the 7 treasure glazed tile school. That was not just any ordinary sect. If Ning Rongrong really called a group of spirit masters from the 7 treasure glazed tile school, the Star Luo Empire would absolutely never offend the 7 treasure glazed tile school for the sake of an already abandoned prince like him. Furthermore, if he was killed by people from the 7 treasure glazed tile school, his older brother might even clap and cheer. Ning Rongrong, who still had a somewhat smug smile, ran a few steps toward the direction Xiaoyan had just pointed, and was just about to open her mouth to call out, when a somewhat stiff and hurried voice came from behind. Wait. Daimubai finally spoke, his voice carrying a trace of reluctance and a shred of suppressed embarrassment. Today's matter ends here. Hearing this, Ning Rongrong's footsteps stopped. She turned around and looked at Daimubai, her eyes carrying an undisguised victor's joy, and her tone purposely drawn out. What, Daimubai, are you scared? Daimubai's face instantly turned bead red, as if he had been slapped in public. He clenched his fists, suppressing his anger, and replied stiffly. Who's scared? I just think that since we are classmates after all, there's no need to make things reach this point. Ning Rongrong crossed her arms, a sneer hanging at the corners of her mouth, and ruthlessly retorted. Now you have the nerve to say we're classmates. When you made a move on me and said those things to me just now, why didn't you remember we're classmates? Dai Mubai was retorted to the point of speechlessness. He opened his mouth, but found he couldn't say a single word. Ning Rongrong thought for a moment, tilted her head, and said, "If you don't want me to call people, it's not impossible. Kneel on the ground right now and kowtow 3 loud kowtows to me. Apologize to me. If your attitude is sincere, I can consider not calling anyone." Dai Mubai was a young man after all, possessing a prince's pride and dignity. How could he possibly do such a shameful thing in front of so many people? His face turned from green to white, and finally he gritted his teeth and squeezed out a few words. "Ning Rongrong, I've already made concessions, don't push your luck. Do you really think I, Dai Mubai, am afraid of your 7 treasure glazed tile school?" He said this with his mouth, but in his heart he actually had no confidence. He had no idea what Ning Rongrong's status in the 7 treasure glazed tile school was. If she was just an ordinary disciple of the 7 treasure glazed tile school, the 7 treasure glazed tile school might still take his status as a prince into consideration and not easily make a move. But if her status in the 7 treasure glazed tile school was exceptionally high. No, impossible. If her status was high, how could she come to Shrek Academy just like him? Dai Mubai dared not think further. Just at this moment, Ning Rongrong had already run towards the woods Xiaoyan had just pointed to, her figure disappearing, and everyone only heard. "You guys get out here. I know you're inside, don't hide, and don't pretend you can't hear." ... After a short while, Ning Rongrong just ran back from the woods. A somewhat hoarse and curious voice came from behind. "In the middle of the night, why aren't you guys resting and instead gathered around the school gate doing what?" Everyone looked toward the source of the voice. A middle-aged man wearing round-framed glasses and with a haggard face was walking over from the other side of the street. Behind him followed a plump youth with messy hair. That youth still carried a faint, lingering odor on his body, obviously having just returned from somewhere. These two naturally were Shrek Academy's dean, Flender. And the one following behind him was Ma Hongjun, who had just returned from a brothel. Flender looked at the setup at the school gate, his brow slightly furrowing. He swept his gaze across them. Seeing Tang San, Xiao Wu, Oscar, Dai Mubai, and Ning Rongrong were all there. Along with 2 unfamiliar faces. Ma Hongjun was still reminiscing about just now, and seeing this battle formation, he scratched his head and asked. "Boss Dai, what are you guys doing? Throwing a party?" Chapter 79 Sword Duluo and Ning Fengji arrive.